Chapter 169. Academy City, School District 7, Disciplinary Committee Activity Branch 177. Wuharu is sitting in front of a computer, typing something on the keyboard. Wu Yen, Ikaros, Astria, Mikoto, Ruko, and Kuriko are standing behind her, staring at the computer screen. Got it? At a certain moment, Early Spring finally shouted. Following that, everyone's faces moved closer to the screen. Wuharu looked at the profile on the computer screen. When she saw the picture, she was stunned. Kuriko and Ruko were the same. What a beautiful person. The three of them couldn't help but blurt out. Kuriko then looked at Wu Yen with disdain and suspicion. Are you sure the person you asked Wuharu to find is your friend and not your next hunting target? Wu Yen laughed awkwardly, speechless. I don't know why, but I suddenly feel like beating someone up. Mikoto also laughed awkwardly. She was complaining in her mind. Why hunt? There's nothing left. Why hunt? Wuharu didn't know how to react. She could only read out the information on the computer screen. Gue Chuju, ability level 0, resident of School District 13, occupation. Police officer. Wuharu, Ruko, and Kuriko all cried out in surprise. Even Wu Yen and Mikoto were shocked when they heard Chuju is a police officer of Academy City. Could this be a mistake? Blackie put his face in front of the computer screen to confirm that there were no mistakes, but he still doubtfully said, That's impossible. The security guards are all teachers of Academy City who volunteered to join. Could this beautiful girl called Gue Ziniju be a teacher? To be precise, she's an intern teacher. Wuharu tapped on the keyboard. Chuju's information on the computer screen became more detailed. According to the information, Gue Ziniju is 15 years old this year. She completed her university studies and became an intern teacher in a school. She has a strong sense of justice. Although she's only LV0, she's quite good at swordsmanship. She once defeated a LV4 Almighty with her own strength. She was invited by the police and became the youngest and best police officer in the entire Academy City. Hearing this, everyone was in disbelief. Tears looked at Hinajiku's photo with admiration. Amazing, she's so good in all aspects. As expected of Chuju? Mikoto also exclaimed, of course she's good in all aspects. Wanisama's acquaintances are all amazing people. Kuriko looked at Mikoto meaningfully before turning to Ikaros and said, No matter if it's this person here who can withstand a single attack from the fourth person of Academy City. Then she looked at the computer screen. Of course. Or the youngest and best police officer in Academy City. Then she looked at Astria, her mouth twitched a few times. And then there's this super big eater that Kuriko might only see once in her life. Finally, she looked at the calm Wu Yen with a dangerous glint in her eyes. And then there's this scum with a lot of bad records. I saw him flirting with underage girls the moment I met him. And most importantly, Kuriko teleported in front of Mikoto. She leaned her face closer to Mikoto and said in a weird tone. As Wanisama's side attendant and roommate, Kuriko never knew Wanisama knew so many people. From the moment Kuriko started talking, Mikoto realized that something was wrong. Her entire face was covered in sweat. She forced a smile and forced herself to put on a strong front. How long have you known me? It's only been a year. How could you know so much about me? Even Wu Yen couldn't find any fault with Mikoto's excuse, but Kuriko's reaction was unusually agitated. Says who? Even if Kuriko only knew Wanisama for a year, it's more than thousands of years. There's nothing Wanisama that Kuriko doesn't know. Even what kind of underwear Wanisama is wearing today, Kuriko knows. Bam! Mikoto blasted Kuriko to the floor with a punch. Her face flushed red and she shouted angrily. Who told you to know all this? Heh, hee, these two really are comic stars and crosstalk material? Wu Yan's mouth twitched and he laughed dryly. Everyone nodded in agreement. Mikoto looked over with an angry glare. Everyone was shocked and they quickly turned their heads back to the computer screen. Master, we found Chujune-san. Do you want to go pick her up? Astria tugged at Wu Yan's sleeve and asked with an expectant look. Speaking of which, it's been a while since she last saw Hinajiku. She really missed her. Wu Yan smiled. Of course, let's go find her now. I'll go with you guys. Mikoto quickly said and walked over to Wu Yan's side. Wuharu, Ruko, and Kuriko also said they wanted to go with them. Wu Yan helplessly said. Then let's all go together. Academy City, School District 13 in front of a school gate? This is Chuju's school? Mikoto looked at the school. Her first impression was that she didn't have any impression of it. Indeed, compared to Tokuwadai's school, this school in front of her paled in comparison. This is the place. Wuharu pointed at the small notebook in her hand and said with certainty. I'll go ask the guard with the identity of a disciplinary committee member. It'll be easier to get the information I want. Kuriko said to everyone and then disappeared in a flash. Do you need to use your ability for such a short distance? Wu Yan was speechless. After a while, Kuriko came back. Got it. That probationary teacher, Gue Daiju, is teaching in this school. Is she inside now? Wu Yan asked impatiently. To be honest, he also missed Chuju. Kuriko's face turned serious when she heard Wu Yan's question. No. According to the guard, Gue Chuju-senpai left in a hurry not long ago for some unknown reason. Although Kuriko as a student should call Hinajiku-sensei out of politeness, but because Hinajiku was her Onisama's friend, and they were around the same age, it would be weird to call her sensei, so she called her sensei. Of course, Wu Yan and the rest didn't think that much, they only cared about the information from Kuriko. Left in a hurry? Wu Yan frowned. Could something have happened? Mikoto asked worriedly. Maybe it's because of the guard's job. Ruko saw Wu Yan and Mikoto's worried faces and softly comforted them, but her words woke them up from their dreams. Wu Yan and Mikoto looked at each other and said to Waharu, Waharu, can you find out what happened around here? Something that requires the dispatch of guards. There's nothing I can do about that, Waharu said with a troubled expression. If there's something happening around here and we need to check it out, we can only use the surveillance cameras in the school district, but, Waharu raised the small notebook in her hand and said, we don't have enough equipment on hand right now. Also, this isn't the school district we're in charge of. If we're caught using the surveillance cameras, we'll be charged with a crime. Is that so? Everyone went silent with a helpless expression. Only Astria raised her head and pointed at her chin. Then wouldn't it be fine if we don't get caught? How can we do that? Kuriko immediately objected. Let's not talk about the fact that we would commit a crime just to find someone. Even if it's Waharu, it's not that easy to use the surveillance cameras to conceal her whereabouts. Astria wasn't convinced by Waharu's words, instead she laughed proudly. I knew it, someone could easily do something like this. Ha! Kuriko and Ruko had a look of disbelief. They knew Waharu's abilities the best, only Wu Yan and Mikoto knew better. Right? Ikaro-senpai. Chapter 170. While Wu Yan, Mikoto, Ikaros, Astria, Kuriko, Ruko, and Waharu were busy dealing with Chuju's situation, Chuju was in big trouble. What is that? Hinajiku was wearing a police officer's protective suit. Her delicate body was wrapped in a bulletproof vest. Other than her head, her entire body was armed to the teeth. Holding a submachine gun in her hand, she looked like a female member of the Flying Tigers. Of course, this was all her disguise. She only wore this equipment to deceive others. Her true strength lay in her strength of the seventh step. When she first came to this world, she was a bit overwhelmed by her sudden identity as a sensei and a guard. But later on, with her superior strength and the decent academic results she acquired in Hakuo Academy, she managed to cope even without Wu Yan and Co. by her side. Originally, Hinajiku planned to disguise herself as a resident of Academy City while looking for Wu Yan and company. Or maybe wait for Wu Yan and Co. to come looking for her. Then, from time to time, she would play the role of a security guard and help out. Today, as usual, Hinajiku was preparing for her lessons at school. But who would have thought that halfway through her preparation, she would receive an emergency call from her superior as a police officer. She hurriedly put on the equipment that she was already used to and rushed to the scene. However, the scene that appeared in front of her made her completely unable to react. Her colleagues that she used to work well with were all standing in front of her and they fainted. That's right, they fainted standing there. Their eyes were rolled back and they stood there like ghosts. Behind them there was a thin thread. The thread passed through the back of their heads and extended into the distance. It was connected to something that looked very strange. Brain. A brain that was kept in a liquid culture tank. What the hell is going on? Hinajiku took 2 steps back and looked at her colleagues who were acting strangely. She was a little confused. What the hell is that? As if reacting to Chuju's arrival, the police officers who were quietly standing there suddenly turned their heads stiffly. They looked at Chuju with their empty white eye sockets. Chuju felt goosebumps all over her body. Hey you guys, are you guys okay? Chuju shouted at her colleagues, trying to get them to return to their original state. But Chuju was destined to be disappointed. Not only did the police officers not return to their original state, they turned in a circle in the air like puppets. Their hands and legs twisted unnaturally. Then they all pounced on Chuju. Chuju was shocked. She reflexively raised the submachine gun in her hand. But when she remembered that these people were her colleagues, she quickly put down the gun. At this moment, the police officers were already in front of Chuju. Looking at one of her former colleagues opening his mouth wide and viciously biting her neck, Hinajuku finally reacted and dodged the attack with a sidestep. She reached out a hand and pressed the other party's head to the ground. Chuju shouted at him, "Hey you!" Before she could finish, the others had already pounced on her. They raised their fists, raised their legs and attacked Chuju in all kinds of ways. As a level 7 powerhouse, Chuju was comparable to a level 5. How could she be attacked by these guys who were not even level 3? But considering that they were colleagues, Chuju could not attack back. She could only retreat helplessly. What the hell is going on? Chuju dodged their attacks as her mind raced. She knew very well that these colleagues were not doing this willingly. Could it be that thing? Hinajuku quickly looked into the distance at the brain in the culture tank. After all, it was impossible for these guards to do anything to her. It was obvious that they were being manipulated. On the brain, there were countless thin threads connected to the back of the police officers' heads. Chuju only needed to think for a moment to understand. Then, if I destroy these threads. Chuju looked at the threads connected to the back of her colleagues' heads and made up her mind. Yo, this beautiful and capable lady, you better not destroy these threads. If you don't want your colleagues' brains to be fried. A sudden voice stunned Chuju. At the same time, she stopped attacking the threads and dodged the attacks of her colleagues who were being controlled. After stabilizing herself, Chuju immediately looked at the source of the voice. She saw a sloppy young man in a white coat standing beside the brain in the culture tank. He looked at Chuju with a pair of evil eyes and a smile that made Chuju frown. Seeing Chuju looking over, the sloppy young man raised his hands and clapped as if to praise Chuju. You are really impressive. You can still dodge and attack so leisurely when facing the attacks of so many colleagues. Looks like you are the young police officer who has been in the limelight recently. Who are you? Hinajuku stared at the sloppy young man, then looked at her colleague. What happened to them? Hearing this, the sloppy young man put down his hands and laughed. You can call me Gakuo. As for what happened to them. The sloppy young man named Gakuo looked around at the police officers who were being controlled and said, Don't worry, young and beautiful police officer, they will be fine. Will be fine? Hearing Gakuo's words, Chuju was so angry that she laughed. Just find someone and see if they will think that they will be fine. Oh, what a scary expression. Gakuo patted his chest pretentiously, then smiled and said, Don't worry, Miss Police Officer. I just want to use their bodies to see how effective my invention is. Chuju's face darkened. She stared at Gakuo with her yellow-green eyes, full of anger. Although they had not known each other for a long time, these colleagues were still good friends with her. Now they were being used as test subjects by an unknown person. How could Chuju not be angry? Looking at the reactions of your colleagues, it seems that my invention is quite effective. Gakuo acted as if he did not see Chuju's expression. He looked at the brain beside him, his sloppy eyes filled with passion. Gakuo laughed and held the culture tank with both hands. He laughed loudly and said, This is great. This is great. This kind of invention will definitely make that annoying family member show a good expression. Hearing this, Chuju caught on to some words and frowned. Annoying family? That's right. That annoying family. Gakuo abruptly turned to Hinajuku and hatefully said, They think they're the best scientists in the entire Academy City, not putting other people's inventions in their eyes. All of them are like that, casually trampling on other people's inventions. Don't you think they're so annoying? Chuju looked at Gakuo, who had suddenly sunk into some kind of hatred, and said, I don't care what grudges you have with that so-called family. I just want to know how to make them return to normal. Seeing that Chuju did not want to listen to him, Gakuo clicked his tongue and looked at the brain. His gaze was as passionate as ever, as if he was looking at his most precious treasure. If you want them to return to normal, you just need to do it here. Gakuo said casually and pointed at a remote control device at the corner of the culture tank. Just enter the command and it will be done. How is it? Isn't it an excellent invention? The last sentence sounded like he was showing off to Chuju, but Chuju was not in the mood to listen. Then quickly return them to normal. It doesn't matter. My observation is almost done anyway, Gakuo said. Suddenly, he looked at Chuju with an evil smile. However, I still want to see how you, the most outstanding and youngest police officer, will react under the control of my invention. Chapter 171. However, I still want to see how you, the most outstanding and youngest police officer, will react under the control of my invention, Hearing Gakuo's words, Chuju's eyes turned cold. She threw away the submachine gun in her hand and stood up. Looks like the negotiation is off the table? Chuju looked at Gakuo and said. At the same time she looked at the culture tank beside Gakuo. Oh? Looks like Miss Police Officer wants to try my invention yourself. Gakuo laughed evilly. Although I haven't used it to control an aptitude user, in theory my invention can even control a level 5 aptitude user with supercomputing power. Chuju was silent. She stared at the culture tank. She had made up her mind. She will rush over and knock down the tasteless guy. Then she will figure out how to restore the police officers. Perhaps he saw through Chuju's plan. Gakuo took 2 steps back and came to the control panel of the culture tank. After Miss Police Officer has tried my invention, I will use it to control those aptitude users. Starting from level 1, then level 2, then level 3, level 4, and finally level 5 aptitude users. Gakuo laughed out loud as if he had seen his invention successfully controlling everyone. In the end, I will use my invention to control those who trampled on my dignity. Then I will tell everyone that I, Gakuo, am the best scientist in Academy City. By the end of his speech, Gakuo seemed to have lost his mind. He pressed his hand on the control panel, and with some unknown method, a large number of silk threads grew out from the brain in the culture tank. The silk threads penetrated through the culture tank that separated the liquid from the air and shot towards the daisy. So fast. Hinagiku was slightly shocked. The speed of these threads was too fast. It was not something that could be seen with the naked eye. Of course, as a Tier 7 powerhouse, Chuju could still see the movement of the silk thread. He hurriedly dodged to the side and the silk thread shot at the ground where Chuju was just standing. Before Chuju could breathe a sigh of relief, those silk threads suddenly turned and shot towards Chuju, causing Chuju's pupils to shrink and condense. She clenched her hand, and a cherry blossom that came out of nowhere rolled into her palm and transformed into a crystal sword. White cherry. White cherry had already evolved into a rare armament. Seeing the scene of Chuju transforming into white cherry, Gakuo was stunned and said in surprise, "A metahuman? That's not right." Gakuo looked at the white cherry blossom in Chuju's hand and frowned. I've never heard that this young guard has any ability. After giving it some thought, Gakuo shook his head and decided not to think about it anymore. That's good too. Although it's not in line with the plan, it's not bad to try out the effects of using the remote brain to control metahumans. Chuju stared at the silk threads that were shooting towards her. The white cherry blossom in her hand turned into an arc and slashed towards those silk threads. With a swing, the silk threads were cut off. Before Chuju could rejoice, new silk threads came in and continued to shoot towards Chuju. Seeing this, Chuju raised the white cherry blossom in her hand again. Suddenly, a few figures appeared beside Chuju and charged towards Chuju, who was about to swing her sword at the silk threads. They were the controlled guards. Moving her feet, Hinagiku gave up on the action of slashing the silk thread. Instead, she jumped and landed on top of the officer's head. She adjusted her position in the air and landed not far away from the officer. Very quickly, the controlled guards charged towards Hinagiku again. Chuju gritted her teeth and apologized silently. Instead of retreating, she charged towards the attacking guards. Without using the white cherry blossom, she reached out her hand and dislocated their joints. Waving her hand, Chuju continued to dislocate the joints of the guards and put them all on the ground. There was no other way. They were unconscious in the first place. It was impossible to knock them out. This was the only way to prevent them from moving again. After Hinagiku had taken down all the guards, she heaved a sigh of relief. However, the relaxed Hinagiku's line of sight was soon filled with threads. Chuju was shocked. She raised the white cherry blossom and cut off all the silk threads. However, one of the silk threads came from behind and attacked her. It was aimed at the back of Chuju's head. Seeing this, Gakuo, who was far away, had a victorious smile on his face. Just as Hinagiku was about to be attacked, a petite figure with 2 pink ponytails swaying came to the stunned Hinagiku. Her small hand touched Hinagiku's body and the two of them disappeared together. Hinagiku only felt a blur in front of her eyes, and when she regained her vision, several familiar figures were already standing beside her. Yen, Mikoto, Ikaros, Istria. One by one, familiar faces appeared in front of Hinagiku. Although she didn't know why they suddenly appeared, Hinagiku still cried out in joy. Chuju. Mikoto grinned at Hinagiku. That's to be expected. Ever since she was summoned, Hinagiku and Wu Yen were the only ones who stayed by her side. Among these people, the one who was closest to Chuju is definitely not Wu Yen but Mikoto. Mikoto. Chuju hugged Mikoto in surprise. She was very happy. After all, Ever since she came to Academy City, she has been looking for her companions. How could she not be happy? Who are you people? In the distance, Gakuo saw that his plan failed and his face turned gloomy. He looked at Wu Yan and the others with hostility. Everyone heard him and looked at Gakuo. Wu Yan's eyes flashed with a cold light. When he appeared, Chuju was attacked. What happened before wasn't very clear. But the culprit behind the attack on Hinajiku, there's no need to look for it. His figure flashed and turned into a straight line of afterimages. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Gakuo. Gakuo's face that was unhappy with Wu Yan and the others for ruining his good thing froze. Raising his fist, Wu Yan punched Gakuo in the face. Gakuo's nose started bleeding. Wu Yan grabbed Gakuo's collar and pulled him back before he could fly away. Then he punched Gakuo in the stomach. Ah! Gakuo shrieked in pain after the 2 punches. By the time he reacted, he felt a sharp pain coming from his stomach. His nose also felt sour and sweet, all sorts of feelings welled up inside of him. After being punched twice by Wu Yan, Gakuo went limp. When Wu Yan let go of his collar, Gakuo fell to the ground and turned into a shrimp. Clapping his hands, Wu Yan kicked Gakuo on the ground. These 2 punches are the price for bullying Chuju. At this time, Chuju, Mikoto, and the others in the distance reacted and quickly ran towards Wu Yan. Chuju was the fastest one. If there was one person she missed the most in Academy City, it would be Wu Yan. After all, Chuju's heart was already on Wu Yan. How could she not miss Wu Yan? Although she was at Sundara and didn't want to show how much she missed Wu Yan, Chuju inadvertently showed her inner joy when she saw Wu Yan and how she stood up for her. Of course, this joy was deeply hidden by Chuju when she ran in front of Wu Yan. Where have you all been all this time? Chuju deliberately looked at Wu Yan with a dissatisfied face. She blamed Wu Yan for everyone's separation. Wu Yan smiled bitterly. We've been looking for you, okay? Humph, and you say you've been looking for me? Chuju snorted coldly. She looked at Mikoto, Ikaros, and Astria. I was the last one. If I told you that finding Ikaros and Astria was an accident, would you believe me? Wu Yan smiled embarrassedly and said to Chuju. I don't believe you. Chuju said. Chapter 172. A reunion is always a joyous occasion. Although Wu Yan always has a bitter smile on his face, he's actually happy to be able to see Hinajiku again. Everyone got caught up in the atmosphere of reunion and introductions. For a moment, they forgot that there's still a person lying on the ground crying out in pain. After the initial introductions, Chuju became familiar with Kuriko, Ruko, and Waharu. Kuriko, and Waharu were very friendly towards Chuju because they noticed that the most outstanding and youngest officer in the school had the same personality as Mikoto, especially Ruko. Chuju was pretty and easy to get along with. Not only did she become a teacher at such a young age, she was also a police officer. Most importantly, she was a LV0 just like her. Ruko instantly became Chuju's fan. Oh right, how did you guys end up here? Chuju looked at Wu Yan's group in confusion. She already knew that Wu Yan's group was in the faraway School District 7. She didn't know why they suddenly came to School District 13 and even saved her from carelessness. Hearing this, everyone looked at Waharu and Ikaros and explained to Hinajiku. Hinajiku finally realized that Waharu in front of her was an amazing internet expert. Amazing. Waharu. Chuju didn't hold back her compliments. Waharu blushed and lowered her head, looking embarrassed. It's nothing. Actually, Ikaros-senpai is the one who's really amazing. Waharu looked at Ikaros, who was standing beside Wu Yan, with a look of admiration. Using a small portable laptop, she was able to hide from everyone and mobilize all the surveillance cameras in School District 13. That's incredible. That's right, the reason why they found Chuju was because of Ikaros. Speaking of which, Ikaros has great computing skills. For someone like Ikaros, who came from Synapse, who invented all kinds of weird things, this level of computing is nothing but child's play. In this domain, in the world of things that fell from the sky, other than Nymph, who wasn't good at fighting and specialized in dealing with electrons, Ikaros was the strongest. As for Astria, forget it, she's better off not falling down when walking and choking when eating rather than relying on her to operate a computer. Hinajiku of course knew about Ikaros' background. Hearing Waharu's words, she patted Waharu's shoulder and said under Waharu's confused gaze. Waharu, it's better if you don't compare yourself to Ikaros. It's unfair to you. Weichin nodded as if she understood, hiding the question marks on her head in her heart. What's up with this guy? Wu Yan asked Chuju as he kicked Gakuo, who couldn't get up from the ground. With Hinajiku's explanation, everyone finally understood what this Gakuo guy on the ground did. Especially Mikoto. Looking at Gakuo lying on the ground, her eyes were filled with unconcealable disgust. She was caught in a human cloning project and her DNA was turned into an experimental subject. Facing a scientist like Gakuo who didn't care about other people and casually played with other people's bodies, Mikoto couldn't hate him more. So you're saying this disgusting thing is the culprit controlling the police officers? Blackie walked around the culture tank and looked at the disgusting brain inside. He furrowed his brows. Waharu, do you have a way to restore the police officers? I'll give it a try. Waharu didn't seem to have much confidence. That's to be expected since her strength lies in the internet. She didn't have much confidence in this kind of control device. Chuju thanked Waharu and glanced at Wu Yen. Seeing Wu Yen staring at the brain in a daze, she nudged him in dissatisfaction. Wu Yen didn't react at all. He was stunned by the system notification that suddenly rang in his mind. Beep. Detected special item, control brain. According to the system, this item can be used to unlock the mysterious crystal on the user's body. User is advised to retrieve this item. It's because of this notification that Wu Yen stared blankly at the unsightly human brain. He couldn't react at all. Mysterious crystal. This is the crystal that he got from the world of Butler Whirlwind. If it wasn't for this notification, Wu Yen would have forgotten about it. He still remembered that Yi Cheng's mother had once said that a very powerful demon was sealed within this mysterious crystal. Now that the system told Wu Yen that the brain in front of him could be used to unlock the mysterious crystal, Wu Yen was of course stunned. Could it be that this monster would become his fighter after it was unsealed? Wu Yen couldn't stay calm anymore. Seeing that Waharu was about to approach the control brain, Wu Yen couldn't stay calm anymore and quickly called out. Wait, Waharu. Waharu stopped in her tracks and she looked at Wu Yen in confusion. What's wrong? Senior Wu Yen. The others also looked at Wu Yen in confusion. They didn't think that Wu Yen didn't want to save the people. Wu Yan's face stiffened as well. Seeing that Waharu was about to approach the brain, he called out without thinking. He really didn't mean anything else. It's nothing, you can continue? Wu Yen could only laugh awkwardly. The girls rolled their eyes at him. Mikoto and Chuju thought that Wu Yen was being naughty again. One had to admit that Chu-chun was quite good at manipulating machines. Soon enough, the wires connected to the officers were retracted. Chuju let out a sigh of relief and quickly ran up to them. She couldn't help it, the guard's joints were still dislocated. Wu Yen touched the control brain culture tank and put it into his infinite space ring. He didn't even ask for the others' opinion. Kuriko, Waharu and Ruko were shocked. What are you doing with that? What's going on? Gakuo, who was lying on the ground like a corpse, was so excited when he saw the control brain disappear. He ignored the pain and screamed loudly. Where's my invention? Where did you put my invention? Gakuo looked at Wu Yen in a crazed manner. He reached out his hand and he wanted to strangle Wu Yen. Wu Yen frowned and kicked Gakuo to the ground. Do you think you can still protect your so-called invention when you're in jail? Gakuo looked at Wu Yen with a twisted face. After a while he bit his lip and punched the ground. Damn it. Damn it. Originally I wanted to give that despicable Kihara a show of strength. Damn it. Kihara. As the saying goes, the speaker doesn't mean much but the listener does. Kihara is a surname that represents a big deal in Academy City. Everyone would pay attention to it, let alone Wu Yen. You just said Kihara, right? Right? Wu Yen pulled Gakuo up and grabbed him by the collar. That's right. That's him. Gakuo shouted at Wu Yen. Perhaps he was hit by the fact that he couldn't take revenge on Kihara. That's the guy. The guy who looked down on my invention. Wu Yen dodged Gakuo's spit and looked at him with a frown. Kihara, which Kihara are you talking about? Who else could it be? It's Kihara Amada. Gakuo's tone was full of resentment when he mentioned that name. Even if I remember my own name wrongly, I won't forget his name. Wu Yen let go of his hand and let Gakuo kneel on the ground. He looked at him silently. The girls also realized something and looked at Gakuo. That guy who hides his head but shows his tail. I don't know what's wrong with him recently. He's been leading a group of people everywhere to look for something. Hearing this, Wu Yen narrowed his eyes and confirmed his guess. Last time, Mujino Shizuri said that another person was sent to deal with him. It must be Kihara Amada. He's with his hound unit. He ruined Alistair's plan. This unit belongs to him and is directly under his command. How could it not be dispatched? Chapter 173. Academy City, School District 13. Wu Yen stood on the side with Mikoto and Ruko beside him. Ikaros and Astria stood behind him. The three of them watched as Gakuo entered the transport vehicle. Kuriko and Waharu were talking to some of the officers, and so was Hinajiku. However, compared to Kuriko's quiet conversation, Hinajiku's side seemed to be having a heated discussion. It was mainly because the officers seemed to have heard something from Hinajiku, and they were all very excited. Wu Yen looked at them and didn't say anything. He could guess the general situation, so he didn't need to pay attention to it. He didn't have the mood to do so anyway. His heart was filled with helplessness. He thought the control brain was the key to unsealing the mysterious crystal. But, just as he was about to figure out how to unseal the crystal, the system sent him another message. The control brain is only a part of unlocking the mysterious crystal. Happy for nothing. Truly happy for nothing. Wu Yen sighed helplessly and put this matter aside. No matter what, the most important thing right now is to save his sisters. He'll look into the mysterious crystal later. At this time, Kuriko and Waharu came back. They were chatting with Mikoto, and Chuju seemed to have made up her mind. The police officers looked helpless. By the time Hinajiku returned, she had already taken off her equipment. Instead, she was wearing a yellow dress and a white jacket. Most of the guards had already left. "You're done?" Looking at Hinajiku, who was walking back, Wu Yen said with a smile. At this point, they are the only ones left at the scene. Chuju nodded nonchalantly. She looked at Mikoto and Wu Yen. What do we do next? Wu Yen understood what Chuju meant. She wants to help Mikoto save her sisters. What does she have to do? Let's go back first. Where are we going? Hinajiku asked curiously. Wu Yen didn't even think before answering. Of course, to my house. Your home. Hinajiku was stunned, and her face started to redden. Who wants to go to your house? I want to go to Mikoto's house. She grabbed Mikoto's hand. She wanted to use Mikoto as a safe haven. Unfortunately, Mikoto betrayed her without hesitation. Well, I live in a dormitory. I can't let outsiders live there, Mikoto said after holding back for a long time. This sentence stunned Chuju. Okay, let's go home. Wu Yen grabbed Hinajiku's hand and led her outside. He can't help it. At this rate, even if Hinajiku doesn't end up at Mikoto's place, she will end up at Waharu or Ruko's place. Wait. Chuju said in a panic. She knew what would happen if she moved into Wu Yan's house. But she couldn't do anything about it. Ruko and Wiko stared blankly at Chuju being dragged away. Kuriko looked like she saw a new continent. She yelled at Mikoto. Wanisama. That scum finally showed his true colors. Mikoto laughed dryly. What else can she say? She could only bury the slight envy in her heart. She shook her head and followed Kuriko and the others. Academy City, School District 7. At the same time, Wu Yen, Chuju, Ikaros, and Astria were sitting in a circle. They were looking at a bottle in the middle of them with a serious expression. The bottle was filled with a golden liquid. Super Pow's group of 4 already went back to their dorms. After all, it's the end of school, so students are forbidden from going out. Wu Yen shook his head in frustration. He looked at Chuju, Ikaros, and Astria and bitterly smiled. Actually, I can do it alone. Hinajiku squinted her eyes at Wu Yen until he turned his head away in an unnatural manner before she snorted a couple of times. Don't treat me like a kid, Wu Yen complained in his mind. A 15-year-old like you is just a kid to a 20-year-old like me. While he's complaining about this, he seems to have forgotten that he's already pushed down this kid in front of him. No matter how much Wu Yen complained, Chuju didn't plan to leave Wu Yen alone. Ikaros and Astria, well, from their expressions, Wu Yen knew they didn't plan to leave either. I don't care anymore. Just don't regret it. Wu Yen lowered his head dejectedly. He ignored Chuju and Astria's victorious expression and touched his space ring. Wu Yen took out some items from the S.P.A.C. ring. Hinajiku and Astria covered their mouths in disbelief. Damn it. This is unforgivable. Chuju gritted her teeth. Her eyes were filled with anger. Ikaros and Astria stared at the thing on the floor in silence. Feet, hands, body, head, blood. That's the only way to describe what Wu Yen took out. Even though Wu Yen has seen it countless times, he couldn't bear to look at it anymore. Especially when he saw the face that looked exactly like Mikoto. Wu Yan's heart was filled with all kinds of complicated emotions. Even though he knew Accelerator would be cleared of his crimes, Wu Yen couldn't help but feel angry. If he could, Wu Yen really wanted to kill Accelerator. After taking a few deep breaths, Wu Yen neatly arranged his dead sister's body parts on the floor. Then he picked up the genetic life serum and poured some on her body. The golden liquid seeped into his sister's body like water. Then, under the gaze of Wu Yen, Chuju, Ikaros, and Astria, it slowly melted into her body. When the last drop of liquid entered her body suddenly turned into a ball of light. The light on the ground constantly twisted, disintegrated, integrated, and finally molded. After a short while, a familiar figure was formed. When the light faded, a face and body identical to Mikoto's appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Wu Yen, Chuju, Astria, and even Ikaros's heart were in their throats. They looked at Misaka's sister's tightly shut eyes and waited for them to bloom again. Misaka's sister didn't disappoint. Her eyelids twitched a few times under everyone's expectant gaze. Then, under Wu Yen and the others' surprised gaze, she slowly opened her eyes. It worked. Astria cheered in joy. Wu Yen and Mikoto exchanged glances and smiled. At the same time they also let out a sigh of relief. It worked, that's good. Misaka's sister looked around with the same eyes as Mikoto. However, there wasn't much vitality in her eyes, it was like a plate of stagnant water. Where is this? Didn't Misaka die already? Misaka looked around in confusion. At the same time she was wondering if this place was heaven or hell. His face was expressionless and his voice was as calm as an ancient well. He stated this sentence with an incomparably calm tone. Even Wu Yen felt a bit speechless. Hinajiku and Astria looked at each other before looking at their sister. They didn't know what to say. Misaka's sister sat up straight and looked at Wu Yen and the others. She tilted her head. Are you guys the ones who died with Misaka? Misaka's sister said in a relieved tone. At the same time, I'm happy that even if I die, I won't be lonely anymore. Wu Yen, Chuju, Astria, and Ikaros were speechless. After some explanation, Misaka's sister finally realized that she wasn't dead. She was saved by these people. Misaka's sister was silent for a moment before she spoke. Why did you save Misaka? Misaka's sister's body is borrowed, her heart is fake as well. Each one costs 180,000 yen and there are more than 10,000 of them in stock. You just have to press a button and you can make them. Wu Yen smiled when he heard that. He reached out and patted Misaka Mei's head. Misaka Mei didn't know what he was talking about. Just think of it as doing it for your Oniai-sama. Chapter 174. No matter what, the effect of the genetic life replenishment serum is really good. Wu Yan's smile didn't fade the entire night as he watched his sisters being resurrected one by one. At this moment, Wu Yan felt that the 1 million item points was well spent. After resurrecting all the sisters, Wu Yan released the other sisters from the biocontainment device and used the genetic life replenishment serum to complete their bodies. More than 10,000 sisters were resurrected under the efforts of Wu Yan, Chuju, Ikaros, and Astria. Wu Yan felt a great sense of accomplishment when he completed the last sister's life cycle and placed her into the biocontainment device. How could Wu Yan not feel a sense of accomplishment after saving nearly half of his sisters? Wu Yan can't wait to save all the sisters that are still alive. However, this matter can't be rushed. If he acts too hastily, he might expose himself to Alistair. If Alistair only had strength, Wu Yan wouldn't hesitate to do so. However, Alistair's scariest part is his monstrous IQ. Who knows if he would be dragged into some scheme by Alistair if he was exposed. Like a seductress, he would be sold to the point that even his own mother wouldn't recognize him. Wu Yan felt like his brain is better than his seductress hands. However, compared to Alistair, he really can't compare. That's why it's still too early to relax. After all, there are still a lot of sisters that haven't been saved yet. Every day more and more sisters are dying. Of course, Wu Yan was happy that he managed to resurrect all of his sisters. It's obvious from the good sleep he had that night. However, Wu Yan didn't feel that way when he woke up the next day. Good morning, Master Ikaros. Why are you lying on top of me again? Wu Yan jumped up out of shock. However, he forgot that Ikaros was lying on top of him with her hands on both sides of his head. Wu Yan got up and buried himself in a huge pile of soft flesh. The soft touch on his face, the oddly fragrant aroma that wafted into his nose, and the suffocating sensation that could take his life, all of these are reminding him of the situation he's in right now. Wu Yan couldn't help but move his head and he burrowed deeper into the ground. My master. Ikaros stared blankly at Wu Yan. Suddenly she turned around and left Wu Yan. When Ikaros left, Wu Yan, who put his weight on his head, tumbled and fell to the ground. The pain in his head woke Wu Yan up. Realizing what he did, Wu Yan raised his head and looked at Ikaros awkwardly. Wu Yan froze. The usually expressionless Ikaros's cheeks were slightly red, her eyes were shy, her hands were hugging her breasts and she gave Wu Yan a look before lowering her head. I'm not dreaming, right? Wu Yan mumbled. Ikaros is actually shy about being taken advantage of, master? Seeing Wu Yan staring at her, Ikaros blushed again and lowered her head even more. Looking at the bashful Ikaros with her arms crossed in front of her chest, making her already extraordinary breasts look even bigger, Wu Yan couldn't help but gulp down a mouthful of saliva. Ikaros's morning grumpiness is like a match thrown into a gas tank, the fire in him is burning. Ikaros. Under Xiaohua's control, Wu Yan finally raised his hand and reached towards Ikaros. It's impossible for Ikaros not to see Wu Yan's actions. When she saw Wu Yan's hand reaching towards her, an inexplicable burning sensation rushed into her kinetic furnace, making her feel a little dizzy. If this was the original Ikaros, her body's auto-repair function would have activated and erased the cause of her kinetic furnace's abnormality. In other words, she would have erased all memories of Wu Yan. But as someone who's seen the original, Wu Yan wouldn't let that happen. When he first summoned Ikaros, Wu Yan already found an item that could identify the state of the kinetic furnace. In other words, at that time, Wu Yan was already preparing himself for the day when he and Ikaros would make love. After what felt like a century, the distance between Wu Yan's hand and Ikaros's body kept shrinking. Finally, Wu Yan's hand pressed against Ikaros's huge chest. Master. Ikaros's face finally turned completely red, the pair of small accessories next to her ears swayed gently like a cat's ears, causing the fire in Wu Yan's heart to burn even brighter. Ikaros. Panting a few times, Wu Yan hugged Ikaros's body into his arms and pressed his hands on her plump breasts, kneading them. Master, no, there's a strange feeling. Ikaros didn't know what to do as she grabbed Wu Yan's hands that went under her armpits and kneaded her breasts. Her indigo eyes started to turn misty. But not only did Ikaros's words not dispel Wu Yan's desire, it actually encouraged it. After all, who's ever seen Ikaros this shy? Even in the original, no one's ever seen it. And so, of course, Wu Yan's hands kneaded even harder. He even buried his head next to Ikaros's ear and licked her cheek. Master. Ikaros blankly felt the sensations coming from her body. Based on her calculations, the furnace should have burned to the point where it would have burned out, but for some reason, her furnace somehow managed to hold on. His tongue slowly licked from Ikaros's cheek to her neck, then from her neck to her cheeks. Listening to Ikaros's never-heard-before moaning, holding a pair of large breasts that he's never held before, Wu Yan bit Ikaros's earlobe. Ugh. Ikaros didn't know why she's making such noises, she also didn't know why she felt strange when her master did such a thing to her. But she does know that her master is very happy. And as long as her master is happy, then Ikaros will be happy as well. Ugh. Her red lips gently parted, a whimper escaped. Ikaros's legs uncontrollably clamped together and started rubbing against him. Master. Ikaros strenuously turned her head to look at Wu Yan, who's licking her neck. Her indigo eyes are already filled with lust. Wu Yan stared blankly at the aroused Ikaros. He slowly lowered his head and inched closer to her. Seeing her master's face getting closer and closer, Ikaros's eyes flickered. Then, for some reason, she suddenly said something. Master, breakfast? At this moment, Wu Yan finally realized what he's doing. Looking at Ikaros in his arms, Wu Yan smiled embarrassedly and pinched her a couple more times before running out of the room. Ikaros laid on Wu Yan's bed, gasping for air. Wu Yan ran out of his room and with a leap, he flashed into Hinajiku's room. Looking at Hinajiku, who was stunned by his sudden intrusion, he hugged her and threw her onto the bed. Yo. Before Chuju could finish, Wu Yan covered her mouth. This is Ikaros's first time, so it's not good to eat during the day. But not Chuju. Chapter 175. For the whole morning, Wu Yan stayed in Hinajiku's room. The sheets wrapped around both of them wriggled and Hinajiku's sweet moans came from inside. Even with the blanket separating them, Wu Yan could still hear Hinajiku's moans clearly. Ikaros and Astria also heard the sounds coming from inside the room. Astria buried her head in the middle of her food like a glutton. But if you look closely, you'll notice Astria's face is as red as a tomato. Astria wasn't an all-purpose angel like Ikaros, who excelled in combat and computing but had poor emotional skills. Compared to Ikaros, Astria didn't have any computing skills, but her emotional skills were outstanding. Ikaros might not know what Wu Yan and Chuju are doing, but Astria definitely knows. Of course, Ikaros didn't know about it. Astria looked at Ikaros in shock. Her mouth was wide open as if she saw a UFO. It was an exaggeration. Ikaros's cheeks were pink, Her skin was pink and her eyes were watery. Just like Astria, she buried her head in the middle of her food and kept eating. If she didn't share Wu Yan's perceptive ability with her, Astria would have suspected that Ikaros is an impersonator. Finally, the noise in the room stopped. Ikaros and Astria let out a sigh of relief. Of course, Astria knew why she was relieved. Ikaros, on the other hand, didn't know why she was relieved. After a while, Wu Yan walked out of Hinajiku's room. His attire is neat and tidy. If it wasn't for his relaxed expression, others might have thought that he wasn't the culprit behind all of this. Master. Ikaros and Astria blushed at the same time when they saw Wu Yan. Then they called out to him softly. Wu Yan's expression turned awkward when he heard that. Coughing pretentiously, Wu Yan sat beside the two girls and greeted them as if nothing had happened. One can't help but sigh at how thick-skinned he is. Ikaros looked at Wu Yan with a blushing face. Wu Yan wanted to nibble on her again, but Ikaros acted like she didn't see it. She hesitated for a while before she mustered up her courage and spoke under Astria and Wu Yan's curious gaze. Master. Master wants to do something fun. Ikaros. Ikaros, can do it? Cough cough. Wu Yan and Astria spat out all the food in their mouths. They covered their mouths at the same time and started coughing violently. Master. Ikaros didn't know what to do with herself. Wu Yan raised his hand to signal that he's fine. He wiped his mouth and looked at Ikaros in shock. Ikaros, where did you learn that from? Hearing this, Ikaros lowered her head and clutched her short skirt with a bashful look. No one taught me that. I wanted to say it myself. You wanted to say it yourself? Wu Yan and Astria looked at each other in shock. Ikaros nodded and looked at Wu Yan. Her indigo eyes shone with a strange light. Because Master looked really happy, so Wu Yan went silent. He reached out and stroked Ikaros' hair. Ikaros, this kind of thing, if you don't want to, it's not like that. Ikaros interrupted Wu Yan before he could finish. Wu Yan was stunned. Ikaros looked away when she saw Wu Yan's stunned expression. Seeing how happy Master is, Ikaros is also happy. Looking at Ikaros in a daze, Wu Yan suddenly laughed. At the same time, he scolded himself for his stupidity. Ikaros isn't the same as she was at the start of the original work. She's an all-purpose angel who only entertains her master. How could he think that way? Rubbing Ikaros' head, Wu Yan met Ikaros' indigo eyes and he whispered. Ikaros, I'm happy to see you happy. Then? Ikaros looked at Wu Yan expectantly. Her innocent gaze made Wu Yan feel uncomfortable. He helplessly said, Next time. Let's talk about it when we have the chance, okay? Ikaros fiercely nodded and started eating. Her chopsticks danced in the air. She seemed to be in a good mood. Wu Yan looked at her with a smile. He was looking forward to it too. After all, he likes Ikaros a lot too. Astria threw away her bowl and chopsticks. She jumped in front of Wu Yan and shouted, Master. Astria can make Master happy too. Wu Yan's lips twitched. He looked at Astria, who was stunned by his words, and he didn't know what to say to her. This idiot, Master. Astria realized how embarrassing her words were. She opened and closed her mouth. She realized she just said something embarrassing. Her eyes rolled up and smoke started coming out of her head. Speechless, Wu Yan looked at Astria, who was shaking her head from side to side. He reached out his hand and rubbed Astria's head. Under her bashful gaze, he shook his head and laughed. Okay, I got it. When I need to be happy, I will look for you too. Huh. Astria shrieked in shock. She jumped up and pointed at Wu Yan with a blushing face. Master, you idiot. Who wants to do something perverted with you? Astria, I'm not looking forward to it. Idiot. Idiot. Wu Yan's expression kept changing until the word awkward hung on his face. Looking at Astria, who kept calling him an idiot, he felt really sad for his balls. Before Wu Yan could recover from his grief, a delicate fist smashed into his head, sending him sprawling on the table. His chin hit the table hard and he howled in pain. Hinajiku's fists were tightly clenched. On her pretty face, a part of the redness still hadn't subsided. It made Hinajiku's somewhat immature face even more charming. Even the culprit behind all of this was a little stunned. You bastard, in the middle of the day, you... Hinajiku closed her eyes. She's so embarrassed that she wanted to die. She punched him again. This time Wu Yan managed to catch it. Wu Yan smiled at Chuju awkwardly. He shook his head and sighed. Are you trying to kill your husband? Chuju glared at Wu Yan. It would be best if I could kill you. Scratching his head, Wu Yan helplessly mumbled. What can I do? I was seduced as well. Don't tell me you want me to make sure Ikaros can't get out of bed in broad daylight? What are you mumbling about over there? Hinajiku's dangerous gaze landed on his face. She clenched her fists so hard that they made cracking noises. Looks like she's still holding a grudge against him for forcing himself on her again? And nothing? Wu Yan laughed dryly and shook his head. Chuju glared at Wu Yan. She looked at Wu Yan's smiling face and blushed again. She turned around and saw Ikaros and Astria's blushing face. She felt even more embarrassed. It's fine, my voice wasn't loud, they couldn't have heard me. Yep. That's right. After comforting herself, Hinajiku sat down on the table. At the same time, Ikaros's eyes suddenly flashed with a data frame. Master. The enemy has appeared. Ikaros's expression returned to normal. She looked at Wu Yan and whispered. Wu Yan's expression froze and he sneered. Finally. Chapter 176. Academy City, School District 7, Wu Yan's house. No, to be precise, this is the house that the system gave to Wu Yan when he first arrived in Academy City. Even though Wu Yan doesn't have the currency of Academy City, Wu Yan has a lot of gold coins in the Spalier world. Even though most of them are in his gold card, the amount that Wu Yan has on him is more than enough to buy a house. On the second day of his arrival in Academy City, Wu Yan was already planning to buy another house. After all, this house isn't big, it can't fit 2 people, but Wu Yan has 4 people. Therefore, this house was abandoned by Wu Yan without hesitation. Of course, it wasn't completely useless, at least it helped Wu Yan attract a lot of unnecessary enemies. Hound Dog Unit. Item. At this time, the 2 Umbu organizations in Academy City have surrounded this house. The passers-by around it have been dispersed by them for some unknown reason. Now, all of the people here are members of the Hound Dog Unit wearing synthetic armor. And standing in the middle of these people is the leader of the Hound Dog Unit, Kihara Amada. Also, Mujino Shizuri, Kinohata Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku. Is the enemy inside? Kihara Amada said to a member of the Hound Dog Unit with an expressionless face. His voice is a bit low, but it's not hard to hear that he doesn't care. According to the detected data, a large number of military clones appeared last night and emitted electromagnetic waves with this building as the center. Combined with the other military clones' reactions to the missing body samples from the Misaka network, the enemy is most likely among them. Very likely? Kihara Amada suddenly smiled and looked at the reporting member. He grinned and said, You mean to say that the enemy's whereabouts is only a possibility? That member's back was soaked in sweat, but because he was wearing a thick armor, nothing could be seen. However, his trembling appearance could be clearly seen. Soon, with a gunshot, the member fell to the ground. The blood on his head flowed down his cheeks to the ground, evaporating the last bit of warmth. Kihara Amada did not even look at the corpse on the ground. He put away his gun as if he had not killed a person but a dog. Trash does not have the right to live in this world. This is one of the rules, in Kihara Amada's heart. There is another rule, and that is, subordinates are nothing more than a group of scum that can be abandoned by their leader at any time after their value has been exhausted. The 4 members of Item frowned but quickly recovered. It seems like they also know about Kihara Amada's personality. It's just that they don't seem to like him, except for Mujino Shizuri. Kihara Amada looked at the other members and the mechanical dogs that were sniffing around on the ground. He asked, What's the reaction of the smell detector? Yes, there is indeed a human aura inside. That's enough. Kihara Amada clapped his hands. As long as it's inside, no matter who it is, kill them all. But the orders from the higher-ups. Kihara Amada glanced at the member who spoke and that member stopped talking. Kihara Amada turned around and said, The higher-ups only want the military clones, why are they looking for them? They can just recreate them. As for whether the original source is willing to provide the DNA, that's not up to her. Wu Yan, who is hiding not too far away, heard Kihara Amada's words. His eyes flashed with a cold glint as he stared at Kihara Amada with a murderous intent. Ikaros and Astria sensed Wu Yan's murderous intent at the same time. Their faces turned cold as data flashed in their eyes. Alright, let's stop here. If we go any further, we will be discovered by Takitsubu Riku. The girls stopped moving. Wu Yan nodded and looked at Ikaros and Astria. Ikaros, Astria, try not to use your wings, got it? Academy City is a scientific city, but Chairman Alistair isn't someone who believes in science. Before he founded Academy City, he was a magician. If Ikaros and Astria use their wings, they will be mistaken for angels. If Alistair finds out there are 2 angels in his territory, he will flip the entire Academy City upside down. That's why Wu Yan warned the girls. Of course he meant, try your best. If the girls are in any danger, he doesn't care if Academy City is overturned or not. Yes, Master. Wu Yan nodded and exchanged a look with Chuju. The two of them leaped away, leaving Ikaros and Astria behind. Sky Queen mode. After Wu Yan and Chuju left, Ikaros's pupils turned crimson red. A halo appeared on her head and her hair swelled up. The wings of light that appeared with her in the past didn't appear this time. Ikaros hid them in her clothes. Compared to Ikaros, Astria didn't change at all. She took out a sword hilt with a blue gauntlet. Chrysor, super vibrating photon blade. A blue lightsaber came out of the sword hilt. The body of the sword vibrated slightly, and the air surrounding the body of the sword was instantly wiped clean, leaving not even a bit of it behind. After adjusting themselves to their best condition, the two women took out 2 more capsules and swallowed them at the same time. Then a miraculous scene happened. Ikaros and Astria's bodies distorted. 2 completely unfamiliar faces appeared on their faces. Even their bodies were distorted. The two of them became shorter by a few centimeters. Even Wu Yan wouldn't be able to recognize them if he didn't know what was going on. At the same time, the hounds had begun to invade the room. As long as they saw anything suspicious, they would fire at it with their submachine guns. Kihara Amida, on the other hand, was leading the way. Together with the other 4 members of IDEM, they headed towards the direction of Takitsubu Riku and the robot dog. When they passed by a room, the robot dog stopped. Takitsubu Riku pointed at the door and said with a complicated expression, "The target has been discovered." Mujino Shizuri and Kihara Amita laughed at the same time. Mujino Shizuri immediately raised her hand and a meltdown atom burst through the door, breaking through the wall and smashing everything in the room into smithereens. However, Mujino Shizuri wasn't happy. Instead, her face turned dark. The veins on her forehead were throbbing. Kihara Amita narrowed his eyes. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. In the room there wasn't even a bed, let alone a person. Only a few words were written on the wall in front of them, words that infuriated Mujino Shizuri and Kihara Amida. "Take your time, idiot." Meltdown atom was used. Mujino Shizuri turned her head to look at Takitsubu Riku after destroying the wall with the words, "Takitsubu, didn't you say the target is here?" Takitsubu Riku seemed to be at a loss of what to do. She closed her eyes and carefully sensed for a moment. Her head also began to turn. Then she stopped at the floor of the room. Looking at the few chips that were thrown on the floor, she pointed at them in astonishment. The target's AIM came from these chips. "What did you say?" Kihara Amita laughed in disdain. "You're saying these chips can spread the AIM field? Ah, that's the funniest joke I've ever heard." Kinuhata Sai, who was standing at the back, was even more disdainful. "Didn't your dog also discover the target's location?" Kihara Amita's face turned dark. He clenched his teeth and kicked the smell detector robot dog into pieces. Right at this moment, something unexpected happened. Chapter 177. Screams of agony traveled into everyone's ears. Kihara Amita, Mujino Shizuri and the others who were staring at the chip were stunned. "What's going on?" Kihara Amita frowned. A very ominous premonition suddenly rose in his heart. People like Kihara Amida always believed in their intuition. He immediately waved his hand. "Go out and take a look." Just as Kihara Amida finished speaking, Takitsubu Riku looked out of the window and said, Mujino Shizuri, who has been working with Takitsubu Riku for a long time, seemed to understand what she meant. "Did the target appear?" "Who knew?" Takitsubu Riku shook her head. She was a little confused as she hesitantly said, "It's not a target, it's 2 very unfamiliar targets." Mujino Shizuri didn't notice Takitsubu Riku's hesitation. However, Frenda and Kinuhata Sai, who were standing beside Takitsubu Riku, noticed it. They looked at each other in confusion. What they didn't know is that Takitsubu Riku is hesitating because the sudden appearance of the AIM field gave her a bad feeling. That's why she subconsciously hesitated. If Wu Yan knew what Takitsubu Riku was thinking, he'd be shocked. Ikaros and Astria aren't aptitude users. This AIM field was forged by them using their own abilities. After all, Ikaros's identity in Academy City is LV4. If she doesn't have an AIM field, wouldn't that mean there's a problem? As for Astria, she forgot her identity in Academy City, so just in case, Wu Yan told her to forge one. Even if she's a useless aptitude user, she can still use the excuse that she suddenly leveled up. With their abilities as angeloids, it's easy for them to forge a field. No matter how good the detector is, it won't be able to detect that the AIM field is fake. Takitsubo Riku, on the other hand, noticed something amiss. Regardless of what Takitsubo Riku was thinking, the current Mujino Shizuri would definitely not know. She was holding a ball of light in her hand. The ball of light formed by the meltdown of atoms was emitting a sickly green glow in her palm. Mujino Shizuri sneered. Just in time, I'm in a bad mood right now. Before Kinohata Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubo Riku could react, Mujino Shizuri had already left. Hearing more and more screams and all kinds of noises outside, as well as the sound of his subordinates firing their submachine guns, Kihara Amida could no longer sit still. Of course, it wasn't because he cared about the safety of his subordinates. Without saying a word, Kihara Amida also walked out. Kinohata Sai and Frenda looked at each other, then at Takitsubo Riku. Hey, Takitsubo, that guy shouldn't have appeared, right? When she said this, Kinohata Sai's tone was filled with anticipation. Frenda also looked at Takitsubo Riku with the same expression. No. Takitsubo Riku shook her head unnaturally. Kinohata Sai and Frenda heaved a sigh of relief. That's great. I'll be able to unleash my full strength. When everyone walked out of the house, the scene that appeared in front of them caused them to be involuntarily startled. They were astonished. The members of the Hounds raised the weapons in their hands and fired at the two unfamiliar women. One of them is standing far away, shooting out cherry-colored missiles from nowhere, causing the Hound Dog unit members to suffer heavy casualties. The other girl is holding a lightsaber, swinging it at the Hound Dog unit members who are close to her. Her smooth movements and exquisite taijutsu caused the Hound Dog unit members to either die or be heavily injured. In just a short moment, over 100 Hound Dog unit members are lying on the ground. Were these two supergirls? Kinohata Sai looked at the two girls in surprise. Whether it is the destructive power of the missile-shooting girl or the exquisite taijutsu of the sword-wielding girl, they both made her very surprised. Kihara Amita raised his hand and said coldly, I don't care who they are. Since they're here, let's kill them all. Hearing this, 3 of the 4 girls from Item disdained his words. Kihara Amida, who was arrogant but had no ability, they looked down on him from the bottom of their hearts. They wouldn't listen to his words that were like an order. Even Mujino Shizuri, who was about to attack, put away her meltdowner and stood to the side, watching the Hound Dog unit members being hunted down. Seeing that, Kihara Amida's eyes flashed with killing intent and hatred. Mujino Shizuri and the others looked down on him. Why would he look up to Mujino Shizuri and the others? In his eyes, the so-called ability users were nothing more than little white mice. But now is not the time to start a conflict with Mujino Shizuri and the others. He can only swallow his anger. But his face is tense. Looking at the struggling Hound Dog unit members on the ground, he cursed them a few times. What are you doing? Quickly surround them. Kihara Amita coldly shouted and at the same time gave the order. Team 1, Team 2, use your ranged weapons to shoot at the one with the sword. Team 3, Team 4, charge at the guy who fired the missile. Kihara Amida is indeed the leader of the Hound Dog unit. With just a few orders, the members who were panicking due to the heavy casualties started to attack in an orderly manner. Facing the sudden change in fighting style of the Hound Dog unit, Ikaros and Astria felt a little uncomfortable. Seeing this, Kihara Amita shouted at the other members. Push that thing up. The 4 Item members looked at Kihara Amita in confusion, as if they didn't know what that was. The Item members, on the other hand, shouted, yes, and pushed a car up. As soon as it was pushed up, the side box of the car was opened. As the side box was opened, something that looked like a stereo appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Seeing this stereo, Ikaros and Astria's expression turned serious. They looked at the stereo and data started to flow in their eyes. But soon, the data in their eyes stopped and they continued to attack the Hound Dog unit as if nothing happened. Under the puzzled gazes of the 4 Item members, Kihara Amida smiled sinisterly. Capacity down device. Release it. Right after he said that, an ear-piercing sound was released from the stereo. Hearing this sound, Mujino Shizuri, Kinohata Sai, Takitsubo Riku and Frenda trembled. They covered their heads and squatted on the ground in pain. What the hell is going on? Kinohata Sai screamed in pain, but Frenda and Takitsubo Riku were even worse than her. They couldn't speak at all. Kihara Amida didn't even frown when he saw Item's pained expression. Instead, he laughed and said, I didn't think that brat's invention would be so useful. You bastard. The moment Mujino Shizuri moved, she covered her head and knelt down again. She didn't even have the strength to glare at Kihara Amida. Kihara Amida smiled at them as if he wanted to take revenge. However, the screams that came again made his smile freeze on his face. In his mind, the two girls who couldn't move due to the capacity down device and were torn to shreds by his subordinates were still alive and kicking, harvesting the lives of his subordinates. Damn it. What capacity down device? It's really useless. Kihara Amada's face was ashen. He didn't have the time to think about why the capacity down device didn't work on the two women. Instead, he blamed everything on the capacity down device. How would he know Ikaros and Astria don't have superpowers? How could they be affected by the device? The AIM that Takitsubu Riku detected was fake. Chapter 178. Artemis, Ikaros muttered under her breath. No one heard her, but it triggered a huge reaction. Countless cherry-colored lights shot out from her back and landed in the middle of the Hound Dog unit in a blink of an eye. The moment the missiles landed, the people in the center were blown away. They laid on the ground and couldn't get up anymore. Those who were closer to them were also caught in the blast. Screams of agony filled the air. Compared to Ikaros, Astria was much more straightforward. She waved her Chrysor around like a tiger, slaughtering whoever came her way. She might be slower than Ikaros, but it was still clean. She paved a path for those who fell under her feet. The veins on Kihara Amada's forehead were bulging. Clearly he was enraged to the extreme. However, his expression did not change. He glanced at Mujino Shizuri and the other three who were clutching their heads in pain and snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, the capacity down device was turned off. You bastard. The moment the voice stopped, Mujino Shizuri went berserk. She grabbed a meltdowner in her hand and was about to throw it at Kihara Amada. Kihara Amada was expressionless. He only said one sentence. Is this okay? You should know that we Hound Dog unit are directly under the orders of the higher-ups. Mujino Shizuri's expression changed. Her meltdowner dimmed as well. Kihara Amada turned his head and looked at Ikaros and Astria. Let's think of a way to deal with those two first. You guys don't want to fail the mission, right? Mujino Shizuri looked at Kihara Amada with a dark expression. She waved her hand at Wu Yan's house and blasted the wall with her meltdowner. Mujino Shizuri threw out a few more meltdowners before looking at Ikaros and Astria. A dangerous glint flashed in her eyes. That guy is going to suffer. Kinohara Sai gloated at Kihara Amada. She knew that Mujino Shizuri's gaze wasn't directed at the two girls. Mujino is a vengeful person. Frenda rubbed her head cutely and spread her hands. In the end, that dog thought that he could live peacefully by relying on the people above him. Even if she didn't kill him, Mai Yi had her ways to make him suffer. Poor guy. Kihara Amada didn't hear Kinohara Sai and Frenda's conversation. Even if he did, he probably wouldn't care. Mujino Shizuri and the others probably don't understand that the higher-ups Kihara Amada mentioned aren't the useless people in the board of directors. At this moment, Mujino Shizuri has already walked out. Slowly walking to the front of the hounds, Mujino Shizuri raised her voice. You guys came at the wrong time. Just in time. I've suffered enough today. After that, several orbs of light suddenly appeared around Mujino Shizuri and circled around her. Then, without warning, meltdowner shot out from the orbs towards Ikaros. It wasn't that Mujino Shizuri recognized Ikaros' identity. It's just that Ikaros is far more of a threat to her than Astria. After all, Astria is a close-range fighter. Meltdowners are perfect against close-range opponents. Ikaros looked at the incoming meltdowner atom. Her eyes flashed and the trajectory of the meltdowner atom was calculated. She dodged the meltdowner atom and looked at Mujino Shizuri with her crimson eyes. Even though she can't use Absolute Defense Circle for the sake of her master, Wu Yan didn't say that she can't initiate an attack. Artemis, the cherry-colored missile with a cherry-colored glow streaked across the air. Under everyone's gaze, it came from Mujino Shizuri. Mujino Shizuri reached out her hand and drew a circle in front of her. Following her movement, the meltdowners were pulled into a circular fan shape. The missiles were melted into powder the moment they came into contact with the fan shape. After all the missiles were melted into powder, Mujino Shizuri looked at Ikaros. She saw an afterimage charging at her and her pupils shrunk. Ikaros raised a fist and under Mujino Shizuri's horrified expression, she punched her in the stomach. Ah! Mujino Shizuri reflexively covered her stomach and lowered her head, only to see a knee raised towards her face. Under everyone's stunned gaze, Ikaros' knee landed on Mujino Shizuri's face and sent her flying. She fell to the ground and fainted. That's super impossible. Kinohara Sai couldn't believe it. Their captain was defeated by the opponent in a single exchange. Frenda and Takitsubu Riku were also stunned and couldn't recover from their shock. Kihara Amata clenched his fists when he saw Mujino Shizuri being defeated in an instant. The way he looked at Ikaros and Astria changed. At least he didn't look at them with the same disdain as before. Even a LV5 was defeated in a single exchange. How could Kihara Amata still look down on them? Actually, Mujino Shizuri's defeat was understandable. After all, she neglected Ikaros's close combat ability. Not just her, even Wu Yen forgot that Ikaros's close combat ability is also very strong. Even if it's not as good as Astria, who specializes in close combat, it's not something any random person can match up to. At the very least in this academy city, other than Wu Yen, Hinajiku, Astria, and Iwa. Ikaros is the strongest in terms of melee combat. However, compared to her long-range attack, Ikaros's close combat ability is much weaker. That's why everyone neglected the fact that Ikaros can also fight in close combat. Mujino Shizuri's defeat can be attributed to her carelessness. She saw Ikaros didn't use close combat and thought she wouldn't be able to fight in close combat. Of course, if she fought Ikaros seriously, she would have lost without a doubt. Where the hell did these two strong women come from? Kihara Amata gritted his teeth. He's at his wit's end. 2/3 of his men are down and Item's women are probably unreliable. He can only rely on external forces. What else can he do? At this time, Kihara Amata's communicator suddenly rang. Kihara Amata was stunned. He picked it up and looked at it. His face was completely filled with anger. He slammed the communicator in his hand on the ground. Kihara Amata was breathing heavily. He even let out a few low growls. Damn it. I've been completely fooled. What's going on? Kinuhata Sai asked subconsciously. However, her eyes were still on Ikaros and Astria, who weren't far away from her. Kihara Amata lowered his head and said in a low voice. The research facility was infiltrated again. Infiltrated? Frenda was shocked. You mean, these guys are in cahoots? They used a trick to lure us here, and the mastermind invaded the unguarded research facility. It seems that these two women are just bait. After that, he ignored the stunned Kinuhata Sai, Takitsubu Riku and Frenda and shouted at the Hound Dog Unit members. Everyone retreat. The Hound Dog Unit members stopped in their tracks and slowly retreated to the sides. Too bad they didn't ask for permission from their master. Artemis, following the loud boom, the sound of missiles bombarding the area was heard. What followed was the screams of the Hound Dog Unit members. They aren't going to keep them here, right? Frenda, Kinuhata Sai, and Takitsubu Riku, who rescued Mujino Shizuri, looked at each other and retreated. What does the Hound Dog Unit's survival have to do with them? Retreat. All of you retreat. Only the screams of the Hound Dog Unit members and Kihara Amata's furious roar could be heard. Chapter 179. That day the hounds were almost completely wiped out. Only a few of them managed to escape, with Kihara Amata, who was hit by a stray bullet. The hounds are basically nothing now. Of course, when Kihara Amata recovers, he will definitely form the hounds again. However, by then, most of the Misaka sisters would have been rescued by Wu Yen. Item had 1 injured and 3 unharmed. Even though they didn't suffer a lot of casualties, they still managed to retreat in a sorry state. This time, the hounds and Item who came to stop the so-called intruders could only be declared as failures. Not only that, but the military clones that were originally gathered by the Research Institute for Protection were almost all stolen by the sudden intruders. Almost all of the Misaka sisters disappeared. Even the Misaka sisters who participated in the project and were killed by Accelerator were all stolen. In the end, only a few hundred of the Misaka sisters were rescued by the Research Institute during the chaos. The rest were all stolen. Almost everyone related to the Absolute Aptitude User Evolution project started smashing things in their homes. The main person in charge of the project, Amai Ao, fainted when he heard the news. With only a few hundred Misaka sisters left, the Absolute Aptitude User Evolution plan can no longer continue. It can only be frozen and hope that one day the missing Misaka sisters can be found or the original DNA can be retrieved. Then they can come back and take a look. As for the Absolute Aptitude User Evolution project's promoter, Amai Ao, he escaped with a huge amount of money on his back. No one knows where he went. This incident can be considered to have come to an end. Of course, the higher-ups know that this is only temporary. Right now, the entire project is leaning towards the missing person notice. The people living in Academy City didn't know that on the surface of peace, the undercurrents were so turbulent that they could bury even the tiniest trespassers. Academy City School District 7, inside the windowless building. What do you plan to do? A voice that seemed to come from the heavens, mixed with a lot of busy tones, sounded in this strange space. As the voice came out, the air in this space seemed to condense and it was very heavy. Alistair's unchanging body floated slightly in the culture tank filled with liquid. He wasn't surprised by the sudden voice but remained silent. After learning his lesson several times, Alistair was no longer doing useless things. He knew that his greatest intelligence-gathering ability, the hovering loop, was useless against the mastermind this time. Therefore he didn't check the images of the scene. After listening to the report, he remained in this state. Are you planning to give up? Alistair finally reacted a little. To be more precise, he took some action. A projection screen appeared in front of him. Looking at the image on the screen, Alistair didn't say anything. He knew that the owner of the voice knew what he meant. And the image on the screen was Mikoto herself. It's not like you to take this step. His voice was still as calm as an ancient well. Although it was very strange, it was not difficult to hear the indifference in it. Of course, to him, to him, nothing really mattered. When Alistair heard this, he immediately turned off the projection screen and closed his eyes. After a long time, he finally said something. Stop, it's not like me at all. On the other side in Wu Yan's house, of course, it wasn't the house that was smashed full of holes by Mujino Shizuri and Kihara Amata. It was Wu Yan's new house. Wu Yan was sitting on the ground with a small notebook in his hand. His hand didn't move, but the contents on the screen kept changing. Only a small amount of electricity flowed from Wu Yan's hand into the small notebook. After completing the last step, Wu Yan stopped the electricity in his hand. Putting away the notebook, Wu Yan stretched lazily, feeling very satisfied. How could he not be satisfied? This time, not only did he make a fool out of those hateful hounds, causing them to suffer heavy casualties, he even almost managed to save his sisters. Now, the sisters in Wu Yan's biocontainment device, including the ones he saved with his genetic life serum, number more than 19,000. As long as he can save the remaining few hundred sisters, Mikoto's wish will be fulfilled. His first mission will also be completed. Now that almost all of the sisters are in his hands, the Absolute Aptitude User Evolution Project can no longer be carried out. In the future, there shouldn't be any more sisters dying. Although the sisters can be brought back to life, Wu Yan doesn't want them to go through the experience of death. So, it's best if there are no casualties. Wu Yan knows that the remaining few hundred sisters won't be that easy to save. With their numbers reduced, the research institute will have more manpower to protect them. From now on he can only take it slow. Looking at the notebook in his hand, Wu Yan smiled. Mikoto's ability is really useful. If it wasn't for this ability, I would have to ask Ikaros to erase the records of my cheap house. Facing those so-called scientific researchers, how could Wu Yan not think of anything? Although he admits that he can't be compared to Alistair in terms of intelligence, Wu Yan still has the ability to deal with those people who have lost their minds. Fortunately, with Mikoto's ability, it's easy for her to tamper with any data. This saved Wu Yan a lot of unnecessary trouble. Touching the biocontainment device on his wrist, Wu Yan couldn't help but smile. When he thought of the sisters in there, he couldn't help but want to let them out and interact with them. It's a pity that once they are released, Wu Yan's house would probably be surrounded by them. Also, the sisters are still recovering their bodies. Unlike the instant effect of genetic life supplement, the healing effect of genetic perfection supplement is a slow process. Well, take it slow. Wu Yan looked at the biocontainment device and smiled at it. It's as if he's talking to the sisters. Mikoto is also very happy. A voice suddenly came from behind Wu Yan, startling Wu Yan. He turned around and when he saw the owner of the voice, he helplessly shook his head. Don't you know that you can scare people to death? Chuju. Chuju flipped her beautiful pink hair without a care and sat in front of Wu Yan. She said, I talked to Mikoto on the phone. Mikoto already knows what happened last night. She's very happy, so many sisters were saved. Wu Yan heard this and rolled his eyes at Chuju. You're still on the phone, aren't you afraid of being monitored? Chuju, on the other hand, was disdainful. Since you already thought of it, I don't believe you didn't prepare at all. Wu Yan spread his hands and smiled proudly. Chuju looked at him with hatred and resisted the urge to bite him. Chuju thought of something inside. I really didn't expect there to be so many people who are exactly like Mikoto. Wu Yan laughed. If the sisters know you call them people, they'll be very happy. Chuju also laughed. Yeah, they're happy because of something that's only natural. How cute, I also want a sister. Wu Yan heard Chuju's words and looked at Chuju. He stared at her until she felt uncomfortable and then he said with an evil smile. Well, if you want a sister, I can't help it. Wu Yen moved to Chuju's side and hugged her under Chuju's surprised cry. But if you want a daughter, I can help you. Chuju's face suddenly turned red. What did I say? I don't want. Wu. Chapter 180. The plan to evolve absolute ability users was put on hold. The matter came to a close. Wu Yen also had some free time. Now that the sisters don't have to die anymore, he has plenty of time to save them. As long as he grinds it out, even if it's one a day, he will be able to save all of them. During the day, Wu Yen would take a stroll around Academy City with a group of beautiful girls. He would set off flashbangs all over Academy City. It's quite a joyous occasion. At night he would have sex without any shame. Of course his partner is still Chuju. As for Ikaros and Astria, Wu Yen doesn't have the guts to push them down yet. Even if Ikaros and Astria said they wanted to make Wu Yen happy, Wu Yen wouldn't dare to push them down in public with Kaisha-sama at home. That's why he needs the right time, the right place, and the right people. Wu Yan's words. Of course, Wu Yen would occasionally go back to being a cat burglar and try to steal one or two Misaka sisters. However, the sisters are now heavily protected. Even Wu Yen can't do anything without being exposed. Under such circumstances, Wu Yen could only steal one or two Misaka sisters when the researchers weren't paying attention. The rest of the time he would have to return empty-handed. As time passed, Wu Yen became frustrated, but he still persisted in visiting in hopes of finding an opportunity or two. Apart from this, Wu Yen seems to have returned to being a normal person. He's living a normal life, enjoying the treatment that he could only see on the screen. As for Mikoto, that girl would come to Wu Yan's place every 2 to 3 days. Her excuse is that she's too bored, but no one believes her. If that was the case, it wouldn't be a big deal. After all, Wu Yen has seen plenty of the Tsundere Misaka Mikoto. However, every time Mikoto visits, there would be a Yuri girl with 2 ponytails following her around. This perverted creature, Kuriko, would often bare her fangs at Wu Yen when Mikoto couldn't see. She looked like she wanted to eat Wu Yen alive. This gave Wu Yen a headache. It also made Wu Yen, who was looking forward to another flight together with her. Mikoto also felt awkward. She doesn't know why, but Kuriko has been sticking to her. Every time Mikoto goes out, she would make a fuss and insist on following her. There were a few times when she didn't even go to the disciplinary committee. Mikoto has a headache. Wu Yen was probably the only one who knew that the Yuri girl was following him around to prevent Mikoto from being violated by him. However, she didn't know that Mikoto had already been violated by him. If she knew, Wu Yen is sure that he would have a few more steel needles inserted into his body every day. Mikoto and Kuriko's arrival caused the other 2 cute creatures of the Super Canon Quartet to come to Mikoto's place frequently. They mingled with Ikaros, Astria, Chuju, and the others. They also left Wu Yen to the side, leaving Wu Yen to mourn in a corner. Hinajiku and the rest were very happy with the arrival of the Super Canon Quartet, because every time they came, they would bring with them 1 or 2 strange adventure stories. The Void Explosion Incident, Fantasy Mitaru Incident, Fantasy Beast Incident, and Open Up Incident happened every few days. Astria's eyes lit up every time she saw the Super Gunner Quartet. She was looking forward to hearing new stories to listen to. Every time this happens, Wu Yen would sit alone in a corner and listen to the so-called adventure stories from Mikoto and the others. His mouth would twitch and his lower body would ache. His entire body would feel like it was in pain. Can't you see the plot? I've seen it countless times on the screen. It had already been replayed dozens of times, hadn't it? I can't afford to be hurt. Can't you see? Can't you see? On the other hand, Wu Yen couldn't help but sigh in relief when he heard that the plot didn't change. At least this forbidden world is still the forbidden world he's familiar with. Time passed by peacefully until one day. Master. Wu Yen, who was browsing on the computer, turned around when he heard Ikaros' voice. When he saw Ikaros, Wu Yen couldn't help but be stunned. The current Ikaros is getting more and more emotional. Even though Ikaros would only change when she's with him or talking about him, the effect is very good. Now, whenever Wu Yen stares at Ikaros' eyes for more than 3 seconds, Ikaros would blush and turn her head away. That cute look made Wu Yen think she's cute. Ikaros would also appear in Wu Yan's room every morning and get bullied by Wu Yen once or twice. This caused her ample bosom to become unrestrained under the cover of her clothes. This caused Ikaros' charm to increase by several percentage points. Facing Ikaros, who is getting prettier by the day, even Wu Yen, who has been looking at this face every day, even if he has kissed this face, he would still be in a daze from time to time. This is a testament to Ikaros' charm. Seeing her master staring at her in a daze again, Ikaros couldn't help but blush. She lowered her head, only then did Wu Yen come back to his senses. Rubbing his nose, Wu Yen smiled at Ikaros. At the same time, he called her a vixen in his heart. Looking at Ikaros' hot body, Wu Yen felt that it wouldn't be strange if one day he couldn't hold it in and pushed her down. "What's the matter, Ikaros?" Ikaros fidgeted for a bit before handing a letter to Wu Yen. "Master, just now someone brought you a letter like this. He said it's for you." "A letter for me?" Wu Yen looked at the letter in Ikaros' hand in surprise. He scratched his head suspiciously and took it. Casually flipping through it a couple of times, he's puzzled. Logically speaking, he didn't have any acquaintances when he was assigned the identity by the system, and after coming to Academy City, he didn't know anyone either who would send him something. As for Mikoto and the rest, Wu Yen directly rejected that idea. They come here every day. If they want to give him something, they can just take it. Why would they send it? Unable to figure it out, Wu Yen tore the envelope open. What entered his eyes was a red envelope with a golden border. On the envelope there were 3 big words written on it. Invitation letter? Wu Yen was even more puzzled. Looking at the 3 small words at the bottom right corner of the letter, Wu Yen was surprised again. Tokuwadai. Could it be the Tokuwadai Midsummer Festival invitation letter from the original work? Wu Yen suddenly had a flash of inspiration, and then shook his head to deny it. If it really is that Midsummer Festival, Mikoto who came this morning would have invited him. Searching the letter again, Wu Yen saw that there was another letter inside. Immediately he picked up the milk tea on the side and opened it while drinking. A very elegant and beautiful line of words was imprinted into Wu Yan's vision. To the beloved Wu Yen, Sir. Sir Wu Yen. Greetings. Sorry to disturb you. If there is any inconvenience, please forgive me, sir. When I was at Tokuwadai, this concubine had heard of your name. This concubine was very curious about you. Since the day I heard of your name, this concubine could not forget about you. She wished that she could personally talk to you. This concubine's thoughts were, "Today I really can't hold back my desire to see your excellency. Therefore, I personally wrote an invitation letter and handed it to your excellency. I hope that your excellency will not be stingy and will be able to meet me. I am extremely grateful to your excellency." Looking at this genteel and ambiguous letter, more like a love letter than an invitation letter, Wu Yen helplessly shook his head. At the same time, he sighed in his heart. As expected of someone from Tokuwadai, there was both a concubine and sir. The style of a big miss is undeniable. However, this also made Wu Yen certain that the owner of this letter was definitely not Mikoto. If Mikoto could write such a genteel letter, she wouldn't be Mikoto. When Wu Yen saw the signature at the bottom, his eyes suddenly widened, and he spat out the milk tea in his mouth and cried out involuntarily. How could it be her? Chapter 181. Academy City School District 7, Tokuwadai. Wu Yen stood in front of a door that was much taller than the wall. He looked at the inspection facility in front of him. For some reason he couldn't bring himself to walk in. He was still holding the invitation letter that made him want to spit out milk. Wu Yen had mixed feelings. He didn't know what kind of expression he should use to face what's about to come. After all, why would they invite a person like him who has no accomplishments in Academy City and is even considered a delinquent in his personal records to come here? Being familiar with the original plot, even if his IQ is limitless, he would have more or less guessed the reason. It's probably because of Mikoto. Looking at the name on the invitation, Wu Yan's lips twitched, but he said with certainty. That's why Wu Yan didn't bring Ikaros and Astria with him. Who knew what that black-bellied guy was plotting again? If Mikoto finds out that I've come all the way here to look for someone as annoying as her, she'll definitely give me an electric shock without a second thought. That guy, don't tell me he's just trying to flirt with me and then inform Mikoto to catch me? This kind of plot from the 8 o'clock TV? Wu Yen made up a story with a fake smile. He sighed and walked towards the door. Screw it, if worst comes to worst, I'll just *CK her up. Walking on a small path, Wu Yen looked around and felt a bit puzzled. He thought that he would go through layers upon layers of checks before being released. After all, he's a guy who wouldn't be at ease if he came to a place where there are only girls. Who would have thought that after he showed the invitation in his hand, there would be no obstructions along the way? Of course, along the way the girls would look at him as if he was a prehistoric beast or a beast. Wu Yen-sama, this is the place. My mistress is waiting for you inside. After walking for some time, the girl who came out of nowhere to lead the way stopped in front of a building and said respectfully to Wu Yen. Of course, if you look closely, you'll notice that the girl kept looking at Wu Yen with suspicion. If you look closely, you'll notice she's the girl from Tokuwadai who saw Wu Yen and Mikoto going out on a date. Wu Yen stopped and looked at the building in front of him. With Wu Yen's eyesight, he saw a girl with long blonde hair sitting in front of a table on the balcony on the second floor of the building. When he saw this figure, Wu Yen thought to himself. Then, under the guidance of the Tokuwadai girl, he walked inside. She had long blonde hair and a voluptuous and perfect figure. She was wearing Tokuwadai's school uniform, but her hands and feet were covered in white long gloves and stockings with spider web patterns. She was a beautiful girl that people couldn't take their eyes off of at first glance. She closed her eyes and sat in front of a white round table. She held a cup of tea in her hand and placed it next to her seductive mouth. She was drinking it little by little. Her movements were very elegant. With one look, you can tell she's a typical rich young lady. Beautiful girl, red tea, balcony, blue sky and white clouds. These four images formed a moving scene. Even Wu Yen, who knew the character of the girl in front of him, couldn't help but sigh at how beautiful this scene was. As for the Tokuwadai girl who led Wu Yen, she was already intoxicated by the scene. Her eyes were filled with deep infatuation. Looking at the beautiful blonde girl and then looking at the guide who is immersed in the other party's world, he felt helpless. The two of them aren't going to stay in this stalemate, are they? Wu Yen didn't have the patience to stand here and watch the beauty drink tea. Although looking at beauties was a good pastime, it was only to the extent of passing the time. In his home, there were many beautiful girls who weren't inferior to the former. Wu Yen might have cultivated a lot of immunity during this period of time. Therefore, Wu Yen didn't hesitate to break the scene and walked over. His action not only woke up the Tokuwadai girl who led the way, it also shocked her. She, a woman, had already lost herself in the other party's world. How could this seemingly ordinary? How could a man like that remain unmoved? Is he not a man? If Wu Yen knew what the Tokuwadai girl was thinking, he might want to take off his pants. Perhaps hearing Wu Yen's footsteps, the blonde girl paused and slowly put down the cup in her hand. She looked in Wu Yen's direction and opened her eyes. In an instant, heaven and earth seemed to be overshadowed. The sky seemed to have lost all color. Nothing was left except for the pair of golden eyes that were like stars falling from the night sky. They were shining faintly. Stopping, Wu Yen looked at the pair of starry eyes that he had seen countless times on the screen. After being stunned for a moment, he couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. What a beautiful pair of eyes. The girl who had an indifferent expression and graceful demeanor suddenly froze. Her expression changed abruptly after Wu Yen said that. She looked at Wu Yen with a look of disbelief. Wu Yen felt a bit helpless. Although it's not a bad thing to have a beauty staring at you in a daze, it's a bit unnatural to be stared at like that, right? Wu Yen shrugged and said, I say, Queen-sama, can you not look at me like that? This sentence caused the stunned girl to be even more stunned. She even asked in surprise, You know me? Shokuho Misaki, who blurted out her thoughts, immediately realized what she meant. She scolded herself for being stupid. Wu Yen laughed out loud when he heard her. One of Tokuwadai's two LV5s, ranked 5th in Academy City, mind control Shokuho Misaki. Who in Academy City doesn't know her? Please tell me, I'll help you beat her up. Shokuho Misaki was stunned for a moment before she burst out laughing. She covered her mouth with the back of her hand and laughed softly. Her queen-like personality is unmistakable. Sir Wu Yen sure is a humorous person. Shokuho Misaki's starry eyes curved into crescents. She looked very sweet. Inviting your excellency here was indeed the right choice. Wu Yen smiled and walked to the opposite side of Shokuho Misaki. Under the incredulous gaze of the Tokuwadai girl, he sat down in front of Shokuho Misaki. Then, Queen-sama, can you tell me why you called me here? Shokuho Misaki looked at Wu Yen and said with a smile, Era, didn't I say I wanted to talk to Sir? Talk. Wu Yen also smiled and shook his head. He jokingly said, Queen-sama, do you really believe that a beauty who can get hundreds of thousands of people to come to her door when she says she wants to talk to someone in Academy City would write an invitation letter to a hooligan who has nothing better to do all the time for a talk? Shokuho Misaki calmed down and casually raised the cup in front of her and drank from it. Suddenly, a burst of electric sparks appeared in front of Wu Yen. The sudden flash of electric sparks made Wu Yan's eyes hurt and he could only raise his hand to block them. Electromagnetic barrier? Seeing this, Shokuho Misaki was shocked. How could she not have seen this phenomenon before? This was obviously the railgun, the electromagnetic shield that Misaka Mikoto used to defend against her ability. Wu Yen narrowed his eyes, his heart was filled with helplessness. Looks like this cute thing with a great body didn't have any good intentions. If he didn't have the same ability as Mikoto, he would have been under her control by now. Wu Yen helplessly said to the stunned Shokuho Misaki. Are you satisfied now? Chapter 182. Why do you have the same ability as Misaka Mikoto? Shokuho Misaki held the remote in her hand, her face was full of disbelief. Not only because Wu Yen could resist her ability, but also because this familiar scene surprised her. Others might think that Wu Yan's ability is the same as the third person's ability. After all, in Academy City, there are a lot of people who can use electricity. But even if he can fool everyone, he can't fool the Tokuwadai Empress, Shokuho Misaki, who doesn't look like a high school student at all. An ability that can completely resist her ability, and it's the ability of her nemesis. How could Shokuho Misaki not have studied it before? Even if she mistook the ability of everyone in Academy City, Shokuho Misaki wouldn't mistake Misaka Mikoto's ability. Wu Yen smiled nonchalantly, he glanced at the remote in Shokuho Misaki's hand and said cheekily, "You want to know? Too bad I'm not telling you." Hearing Wu Yan's teasing, Shokuho Misaki's eyebrows twitched, she realized that she lost her composure. She couldn't help but be angry at herself. After all, she's only seen Wu Yen for a short while and she's already lost her composure countless times. This is something that would never happen in the past. Unfortunately, whether it's Wu Yan's lack of concern about her charm, or his heartfelt praise for her pair of monstrous eyes, or his ability that's exactly the same as Misaka Mikoto's, it's all challenging Shokuho Misaki's mental barrier. Shokuho Misaki originally thought that no matter what happens, she can face it calmly. After all, she has the ability to control her heart, she's seen countless darkness, she's been ruthlessly honed. But this man in front of her, his actions made Shokuho Misaki's originally calm heart flutter. She looked at the cheeky Wu Yen with a complicated expression. Shokuho Misaki quickly collected her emotions and returned to her usual calm self. Shokuho Misaki calmly put away the remote in her hand and grumbled. "I didn't expect you to have such an annoying ability." Wu Yen couldn't help but smile bitterly. Well, this ability is indeed annoying to Shokuho Misaki. But this Shokuho Misaki isn't as simple as she looks. Even a child knows that abilities can't be exactly the same, but she's still able to remain so calm after knowing his ability, as expected of mental control ability. What he didn't know is that after hiding her complicated feelings, Shokuho Misaki's attitude towards Wu Yen changed from one of playfulness to one of curiosity. He was unrestrained, and he was able to deal with things indifferently in front of her. His every word was incomparably casual, yet there was no flaw at all. How could such a person be a hoodlum? Even if Shokuho Misaki believed that the man in front of her was a woman, she didn't believe that he was a hoodlum. On top of that, she seemed to be in a relationship with the third person, and that person had the exact same ability as her. Shokuho Misaki's curiosity towards the man in front of her has reached a boiling point. Looking at Shokuho Misaki's starry eyes, Wu Yen felt a headache coming on. He used to like Queen Mo, but now that he's in front of her, Wu Yen knows that she's a woman you either don't mess with, or you have to be prepared to be eaten by her. Is the queen that easy to conquer? Wu Yen thinks that's nonsense. If he's in a relationship with the queen, then if he can't conquer her, then he can only be conquered. So, at least for now, Wu Yen doesn't have any thoughts towards the queen. Of course, that's only for now. Sighing helplessly, Wu Yen half-jokingly said, "I say, Jisama, if you look at me like that, I'll feel embarrassed." Shokuho Misaki smiled. "Can't help it, I'm really curious about you." What he said was indeed true. Curious about me? Wu Yen rolled his eyes at Shokuho Misaki. "I think you're just curious about who's with Mikoto." Hearing this, Shokuho Misaki paused for a moment, then laughed softly. "Era, it seems like you're really related to our Tokuwadai's electric princess." Wu Yen pursed his lips. "If I'm not related to Mikoto, then I don't think you'd come looking for me. Jisama, I'll explain it to you right here." "I'd like to hear the details." Maintaining the same smile, Shokuho Misaki looked at Wu Yen, but her heart couldn't help but flutter. The one talking to him is me, someone who has countless supporters. This guy, he actually looks like he's impatient with me. Does he dislike me that much? Wu Yen looked at Shokuho Misaki, then suddenly stood up and reached out his hand. Under Shokuho Misaki's stunned expression and the Tokuwadai girl who led the way, Wu Yen lifted her chin and said frivolously, "Jisama, don't worry about guarding your Tokuwadai. Mikoto won't participate in your turf war game, so you don't have to keep targeting her, it's meaningless." Shokuho Misaki's eyes narrowed, a bit of anger appeared in her heart. She looked at Wu Yan with stubbornness and persistence. After all, what she's been doing was called a game, how could it not be popular? Seeing Shokuho Misaki's expression, Wu Yan knew she didn't take his words seriously. He could only helplessly shake his head, looked straight into her eyes and said disapprovingly, "Maybe you think I'm talking big, but what I want to say is, Mikoto is destined to not stay in this small Tokuwadai. She has a bigger world waiting for her, that's where she shines." A bigger world? Shokuho Misaki was shocked. Wu Yan didn't look like he was joking. At this moment, she suddenly hoped that this young man in front of her was really just a hooligan who knows how to talk big. "Yes," Wu Yan said in a daze. Thinking about the vast continent of the Spalier world, thinking about the countless familiar dungeons in the system, Wu Yan's lips curled up, his heart suddenly filled with the pride of conquering the world. Shokuho Misaki stared blankly at Wu Yan's smiling face, that unbelievable speech still reverberated in her heart. Her intuition told her that everything Wu Yan said wasn't false. At this moment, Shokuho Misaki really felt small. Looking at Wu Yan, she couldn't help but ask, "Then this bigger world you speak of, where is it? Are you trying to say that Misaka Mikoto should be active in the entire Academy City?" Lightly shaking his head, Wu Yan smiled. "Well, who knows, maybe it's not this world." Shokuho Misaki wanted to laugh but she couldn't. She didn't know why, but her heart actually started to believe Wu Yan. It shocked her. "So, you don't have to worry about your so-called territory being taken away by Mikoto? I hope you won't be so hostile towards her in the future." One hand still holding Shokuho Misaki's chin, the other hand patted her smooth and delicate face. Wu Yan smiled at her and let go. "Well, I'm leaving, Jisama, we'll meet again if we have the chance." Wu Yan waved his hand and walked out. For him, the purpose of this visit was achieved. "Where are you going?" Shokuho Misaki couldn't help but ask a question that shocked her, Wu Yan and the Tokuwadai girl who led the way. Wu Yan's footsteps paused and he said in an annoyed tone, "Going back to find a pretty girl for a date, are you satisfied with this answer?" "Jisama." Shokuho Misaki suddenly laughed. "Allah, can't I catch your eye and become your date?" Hearing this, Wu Yan turned around and looked at Shokuho Misaki with a serious expression. Shokuho Misaki was just joking about Wu Yan ignoring her, and her expression became unnatural. He quickly walked over and grabbed her hand. "You want to go on a date with me? Then let's go, Jisama, I'll give you an unforgettable date." Chapter 183. Holding Shokuho Misaki's hand, the two hid in a corner, watching a group of Tokuwadai girls shouting "Jo-sama," while rushing towards them like a swarm of locusts. Only then did Wu Yan bring Shokuho Misaki out. Speechless, Wu Yan looked at the giggling Shokuho Misaki, speechless. "You sure have a lot of fans." Shokuho Misaki stroked her hair and smiled faintly. "That's why it's better if you don't kidnap people by force in the future." Wu Yan pursed his lips. He knows that Shokuho Misaki is unhappy with him for dragging her out. Actually, he didn't know why, but he just ran away with Shokuho Misaki on a whim. If it's a date, he was just joking, but since he brought her out, he might as well go on a date. After all, he's the one taking advantage of her. "Okay, the annoying guy is gone, let's go on a date like we agreed, Jo-sama." Wu Yan looked at the frozen Shokuho Misaki and said with a weird smile. Hearing Wu Yan's weird tone, Shokuho Misaki was a bit confused. Wu Yan didn't know why he suddenly dragged her out for a date, but how could Shokuho Misaki not know why she followed Wu Yan to avoid her subordinates? Originally, she said she wanted to be Wu Yan's date because she didn't want him to ignore her, so she made a joke. But now she can't back down. However, as the fifth master of Academy City, mind control, toying with people's minds was nothing out of the ordinary, including her own. Shokuho Misaki only needed to modify her mind a little before she calmed down. "I am looking forward to my date with you as well," Shokuho Misaki said in a serious tone. Wu Yan frowned when he saw how different Shokuho Misaki is compared to before. Wu Yan reached out and poked Shokuho Misaki's forehead, causing her to yelp in pain. "Don't show off your ability. Otherwise, you won't be happy about the date later." Shokuho Misaki rubbed her forehead. Hearing Wu Yan's words, she froze for a moment and went silent. Silently shutting down her ability, Shokuho Misaki mocked herself. "Yeah, this annoying ability, how can it make me happy?" Shokuho Misaki didn't know that her whispers were clearly heard by Wu Yan. Wu Yan turned to look at Shokuho Misaki and shook his head helplessly. Everyone in Academy City had their own stories. Mikoto was one, and so was Shokuho Misaki. Wu Yan grabbed Shokuho Misaki's hand and pulled her out of the room before she could react. "Since it's an ability you don't like, then don't use it? You don't want to use it?" Shokuho Misaki looked at Wu Yan. Of course, being held back, she could only see Wu Yan's back. That's easy for you to say. You don't understand anything at all. No, I understand. Wu Yan didn't even turn his head as he replied, shocking Shokuho Misaki. That's because I understand. Hearing Wu Yan's words, Shokuho Misaki lowered her head and looked at her hand in silence. No boy has ever held her hand before. This reckless guy, I really want to break free from him. That's what she thought, but she didn't do it. Even she herself found it hard to believe. Not knowing what's going on, she just let Wu Yan pull her hand and walked away. Walking on the streets of Academy City, Shokuho Misaki looked at the people around her, exclaiming and pointing at her from time to time. She could faintly hear words like pretty, beautiful, but most of them were eyes, stars, so strange, and so on. Shokuho Misaki gritted her teeth and lowered her head. She even closed her eyes, but doing so only made the whispers of the people around her clearer. Shokuho Misaki opened her eyes in anger, her computing power started to go crazy. She couldn't stand the people pointing at her, she decided to brainwash them. But before she could use her ability, she felt a sharp pain in her hand that was being held by Wu Yan. The calculations in her mind were replaced by pain and she stopped. You. Shokuho Misaki, who wanted to scold Wu Yan, glared at Wu Yan. But when she saw the helpless smile on Wu Yan's face, she couldn't bring herself to scold him. Wu Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He looked at Shokuho Misaki and said angrily, I say, did you make a mistake somewhere? What do you mean? Shokuho Misaki frowned. She didn't seem to understand what Wu Yan meant. Wu Yan shook his head and said to her, Did you see those gazes on you? Shokuho Misaki turned silent. Wu Yan helplessly poked her forehead with his finger, causing her to yelp in pain. He continued, You saw the gazes on you and the words they used to talk about you. Why didn't you notice the gazes on me and the words they used to talk about me? Shokuho Misaki, who was still holding her forehead, was startled. She looked around suspiciously at the gazes on Wu Yan. Then she froze. She saw that the gazes on Wu Yan were filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. They wanted to kill Wu Yan with their gazes. Compared to the words they said about her, it was obviously much more dangerous. Burn you to death, winner in life, curse you, and so on. Shokuho Misaki slowly turned her head and looked at Wu Yan's helpless and speechless face. She couldn't help but smile. Seeing Shokuho Misaki smile, the passers-by were also stunned. They couldn't move their eyes away from Shokuho Misaki. Seeing the infatuation in the eyes of the passers-by, Shokuho Misaki's smile became even sweeter. Even Wu Yan, who was always surrounded by flowers, couldn't help but take a few glances at her. See, don't think the worst of everything. Wu Yan rolled his eyes at Shokuho Misaki. Shokuho Misaki raised her hand to cover her mouth and laughed. Can I understand that you're comforting me? Her tone was very flirtatious, her eyes were very flirtatious, and her actions were very flirtatious. The passers-by looked at Wu Yan with fire in their eyes. Wu Yan's mouth twitched, looking at Shokuho Misaki's obviously smiling eyes. Wu Yan kept telling himself in his heart, don't be angry, it's easy to hurt your body. Under the resentment of the passers-by and Shokuho Misaki's vengeful smile, Wu Yan couldn't bear it anymore. He reached out his finger and poked it. Shokuho Misaki quickly covered her forehead. It looked like she was hugging her head and squatting down, very cute. He pulled Shokuho Misaki's hand and pulled her to his side. Shokuho Misaki looked at Wu Yan, who was standing next to her. Even she didn't notice that the corner of her mouth had involuntarily pulled up into a smile. The two walked side by side, hand in hand. At this moment it looked like they were on a date. If the date with Mikoto was filled with love and ripples, then the date with Shokuho Misaki was filled with sweetness and warmth. At this moment the two of them were just like a normal couple, going shopping together, eating snacks together, and playing games together. Even Shokuho Misaki had forgotten that she was dragged here because she couldn't back down. She was completely immersed in this experience that she had never experienced before. Towards the end, the smile on Shokuho Misaki's face never stopped. Her bell-like laughter kept ringing, attracting the attention of the passers-by. And it seems like a lot of people have noticed Shokuho Misaki's identity. They look like they've seen a ghost. In less than an hour, the news of Tokuwadai's Queen LV5's 5th place, Shokuho Misaki's date with a strange man, was posted on the internet. Other places don't know, but one thing is for sure, Tokuwadai is known by everyone, including a certain Bibibalai, Kuriko, and a perverted girl. Holding the phone, looking at the picture of Wu Yan and Shokuho Misaki holding hands and eating the same ice cream, a current flowed into the phone, causing it to smoke. The owner of the phone lowered her head with a gloomy expression. Wani-sama. Kuriko's face stiffened. Looking at the volcano in front of her, she couldn't find the words to add insult to injury. Chapter 184. Walking on the street, Wu Yen held a bag in each of his hands. Suddenly he felt a chill on his back, causing him to shiver violently. He looked around in bewilderment as if trying to find the source of the danger. What's wrong? Shokuho Misaki, who was holding Wu Yan's hand, of course felt Wu Yen shiver. She held an ice cream in her hand and looked at Wu Yen in confusion. Wu Yen scratched his head, knocked on his forehead and exhaled. Nothing, it's probably an illusion. Shokuho Misaki rolled her eyes at Wu Yen. You're being paranoid, are you still afraid of those subordinates? Wu Yan's face fell, he bitterly smiled. Well, who knows how they knew we were here if I didn't run fast enough. Recalling the assortment of weapons in the hands of the supporters of the Queen's faction, even scissors, Wu Yen couldn't help but feel a chill run down his spine. You're right, how did they know we were here? Shokuho Misaki frowned. She's good at scheming, subconsciously trying to figure out the answer to these questions. Wu Yen shrugged, he laughed. Who knows, maybe not just them, maybe the entire Tokuwadai knows we're here for a date. Wu Yen, who casually said this, got a bad premonition. Of course, the premonition came and went as quickly as it came. By the time Wu Yen reacted to it, it was already gone. Puzzled, Wu Yen touched his chest. Since he couldn't figure it out, he stopped thinking about it. He looked at Shokuho Misaki, who was deep in thought. He reached out and poked her forehead. Shokuho Misaki, who thought Wu Yen was going to poke her, almost screamed. Don't think about it, who cares what it is, it's not a life-threatening situation, why think so much? As he went on, his voice got weaker and weaker. Thinking about the tools in the hands of the girls that could humiliate him 100 times over, his mouth twitched. No, maybe I should think about it, this is definitely a life-threatening situation. Hearing Wu Yan's words, Shokuho Misaki couldn't help but laugh. She was amused by Wu Yan's strange confession. Shokuho Misaki probably didn't know that she smiled more today than she did in her entire life. Of course, excluding the fake smiles she used to deal with others. But after hearing Wu Yan's words, Shokuho Misaki didn't think too much about it. She licked the ice cream in her hand and put it in front of Wu Yan's mouth, to let Wu Yan take a bite. They've done this countless times before. Looking at how intimate they are, if they were to tell others that this is their first meeting, out of 100 people, 100 would not believe it. Maybe even the people involved wouldn't understand why. Walking on the street, Wu Yan suddenly stopped and looked at a building. His eyes seemed to be fixed on that building. He looked up at the signboard on the building and didn't say anything. What's wrong? Since Wu Yan didn't move, Shokuho Misaki, who was holding his hand, couldn't move either. She followed Wu Yan's line of sight and she froze. You're not thinking of going in, are you? Shokuho Misaki took a deep breath and asked with a smile. Of course, this smile was a bit forced. Wu Yan nodded without hesitation. His eyes almost lit up. His lips curled into a smile that made Shokuho Misaki tremble in fear. Looks pretty good, let's go in and have some fun. Shokuho Misaki looked at Wu Yan speechlessly. She seriously looked at the sign that says indoor swimming pool, her eyes filled with contempt towards Wu Yan. Even if I don't use my ability, I can guess what you're thinking. Shokuho Misaki said. Wu Yan rubbed his nose and smiled. What's wrong with that? I don't even know how long it's been since I last swam. Shokuho Misaki moved her face closer to Wu Yan's and asked suspiciously. Are you sure your real goal is to swim? Wu Yan curled his lips and asked directly. Then are you going or not? I'm going. Shokuho Misaki puffed out her chest. This action undoubtedly made a well-developed part of her body even more dangerous, as if to emphasize it. Sitting on a stool, Wu Yan was wearing a pair of boxer shorts. Looking at the empty pool in front of him, he was speechless. Quoting Jisama's words, I don't want to squeeze in a pool with other men, she actually asked Wu Yan to book the entire swimming pool. Even though Wu Yan still has a lot of gold coins, but to book the entire swimming pool and disturb other people's enjoyment, Wu Yan of course wouldn't do it. But this place is quite big, there are quite a few swimming pools, so Wu Yan booked one of them. Wu Yan anxiously waited. Finally, the door to the changing room was pushed open. Jisama walked out from inside. The moment they came out, Wu Yan started rejoicing over the fact that he managed to book a swimming pool. If other guys were to see such a beautiful sight, I'm sure a lot of guys would break up tonight. Bikini. A very pure set of bikini. And it's leopard print. This leopard print bikini on Jisama, who is at least a grade D, has a beautiful figure, delicate face, long blonde hair and golden starry eyes. It couldn't be more compatible. It even gave Wu Yan the idea that this set of bikini was created just for her. Seeing the admiration in Wu Yan's eyes, Shokuho Misaki couldn't help but feel a little proud. After all, when they met this morning, Wu Yan only praised her eyes, completely ignoring her charm. Now that Wu Yan is appreciating her beauty again, Shokuho Misaki felt a sense of satisfaction. Of course, it's more like she's secretly happy. Wu Yan seriously looked at Shokuho Misaki, finally fixing his eyes on the pair of big white rabbits in front of her chest. Shokuho Misaki not only didn't feel shy, she even puffed out her chest, her pair of big white rabbits bouncing up and down. Wu Yan's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Seeing Wu Yan's expression, Shokuho Misaki charmingly smiled and said in a sweet voice, "Do you want to touch it?" The cold and tender voice made Wu Yan's heart skip a beat. He immediately became vigilant. This chick is not that easy to take advantage of, she must be planning to play with me again. Thinking about this, Wu Yan didn't realize that he's already taken advantage of her more than enough. For example, eating the same ice cream as her. What are you up to now? Wu Yan looked at Shokuho Misaki with vigilance. He asked cautiously. His fearful look made Shokuho Misaki smile. In order to prevent Shokuho Misaki from coming up with any ideas, Wu Yan quickly said, "Okay, don't talk so much, let's go swim." After saying that, he directly pulled Shokuho Misaki's hand and walked towards the swimming pool, making Shokuho Misaki's little plan die in her stomach. She had no choice but to give up and be dragged into the water. Wu Yan, who was immersed in playing with the water, didn't know, in fact, while he was having fun, danger has already arrived. At the entrance of the indoor swimming pool at this time, there are two guests. Both of them are wearing Tokuwadai school uniform. One is a girl with short brown hair, the other is a girl with pink twin ponytails. It's Mikoto and Kuriko. That's right, Yen is here. After closing her eyes and sensing something, Mikoto said with certainty. Her eyes flashed dangerously, her forehead emitted a few sparks of electricity. All these signs are proof that Mikoto's heart is not calm right now. Kuriko, who should be gloating and kicking Mikoto when she's down, is cowering behind Mikoto. Looking at Mikoto's reaction, her body involuntarily trembled. After spending so much time with her sister, how could Kuriko not know that her sister is going to make a big scene today if she bumps into her? Thinking of the consequences, Kuriko laughed dryly and muttered, "Woo woo." Kuriko doesn't dare to eat Wanisama's whipping this time. Chapter 185. When Mikoto strode into the indoor swimming pool, Wu Yan, who was happily swimming in the pool, suddenly froze and stood up from the pool. Why is she here? Wu Yan was stunned. If Mikoto can sense his electromagnetic field with the same ability, Wu Yan can also sense Mikoto's presence. In Wu Yan's perception, Mikoto is here. What? Why is she here? Shokuho Misaki stopped swimming and looked at Wu Yan in confusion. Who's here? Why do you have such a big reaction? Looking at Shokuho Misaki's starry eyes, Wu Yan felt a headache coming on. If these two meet, it's not going to end well. Seeing Wu Yan's expression, Shokuho Misaki seemed to have understood something. She raised her eyebrows and said, "It can't be." Wu Yan laughed awkwardly. Just as his guilty laughter sounded, a burst of beep 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 sound entered their ears from not far away. Wu Yan froze. Looking at Wu Yan and Shokuho Misaki in swimsuits, Mikoto lowered her head. Her bangs covered her eyes, everything above her nose was shrouded in shadow. From time to time, her body would emit sparks of electricity. An aura like a volcano on the verge of eruption rose from her body. Kuriko tilted her body and looked at Wu Yan in the pool at a 45-degree angle. She looked at him with contempt and disdain, as if she was looking at a scum. Listening to the beep 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 sound, Wu Yan really didn't want to look back. But if he really did that, then he might really be a scum. He looked at Mikoto helplessly. "Era Misaka-san, I didn't expect to meet you here. What a coincidence." Wu Yan, who was about to say something, was interrupted by this sweet voice. Before he could react, he felt his arm being hugged tightly. A very soft and comfortable feeling spread through his body. By the time Wu Yan reacted, Shokuho Misaki was already lying on top of him. Wu Yan slapped his forehead and sighed. Shokuho Misaki must be using him to amuse Mikoto. Sure enough, seeing Shokuho Misaki hugging Wu Yan's arm intimately, Mikoto couldn't hold back anymore and exploded. Ew, ew. Mikoto's angry voice came out of her mouth. Following that, a bluish-white electric current shot towards the two in the pool in a blink of an eye. Shokuho Misaki didn't seem to be afraid of Mikoto's attack. She seemed to have expected it. She buried her head tightly in Wu Yan's arm, planning to use him as a human shield. Wu Yan jumped in fright. This cis cannon really can generate electricity just like that. There was no warning at all. But Wu Yan could still see that Mikoto's electric current wasn't even half of her full power. But Mikoto seemed to have forgotten that Wu Yan and Shokuho Misaki were in the pool. Wu Yan raised his hand and waved at the electric current that Mikoto shot at him. As if he was summoning something, the electric current accelerated, gathered together and hit Wu Yan's hand before disappearing. Putting down his raised hand, Wu Yan looked at Mikoto and said helplessly, "I say Mikoto, I know you're very angry right now, but you need to look at the situation before you lose your temper. Generate electricity, we're in the pool?" Mikoto was stunned for a moment before realizing that they were in the pool. She quickly waved her hand. "So sorry." After apologizing, Mikoto was stunned again. "That's not right, she's here to criticize, why did she have to apologize to the culprit? Still doing things your own way, Misaki-san?" Shokuho Misaki raised her head and used a familiar tone to greet Mikoto. But it wasn't hard to hear the provocation in her voice. Mikoto glared at Shokuho Misaki. She knew that if she were to fight with Shokuho Misaki, she wouldn't be able to win even if there were 100 of her. So she ignored Shokuho Misaki and glared at Wu Yan. "Why are you with her?" Mikoto pointed at Shokuho Misaki and shouted at Wu Yan. "She invited me." Wu Yan's answer was simple and concise. "She invited you?" Mikoto glanced at Shokuho Misaki, who was covering her mouth with her hand, and turned to Wu Yan. She narrowed her eyes and her tone turned unpleasant. "So you went on a date with her? How did you know?" Wu Yan flinched as he looked at Mikoto in surprise. Mikoto raised her tightly clenched fist when she heard him. "How did I know? Of course I know. Not just me, the entire Tokuwadai knows that you're going on a date with the fifth." "The entire Tokuwadai knows?" Not only Wu Yan, even Shokuho Misaki was stunned. They didn't expect that in less than half a day, the entire Tokuwadai knows about their relationship. "Yeah, everyone knows." Mikoto forced a smile, but her voice sounded like she was gnashing her teeth. She looked at Wu Yan with tears in her eyes. "Why are you going on a date with this woman?" "Misaki-san, how can you say that?" Shokuho Misaki hugged Wu Yan's arm and rubbed her face against Wu Yan's hand. Mikoto was furious. "Isn't it normal to go on a date with your boyfriend?" "Boyfriend?" Mikoto yelled. She couldn't believe the two hugging each other. Kuriko, who was playing the background role, laughed. "That scum actually has a relationship with the person that Wani-sama hates the most. Now that scum can't touch Wani-sama anymore." That's what she thought in her heart. "Young lady, touch what? You've already turned black." Seeing Mikoto's dazed expression, Shokuho Misaki laughed happily. But then she felt a sharp pain in her forehead. Wu Yan retracted his hand that was about to poke Shokuho Misaki's forehead and rolled his eyes at her. "Can you please do me a favor and stop provoking me?" Shokuho Misaki grunted in dissatisfaction and turned her head away. But she didn't say anything else. She seemed to have heard Wu Yan's words. Mikoto, who was familiar with her, was surprised. "Well, Mikoto, you know her surname. Don't listen to her nonsense. Today is the first time we met." Wu Yan's explanation didn't make Mikoto feel better. Instead, it made her even angrier. She pointed at Wu Yan. Mikoto was so angry that her body trembled. She stomped her feet on the ground. "First time we met and you went on a date. You can't help it?" Wu Yan pretended to be wronged. He acted like he was the biggest victim in the world. Instead of admitting his mistake, he blamed Mikoto. "Mikoto, you didn't want to go on a date with me. I can only find someone else. You scum want to go on a date with Wani-sama? Don't even think about it." Hearing Wu Yan's words, Kuriko suddenly jumped out and yelled. But before she could finish, Mikoto punched her on the ground. She went silent. Mikoto looked at Wu Yan, her face was completely red. You know, with Kuriko around I couldn't find a chance. That's why you can't blame me," Wu Yan said. His ability to twist facts has reached the point of perfection. Mikoto gritted her teeth. She glanced at Shokuho Misaki and then glared at Wu Yan. Even if you wanted to go on a date, you could have gone for Chuju. Even if there's no Chuju, you could have gone for Ikaros or Astria. Why her?" Shokuho Misaki didn't mind Mikoto's words. Instead, she focused on something else. "Chuju? Ikaros? Astria? Who's that?" Shokuho Misaki's last sentence was directed at Wu Yan. Obviously she was asking him. Wu Yan shrugged and looked at Shokuho Misaki. Someone important. Someone very important. Shokuho Misaki didn't ask any more. She silently memorized the 3 names. With her means, it's not surprising that she can find out something. Once again, Shokuho Misaki didn't notice that she was starting to pay attention to this stranger she just met today. Chapter 186. Perhaps it's because Wu Yen admitted to Shokuho Misaki that he has a very important person in front of her. Mikoto's angry face calmed down a little. In any case, you need to leave that woman. She's not as simple as you think. You won't even know when she's going to sell you off. Wu Yen of course understands why Mikoto would say that. Indeed, with Shokuho Misaki's ability, if she really wants to sell someone off, the other party might even help her count the money. Mikoto is also reminding Wu Yen. With Shokuho Misaki's methods, she's the one who eats the most. Mikoto has been dealt with by her many times, that's why she hates Shokuho Misaki so much. It's just that it's not Mikoto's personality to speak ill of others in broad daylight. That's why she changed it to not simple. Actually, she's just worried that Wu Yen might be manipulated by her. Of course, Wu Yen won't be manipulated. Otherwise, he wouldn't have accepted Shokuho Misaki's invitation to visit her territory despite knowing her background. The main reason is because he has the same ability as Mikoto, immune to Shokuho Misaki's manipulation. That's why he dared to visit her. As the ace of Tokuwadai, Misaka-san's words are really rude. Shokuho Misaki of course knew what Mikoto was trying to imply. After all, she was planning to control Wu Yen to attack Mikoto. That's why she invited Wu Yen to visit her. Mikoto didn't hold back. It's not like this is the first time you've used this method. Isn't this rude? Are you afraid of being scolded? I don't care what you plan to do, Shokuho Misaki. If you dare to hurt the people around me, I won't forgive you. Shokuho Misaki narrowed her starry eyes and looked back at Mikoto without a care. I'm the one who wants to scold you, Misaka-san. Don't you think it's rude to suddenly intrude on someone's date? Mikoto laughed. Her laughter was so sarcastic that it surprised Wu Yen. At the same time he sighed. Mikoto would never act like this in front of a person. One could imagine how much Mikoto hated Shokuho Misaki. Get involved in your date? Didn't you hear it just now? Yen only went on a date with you because I didn't get to go on a date with him. You're just a backup. Misaka, since you've already said that you didn't get to go on a date with Yen, then please leave. Don't disturb our date, we still have to swim. You? Mikoto clenched her teeth and shouted, I can do it now. So she wanted to go on a date with Yen. The one who should leave is you. Oh, is that so? Shokuho Misaki rested her face on Wu Yan's shoulder, rubbing her chest against Wu Yan's as she spoke seductively to Wu Yen. Hey little Yen, what do you say? Let little Xang go on a date with you, what do you think? Wu Yen felt goosebumps all over his body. Even though Shokuho Misaki was speaking so close to him, her warm scent was all over his face, and her body was rubbing against his body, making him feel all kinds of pleasure. But the nickname between little Yen and little Xan is really, don't mess around. Wu Yen glared at her. Even though Shokuho Misaki is very seductive, Mikoto is his rightful partner. If he angered her, he would be in trouble. Unfortunately, Shokuho Misaki seemed determined to fight with Mikoto for this time. Not only did she not listen to Wu Yen, she raised her arms and wrapped them around Wu Yan's neck, pressing her plump breasts against Wu Yan's chest. Little Yen, just say it. Shokuho Misaki's voluptuous body wriggled in front of Wu Yen. She slowly moved her face closer, as if she was going to kiss him in the next second. It was very seductive. Shokuho Misaki's seduction made Wu Yen explode with pleasure, but Mikoto wasn't. Seeing Shokuho Misaki rubbing her chest, from Mikoto's perspective, against Wu Yan's body, Mikoto's temper flared up. She stood by the pool and shouted. Yen, say it. You want to go on a date with that woman? Or do you want to go on a date with me? No. Wanisama, dating. Kuriko, the lump on the ground seemed to be provoked by Mikoto's words. It raised its trembling hand intending to protest, but all it got was a casual kick from Mikoto. It went silent again. Who do you want to go on a date with? Hurry up and choose. Yen, little Yen. X2 looking at the two girls staring at him, Wu Yan's mouth twitched, he couldn't stay calm anymore. With tears streaming down his face, Wu Yen screamed in his heart. What the hell is this? How is this possible? Under the urging of the two girls' demon eyes of death perception, Wu Yan's scalp went numb. He had no choice but to make a choice. If I really want to go on a date, of course I want to go with Mikoto. The two girls reacted differently. Shokuho Misaki gnashed her teeth as if she wasn't willing to give up. As for disappointment, well, I guess she's a bit disappointed. After all, Wu Yen left a mark in her heart. Mikoto, on the other hand, smiled happily, not only because she won against Shokuho Misaki, but also because she didn't misjudge him. In the end, Wu Yen may be a playboy, but he's not the type to abandon women. Shokuho Misaki retracted her hand from Wu Yan's neck and said with dissatisfaction, "I didn't expect your taste to be so bad. You'd rather choose that flat-chested girl than me?" Mikoto's smile froze. She couldn't help it. Shokuho Misaki's words were too sharp. It hit her where it hurts the most. Wu Yen shrugged and smiled. "Well, Mikoto is my woman, of course I'd choose her." Hearing this, Mikoto's frozen face trembled again. A wave of redness spread from her neck to her entire face, and smoke almost came out. "Is that so?" Shokuho Misaki paused for a moment, then returned to normal. She felt a little disappointed, but it was only for a moment. Wu Yen nodded calmly, then he laughed a little weirdly. "Also, dating with Mikoto, you can do a lot of interesting activities. Yen." How could Mikoto not know what Wu Yen is talking about with that weird laugh and those words that seem to have a deeper meaning? She's experienced it herself. Recalling their last date, the scene at the cinema, Mikoto blushed and stuttered. Her mouth opened and closed, but she couldn't say anything. Shokuho Misaki isn't a simple-minded person, so of course she knew what Wu Yen was referring to. In addition to Mikoto's reaction, Shokuho Misaki was stunned. "You guys, have you already?" Shokuho Misaki's meaning was obvious. She was asking if Wu Yen and Mikoto had already done it. No. That's not it." Mikoto took 2 steps back. Smoke was coming out of her head. She glared at Wu Yen, cursing in her heart. "This bastard," he actually said it out loud, "so embarrassing." Shokuho Misaki looked at Mikoto's red face in disbelief, then looked at Wu Yen. A thick sense of jealousy rose from her heart. She still remembers how Wu Yen stood up for Misaka Mikoto in front of her, claiming that Mikoto wouldn't participate in her game, saying that her stage isn't here. She still remembers how everyone used to hate her eyes, seeing her as a monster, but from Wu Yan's mouth, they became a pair of beautiful eyes. She still remembers how Wu Yen helped her to correct her point of view towards the people who gave her pointers. He also helped her to correct her point of view. She still remembers holding hands with Wu Yen, eating the same ice cream with Wu Yen, laughing together, playing together. Today for Shokuho Misaki is no doubt different. But the person who made all of this happen is the other half of Mikoto, the person she thought was her rival. Really, all the beautiful things will leave me? While thinking so, Shokuho Misaki looked at the flustered Mikoto with a flushed face. She gritted her teeth and grumbled in dissatisfaction. Such a bland taste, yet you like this body. Am I not as good as her?" Chapter 187. On the way back to Tokuwadai, Wu Yen looked at the 2 girls who completely occupied his arms and hugged him tightly. He sighed as if he had a headache. One of his arms was being held by Mikoto. One side of her face was red as she glared at Wu Yan's other arm. As for the other side, he was being held by Shokuho Misaki. Compared to Mikoto, who was glaring at him and blushing, Shokuho Misaki's expression was filled with sweetness. She had a smile on her face as she rested her head on Wu Yan's shoulder. She looked very happy, but Wu Yen knew that there was a 99% chance that she was faking it. Feeling the soft bodies of the 2 girls while enduring the stares of the passers-by, Wu Yan's current situation proved that he was in pain but happy at the same time. As for who he's going on a date with, in the end, it's just a matter of course. Although he really wants to go on another passionate date with Mikoto, he's still dating Shokuho Misaki. How can he just abandon a girl he just went on a date with and go on a date with another girl? How can he do that? In the end, the date was gone and the swimming plan was ruined. Of course, Wu Yen was satisfied. After all, his desire to see Jisama in a swimsuit was fulfilled. It's just that, for some reason, Jisama kept using him as a public display of affection in front of Mikoto. It's as if she's trying to steal Mikoto's love away from her. Wu Yen is both speechless and enjoying it at the same time. However, he had to admit that Her Majesty Queen's plan was very successful. Just look at Sis Cannon's performance. Normally, Mikoto would at most hold his hand in public. She would never wrap her arms around his hand intimately. Of course, the one who benefited in the end was still Wu Yen. "Alright, we're here. Hurry up and let go." Seeing the Tokuwadai dormitory appear in front of them, Wu Yen helplessly said to the 2 girls who were still in a confrontation. Along the way, Wu Yan's hands were almost numb. Mikoto wanted to let go of Shokuho Misaki's hand, but when she saw that Shokuho Misaki didn't let go, she stopped and shouted at Shokuho Misaki, Hey, did you not hear? Let go of me. Not only did Shokuho Misaki not let go, she hugged him even tighter, causing Wu Yan's hand to sink into her pair of plump breasts. Misaka classmate Xiao Yan also told you to let go, so hurry up and let go. Let go first. Mikoto said childishly. Childishly was a good way to describe her. At this point in time, there was no need to argue about who should let go first. At least Wu Yan felt that she was too weak. Since Misaka classmate doesn't want to let go, then I don't mind either, Shokuho Misaki said with a "I got lucky" expression. Actually, the one who got lucky is the one you hugged tighter and tighter. Looking at the shameless Shokuho Misaki, Mikoto felt as if a blue and white electric current flashed across her forehead. She also tightened her arms and shouted, "Hugging someone else's boyfriend's hand, don't you have any sense of shame? Is Misaka classmate declaring your sovereignty?" Shokuho Misaki giggled, she pointed out. You were the one who told your boyfriend to go on dates with Hinajiku, Ikaros, Astria and so on, so she still remembers that. Mikoto was also shocked, her expression changed, she fidgeted for a while and then stomped her feet. They're different. What's different? Seeing that Mikoto didn't want to reveal any information about the three girls, Shokuho Misaki's eyes flashed with disappointment. She smiled and said, "Since Misaka classmate allows your boyfriend to go on dates with other girls, then it's the same with me?" "It's not the same." "Then what's the difference?" Mikoto started stammering. In the end she could only yell out, "Anyway, it's different. Let go of me." "No. Hurry up and let go." "I'm not letting go." Seeing the two beauties bickering with each other, and the reason is because of him, Wu Yan felt a wave of pleasure in his heart, but soon his mouth started twitching. Didn't they notice that the noise below their dorm is getting a little loud? What Mikoto and Shokuho Misaki didn't notice is that the windows on every floor of Tokuwadai's dorm are already open. Countless girls in Tokuwadai's school uniform are crowding around the windows, looking down at Mikoto and Shokuho Misaki, who are intimately hugging the same guy and arguing loudly about something. They all looked like they saw a ghost, their eyes wide open. Am I seeing things? One of the girls from Tokuwadai rubbed her eyes as if trying to dispel the illusion in front of her. She rubbed her eyes with all her might. I think I'm seeing things. Another girl standing next to her said calmly, she's different from the girl who tried to dispel the illusion. She's convinced that everything in front of her is an illusion. Of course, it's not just them. The other girls from Tokuwadai also reacted from the series of events. They all looked at each other in disbelief. Isn't that Misaka-sama and Shokuho-sama? Yeah, what are they doing? Seems like they're fighting over who should let go of that guy first. That's impossible. Misaka-sama? Shokuho-sama? Are hugging the same guy. This can't be real. Who's that guy? Could it be the second or first among the LV5 players? He actually managed to win the hearts of our Tokuwadai's Electric Princess and Shokuho Queen. As more and more people started discussing, the voices got louder and louder. Gradually, the whispers turned into loud noises, echoing throughout the entire Tokuwadai dormitory. It also rang in the ears of the two girls who were arguing. The discussion got louder and louder until it reached the ears of the two girls. The two girls' argument got quieter and quieter until it was negligible. When they turned to look at the direction of the dormitory, the two girls froze at the same time. After regaining her senses, Mikoto reflexively let go of Wu Yan's hand. Shokuho Misaki, on the other hand, regained her composure after seeing the scene in Tokuwadai dormitory. She openly hugged Wu Yan's hand. After seeing Mikoto let go, she showed a victorious smile. Mikoto gritted her teeth, listening to the discussion. Her face started to redden. In the end she gave up and shouted, "Let go." This time Shokuho Misaki was obedient. She naturally let go of Wu Yan's hand. Her calm demeanor was a stark contrast to the flustered Mikoto. This made Wu Yan sigh. But soon, his expression started to become unnatural. If that guy can win the hearts of Misaka-sama and Shokuho-sama, what right does he have? That's right, he's not handsome and he doesn't look like he's LVL5. I really don't know why the two girls are arguing over him. I think he used despicable means to win their hearts. Many men are like this, even in TV dramas. Then aren't Misaka-sama and Shokuho-sama in danger? No. We have to save Misaka-sama and Shokuho-sama. We have to destroy that bastard. Yes. We have to come up with a plan, we have to do it secretly. The more Wu Yan listened, the more cold sweat poured down his back. Seeing the Tokuwadai girls about to rush down, he quickly said to the two girls, "Since you're here, I'll take my leave first, that's all." Without waiting for the two girls to reply, He left a trail of smoke behind him and disappeared without a trace. The two girls froze for a bit before they came to their senses. They looked at each other before Mikoto snorted and left. Shokuho Misaki stood there looking at Wu Yan's back as he left. Then she looked at Mikoto, who just entered the dormitory. Her lips curled into a smile as she mumbled to herself. "We will meet again." On the other side, by the pool of an indoor swimming pool, a certain black and white ponytail girl was lying on the ground, her eyes rolled back, her body twitched from time to time. She didn't struggle for a long time, she had been completely forgotten by them. Chapter 188. Without using his strength, Wu Yin ran as fast as he could and left the Tokuwadai dormitory that was no different from hell to him now. Until he could no longer see a corner of the Tokuwadai dormitory, Wu Yin slowly stopped running and looked back. After confirming that no one was chasing him, Wu Yin sighed in relief and wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. When he saw Super Canon and Majin before, Wu Yin thought that the girls in Tokuwadai should be the kind of girls from rich families. After all, during the summer season, the Tokuwadai girls who dressed up as maids were all as soft as water. After today, Wu Yin will no longer think so. The girls in Tokuwadai are not water, they are clearly wolves and tigers. Recalling Shokuho Misaki's support team and the dangerous words of the girls in the Tokuwadai dormitory, Wu Yan's body trembled. He swore that if there is no reason, he will never go there again. It seems that the only girls in Tokuwadai are probably those two who follow after marriage, Fufu Wanbin and Wan Nei Shirbao. Thinking of this, Wu Yin couldn't help but smile bitterly. Then he walked in the direction of his home, but soon his footsteps paused. Of course, it was only for a moment, and then he stepped out unnoticed and walked back home as if nothing happened. With his hands behind his head, Wu Yin casually moved his feet. If one were to look closely, they would notice that Wu Yin is purposely avoiding places with a lot of people. He's trying his best to go to places with less people. With Wu Yan's deliberate actions, the surrounding pedestrians became fewer and fewer. In the end, there were not many pedestrians around. At this time, in the corner behind Wu Yin, two people wearing black suits and sunglasses, dressed like gangsters, quickly caught up with Wu Yin and stood in front of him, blocking his way. Seeing these two people, Wu Yin took 2 steps back with a little fear on his face, but he pretended to be calm and said, "What are you doing? Robbing? Sorry, I don't have money." The two people in black suits looked at each other, then nodded. One of them took a few steps forward and said to Wu Yin in a low voice, "Someone wants to see you, can you come with us?" Although it sounded like he was asking for Wu Yan's opinion, looking at his tough face and the other person's hand that had already reached into his clothes, they were going to use force. Wu Yan's eyes narrowed imperceptibly, then returned to normal. He looked at the two people in black suits with fear and said timidly, If someone wants to see me, wouldn't they come directly to me?" Unfortunately, these two people in black seemed like they didn't intend to talk to Wu Yan. They directly reached out their hands and planned to take Wu Yan. Seeing this, Wu Yan's eyes flashed a cold light. He clenched his hands slightly, and a trace of electric current flowed slightly between his 2 fingers. It was so small that there was no sound or light. But soon Wu Yan was stunned again. The electric current on his fingers was pinched out by him and disappeared. "Wait a minute." A sudden voice sounded behind Wu Yan, but it made the two people in black suits obediently stop their movements. Wu Yan quickly pretended to be panicked and turned his head to look. A middle-aged man in a white coat, who looked like a doctor and a scholar, stood not far from Wu Yan and others. He had a pair of glasses on his face and he looked like a refined scum. Wu Yan wanted to punch him. However, Wu Yan still pretended to be panicked and looked at him calmly. The middle-aged man seemed to be very satisfied with Wu Yan's expression. He pushed the glasses on his face and said with a smile, "How can you be so rude to our important guests?" Although Wu Yan wanted to say that they were the ones who looked for him, but looking at that incomparably annoying face, Wu Yan really couldn't raise such a thought. He could only pretend again. "Who are you? Don't be nervous, young man." The middle-aged man smiled at Wu Yan in a friendly manner. Of course, this friendliness was what he thought. Then he slowly walked towards Wu Yan and waved to the two people in black suits. They retreated and looked around vigilantly. "You haven't answered my question yet. Who are you? And why are you looking for me?" Wu Yan looked at the middle-aged man with an expression of bullying the weak and fearing the strong. His voice trembled a little as he asked. Hearing this, the middle-aged man smiled mysteriously and said earnestly, "Young man, who are we? It's better if you don't know. You should know that knowing too much is not a good thing." Listening to the middle-aged man's mysterious tone, Wu Yan's heart trembled. He couldn't help but directly cut down the middle-aged man with a sword. Who are you trying to fool by pretending to be like this? This was what Wu Yan, who was now planning to become the best actor, was thinking in his heart. The middle-aged man patted Wu Yan's shoulder and said to Wu Yan in a kind tone, "So you'd better not ask who we are. However, we can answer your other question." After that, the middle-aged man laughed and said to Wu Yan, "We came to find you because we need your help with something." "Help?" Wu Yan was stunned. This time it wasn't an act. He was really stunned. He really couldn't think of anything to help this guy who wasn't close to his uncle and grandmother. "Yes. Help." The middle-aged man glanced at Wu Yan and then turned to look behind him. "Young man, we've observed you. From the looks of it, you seem to be very familiar with Tokuwadai's trump card, Railgun Misaka Mikoto." Wu Yan's pupils constricted as he looked at the middle-aged man in front of him. A murderous glint flashed across his eyes. Realizing that things weren't as simple as they seemed, Wu Yan quickly lowered his head to hide the look in his eyes. When the middle-aged man said this, Wu Yan had a pretty good idea as to why he came looking for him. In the middle-aged man's eyes, Wu Yan's reaction was probably due to the fact that his whereabouts were known to others. After all, this guy in front of him was just a thug. "Young man, don't be afraid. We won't do anything to you," the middle-aged man said with a smile, as if he already had victory in his hands. "As long as you do us a small favor, it'll be fine. In other words, if he doesn't help, he doesn't know what will happen to him." "Help? What favor?" Wu Yan's face was filled with a, "I'm scared, come and bully me" look. The middle-aged man heard Wu Yan's words and smiled. He took out a syringe and handed it to Wu Yan. "You seem to be very familiar with number 3, even close. This favor won't be too hard for you. You just have to help us draw some of number 3's blood. How about that?" "As expected." "Really? Just that? You won't make things difficult for me?" Wu Yan hesitated. Of course, the other meaning was that he was tempted. Seeing this, the middle-aged man smiled. "Of course. As long as you help us, not only will we not make things difficult for you, we'll even give you enough money to live on for the rest of your life." The middle-aged man took out a piece of paper and handed it to Wu Yan along with the syringe. "After you complete the task, call this number and contact us. When the time comes, someone will come and collect the items and give you the money you want." After Wu Yan took it, the middle-aged man pushed his glasses and smiled. "Then, I wish us a happy cooperation." He didn't wait for Wu Yan's reply before he walked away on his own, bringing the 2 men in black with him. Until they disappeared from his sight, Wu Yan's expression completely disappeared. He looked at the syringe in his hand and with a burst of electricity, he blasted the syringe into ashes. "If it wasn't for the fact that I wanted to buy more time, I would have killed that guy with my sword," Wu Yan said with regret. To be honest, he was disgusted. With a sigh, Wu Yan looked towards the direction of Tokuwadai. "Looks like Alistair is planning to make a move on Mikoto. Before that, I hope the matter with my sisters can be resolved." Chapter 189. Academy City, School District 7, Wu Yan's home. In the bathroom, Wu Yan laid in the bathtub, allowing the water to splash over his body as he bathed himself. Rubbing the biocontainment device that he would wear even when taking a bath, Wu Yan sighed. He raised his head and washed his face with a troubled look. As more and more sisters are saved by him, it's getting harder and harder to save the rest. Many nights, Wu Yan would return empty-handed after going to the research facility where the sisters are kept. Tonight is also a night where he returned empty-handed. Flinging the water off his face, he stared at the biocontainment device on his wrist. Wu Yan couldn't help but rub his hand against it as he mumbled, "Just a little more." Suddenly, the bathroom door opened and a figure walked in, startling Wu Yan. "Who is it?" Wu Yan looked over. Wu Yan's eyes almost popped out of their sockets when he saw who it was. Ikaros. It's no wonder Wu Yan was surprised. He was in the shower, and Ikaros's current appearance is another reason. She was completely naked, with only a towel barely covering the area below her chest and the area above her thighs. Ikaros was clutching the edge of the towel in front of her. Her hair that was originally tied into 2 ponytails had already been let down, and her pretty face was flushed red. She's extremely seductive. Wu Yan stared at Ikaros in disbelief. He didn't expect Ikaros to appear in front of him like this in the middle of the night. Doesn't she know he's in there? "Ikaros, you're not asleep yet?" Wu Yan gulped and tried to change the topic. It's normal for him to ask this since Wu Yan just came back from the research facility where the sisters are kept. It's already midnight and Chuju and Astria are already asleep. Master. Ikaros is also embarrassed. Her usually expressionless face is now blushing. He knows that Ikaros's emotions aren't as slow as they used to be, but this look of hers almost blinded him. Afraid he'll turn into a wolf, Wu Yen turned his head and stuttered. Ikaros, do you want to take a shower? Just wait a little longer, I'll be done soon. And no. Ikaros whispered so softly that if there's any noise in the room, you won't be able to hear it. Ikaros. I'm here to look for Master. Look for me? Wu Yen tilted his head and said helplessly. Even if you want to look for me, you have to wait until I'm out. Ikaros lowered her head. In the misty bathroom, her skin looked like it was covered by a veil. Wu Yen couldn't help but stare at her. But. Ikaros took 2 deep breaths and raised her red face. She said shyly but firmly. But Ikaros wants Master to be happy. Wu Yen almost fell head first into the bathtub. When Ikaros said, happy, he's pretty sure it's not just any ordinary happiness. Combined with their previous conversation and Ikaros' current state, Wu Yen finally understood why Ikaros would appear here in the middle of the night. Ikaros. Wu Yen exhaled slowly to calm his heart. He smiled bitterly. Why now? Ikaros looked a little disappointed. Wu Yen was sure she was really disappointed. Because Master once said that he wanted Ikaros to do happy things for Master, but Master never did. Wu Yen understood. Indeed, it's been a while since he said he wanted to have fun with Ikaros. Wu Yen also didn't do anything. After all, there's still the president at home. Could it be that Ikaros knew what he was worried about and chose to come here in the middle of the night when Chuju was asleep? Wu Yan's heart fluttered. The so-called right time, right place, right people, there's nothing more suitable than now. Seeing Wu Yan stunned, Ikaros lowered her head again. Her face was full of disappointment. If this expression appeared on the face of the old Ikaros, it'd be inconceivable. Master, you don't like it? Ikaros mumbled. Her tone carried an indescribable sense of loss. Wu Yan felt a stab of pain in his heart when he heard that. He quickly replied. I like it. Of course I like it, why wouldn't I like Ikaros? Master. Ikaros's eyes flashed with joy. She looked up at Wu Yan with anticipation. Then, Master, can I? Hearing Ikaros's words, Wu Yan felt like his heart was flying away. Even his body started to float. Once upon a time, girls never came to his door. He had to look for them himself and he wasn't sure if he could find them. Sizing up Ikaros's body, he didn't push her down but he's touched her body countless times. Wu Yan's mouth started to dry up. Ikaros is too tempting. Wu Yan stood up from the bathtub. Ikaros was a little surprised. She blushed as she looked at Wu Yan approaching her. Her heart started to pound. This strange state of the energy furnace only appears when she's facing her master. Ikaros didn't know if it's malfunctioning or not, but she didn't hate it. In this short amount of time, Wu Yan was already in front of Ikaros. He raised his hand and rubbed it against her smooth little face. Seeing Ikaros's shy look, Wu Yan felt a wave of satisfaction. Of course, this satisfaction quickly turned into dissatisfaction. 5 fingers brushing against Ikaros's cheeks, Wu Yan smiled and his hand slowly moved down. As Wu Yan's hand got closer and closer to her chest, Ikaros's heart started to beat faster. She quickly closed her eyes and enjoyed the foreplay before the transformation. Finally, Wu Yan's hand reached its destination. He lightly pressed on Ikaros's ample bosom and his hand sank in. His hand even slipped and ended up between Ikaros's pair of white bunnies and got caught between them. You? Ikaros bit her lips. She didn't know why, but a strong thought made her want to stop herself from making any sound. With one hand sliding between her 2 white bunnies, Wu Yan sighed. So smooth. Ikaros turned her head away. She heard Wu Yan's voice and felt a little shy. This made Wu Yan laugh happily and evilly. Wu Yan kept repeating the action of caressing her. He felt like even if he caressed her for the rest of his life, he wouldn't be satisfied. He kept caressing her until he couldn't satisfy himself with one hand. Then he raised his other hand and cupped Ikaros's twin peaks. He started massaging them with either heavy or light strokes. Master? Under Wu Yan's actions, Ikaros's skin got redder and redder. She opened her eyes, her indigo eyes rippled like water, telling Wu Yan that Ikaros is aroused. With a heavy squeeze, his hand sunk into Ikaros's white bunnies. Ikaros couldn't help but raise her head and let out an ah. Her voice was very pleasant to the ears. Wu Yen slid one of his hands behind Ikaros and pulled her into his embrace. Then, as if his hand lost its center of gravity, it slid downwards. Ikaros pressed both her hands on her master's chest, feeling her upper and lower body under Wu Yan's control. She opened her red lips and panted softly. From time to time she would let out a whimper, venting the sensations in her body. Wu Yan's hands moved up and down, one hand rubbing Ikaros's white bunnies, the other hand drawing circles on Ikaros's smooth buttocks. Then he started to knead as well. As time passed, Wu Yan took a deep breath and moved his hand to the towel on Ikaros's body. Chapter 190. Master. Ikaros felt a little uneasy after exposing herself to her master. She wrapped her arms around her chest, her wings trembled slightly. It was obvious that her master's heart was in turmoil. Little did she know, her actions made her even more alluring. Looking at Ikaros, who's ready to be plucked by anyone, he felt his chi and blood become active. One rushed to his head making him dizzy while the other rushed to his lower body making him burn with rage. Wu Yan gently slid his hand on Ikaros' back. He only needed to use a little force and his hand would slide down her body at an unimaginable speed. After caressing Ikaros' back, Wu Yan reached out with both hands again. In the past, the best body Wu Yan has ever enjoyed was probably the training he received from Takitsubu Riku in the research lab. As for the others, Chuju, Mikoto, Kinohara Sai, and Frenda, they all have lowly figures. Only Takitsubu Riku's figure is considered voluptuous. Of course, now that the record has changed, Wu Yan felt that if he doesn't summon another character, other than Astria, Ikaros' body would be the most attractive to him. In just a short while, Wu Yan already felt his mouth dry up. He couldn't help but hold up Ikaros' face and lean down to kiss her. "You." Ikaros whimpered in disbelief. Her eyes widened as she stared at Wu Yan's face. Her eyes softened and she closed her eyes to enjoy the sensation of their tongues intertwining with each other. His tongue moved freely inside Ikaros' small mouth, every nook and cranny was under his control. Then he rolled up Ikaros' small tongue and tasted it carefully. His hands didn't stay idle either, he occupied one territory after another on Ikaros' smooth body, including her wings. Wu Yan focused on caressing them. Finally, he reached his hand towards the center of Ikaros' thigh and pressed it there. With a light hook of his finger, Ikaros groaned and opened her eyes. Her eyes were filled with panic at Wu Yan's actions. But this time Wu Yan was already going all out. Yu-yu, yu-yu, yu-yu. Under Wu Yan's assault, Ikaros couldn't hold back her moans anymore. Even though her mouth was occupied by Wu Yan, she still let out a whimper. Gradually, as Wu Yan's movements intensified, Ikaros' body started to move along with Wu Yan's movements. Her body moved up and down, her pair of plump breasts shook violently. Leaving Ikaros' lips, he sucked the thread that came out of her mouth into his mouth. He watched as Ikaros' pair of big white rabbits swayed up and down in front of him. The two little pink pearls drew up and down arcs, making him stop breathing for a bit. Taking a deep breath, Wu Yan couldn't help but move his mouth closer, sucking on one of Ikaros' plump breasts. Ikaros moaned, her hands didn't know what to do. She hugged Wu Yan's head that was buried in her chest and raised her head. Her soft moans were endless. "Master." Ikaros clenched her teeth, her breathing became very rapid. Because of Wu Yan's finger, Ikaros' body was still moving up and down. "Master, you, softer." Ikaros didn't even think about it and said this sentence out loud. The current Ikaros, that outstanding computing ability of hers has long been lost because of Wu Yan. His tongue licked Ikaros' plump breasts, causing her to moan again. Only then did Wu Yan smile mischievously and move away from the pair of big white rabbits. Taking his finger out of Ikaros' body, Wu Yan raised his shining hand and stuffed it into Ikaros' mouth without hesitation. "You." Ikaros subconsciously licked Wu Yan's finger that was in her mouth. When that strange taste spread to her taste buds, Ikaros didn't know why but she shyly tried to move away from Wu Yan's finger. Too bad, Wu Yan hugged her tightly. Ikaros couldn't leave. She could only close her eyes and let Wu Yan's finger play with her tongue, savoring her own taste. "Good girl?" Wu Yan nodded in satisfaction and kissed Ikaros on the forehead. This is the good thing about Ikaros, she's very obedient. When Ikaros' skin turned pink, Wu Yan waved his hand and lifted Ikaros up and placed her on top of his body. "Ikaros, it's going to be a little painful, bear with it," Wu Yan said softly. At the same time waves of excitement spread out in his heart. Finally, Ikaros is going to be his woman. Master. Ikaros hugged Wu Yan's neck, feeling her lower body being pressed against. Her heart was violently trembling, but she still opened her mouth. Ikaros, don't be afraid of pain. Wu Yan smiled and hugged Ikaros' lower body. After adjusting the position, he fiercely pressed down, and with a loud crack, it penetrated Ikaros' body. You. Ikaros clenched her fists and she frowned. The pain caused her legs to stiffen. She wrapped her arms around Wu Yan's body and she didn't dare to move anymore. Since Ikaros didn't dare to move, Wu Yan naturally can't move either. Even if it's Ikaros, this is her first experience and it's very easy to hurt her. If he doesn't control it well at this time, it will bring unimaginable harm to Ikaros. Wu Yan, who only has tenderness for Ikaros in his heart, has long forgotten about the magical recovery items in the system and the automatic recovery system on Ikaros' body. After the pain passed, Ikaros' heart was filled with a great sense of happiness and a heavy sense of loss. Maybe this is what they call worrying about personal gains and losses. But soon she didn't have time to think about this. The pain passed and was replaced by emptiness, an urgent need to be filled with something. Subconsciously, Ikaros twisted her body and felt the pleasure her master brought her. Her furrowed brows loosened and her eyes began to ripple. Master, there's a strange feeling. Even if Ikaros is lacking in emotional knowledge, she knows she's feeling very comfortable right now. But the word comfortable that came out of her mouth unknowingly became the so-called strange feeling without her consent. Wu Yan, who has had plenty of experience in this, of course he understood the meaning behind Ikaros' words. He chuckled and said with a wicked smile, "Strange feeling? Then Ikaros, are you comfortable?" You. Twisting her body uncontrollably again, Ikaros lowered her head and whispered with pink cheeks. "Yes, Master Ikaros, it's comfortable." Wu Yan also narrowed his eyes, too pleasurable to the point of speechlessness. Feeling the pressure from Ikaros' lower body, Wu Yan couldn't help but move. Once he moved, it got out of hand. Ikaros' body swayed up and down, her whole body hung on Wu Yan's body. She started moaning loudly, no longer suppressing her voice. Master. Ikaros raised her head and moaned at the same time. Master. Are you happy? Yes, of course. Wu Yan panted and stood up. He skewered Ikaros on his body like a barbecue, eliciting a loud moan from her. At the same time he tossed her body up and down, enjoying himself. I'm very happy, that's great. Ikaros closed her eyes, 2 lines of tears flowed down her cheeks. These are tears of joy. Master is very happy. Ikaros is also very happy. Wu Yan grinned and rubbed Ikaros' head. He rubbed his face against Ikaros' wings before he continued to toss her around. He listened to her soft panting and moaning as he did so. Chapter 191. In the bathroom, Ikaros' seductive moans are still echoing in the room. In this small space, the two are crazily demanding from each other, leaving traces of their lovemaking everywhere. At a certain point, Ikaros finally reached the peak of her life. Under Wu Yan's influence, she let out a loud cry to express her joy. But while Ikaros is satisfied, Wu Yan isn't. Without a word, he placed Ikaros' powerless body on the floor and flipped her over. Master. Ikaros is lying on the floor. She turned around to face Wu Yan. Her eyes are misty and a bit confused. She doesn't know what her master is planning to do. Kneeling behind Ikaros, Wu Yan is panting for breath. Once again he squeezed into Ikaros' body, causing her to moan as if she's been hit hard. Smack, 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 smack. The sound of flesh colliding echoed throughout the space, accompanied by Ikaros' music. Wu Yan enjoyed both physically and mentally. Picking up Ikaros' body and pulling her into his embrace, Wu Yan tossed her again. But this time Ikaros' back is facing him. With both hands free, Wu Yan grabbed Ikaros' pair of big white rabbits. Hand, body, pincer, Ikaros' soul flew out of her body, immersing herself in an inescapable world. Unable to extricate herself for a long time, nibbling on Ikaros' earlobe, Ikaros retracted her head. Right now, every part of her body is sensitive, causing Wu Yan to feel a burst of excitement, teasing everywhere, causing Ikaros to moan non-stop. Master. Ikaros is panting heavily, shaking her body while watching Wu Yan carefully savoring her body. She mumbled, I'm so happy. After a while, one of the nerves in her body snapped. Ikaros tensed up and raised her head again, letting out a long whimper, licking his lips. Wu Yan looked at Ikaros, who's lying on top of him, unable to get up. He can't stop anymore, otherwise he'll suffocate to death. Seeing that Ikaros didn't look too tired, he stood up and hugged her. He pressed her against the wall of the bathroom with her back facing the wall and squeezed her inside. The pitiful Ikaros didn't even get a chance to catch her breath before she was drowned by the pleasure that surged through her body once more. Her little mouth opened and closed, her fragrant breath hit the wall, causing ripples in the air. She panted delicately. This time, Wu Yan is directly on top of Ikaros's body, stroking her body while moving his body, enjoying himself to his heart's content. After a long time the moans came again, this time it's longer and louder. Without them knowing, the moans passed through the wall and came out of the bathroom. Hearing Ikaros's moans that are much longer and louder than before, Wu Yan knew that Ikaros has reached her limit. Angeloids don't have dreams because they don't need to sleep. Therefore, Angeloids' time at night is their loneliest time. Angeloids don't need to sleep, Ikaros is the same. Otherwise she wouldn't be in Wu Yan's room every morning, guarding Wu Yan for an entire night. Perhaps only a thick-skinned girl like Astria would use her time at night to sleep. After all, even if Angeloids don't need to sleep, they can still rest if they want. But this time, after Ikaros reached her climax, her eyelids fluttered uncontrollably and she miraculously fell asleep. Looking at Ikaros's cute sleeping posture, Wu Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. They're still in the bathroom, how can she fall asleep like this? But Ikaros's sleep doesn't mean the night is over. What happened? Ikaros. The bathroom door was suddenly slammed open. The president, dressed in pajamas, rushed in without even looking at the situation in the bathroom. I heard a moan just now. Ikaros, are you? Chuju stared blankly at the naked Wu Yan and Ikaros, who was sleeping on the floor. She was completely shocked when she smelled the strange odor in the bathroom. Wu Yan and Chuju stared at each other blankly. One didn't expect the other party to suddenly barge in, the other didn't expect the situation in the bathroom to be like this. Combining the two's current situation with Ikaros's moan just now, Mr. President instantly understood the whole situation. Ikaros's moan, wasn't it the same as the last time she was done by Wu Yan? Looking at Mr. President's stunned expression, Wu Yan finally reacted. He glanced at Mr. President's body and his mouth curved into an evil smile. You. Hinajiku pointed at Wu Yan with a trembling finger. Kaisha-sama's head is already boiling with hot water after witnessing this shocking scene. Yo Chuju. Wu Yan greeted Hinajiku as if nothing had happened. It's as if everything that happened just now was just an insignificant matter. Chuju couldn't believe it. This shameless, hateful guy pushed down another woman and still greeted his own wife. Is there anything more shameless than this? Of course, what Chuju didn't know is that there's something even more shameless to come. Chuju ah. Wu Yan stood up with a smile and faced Chuju naked. Chuju couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Moreover, he slowly approached Chuju. Seeing Wu Yan getting closer to her, Hinajiku had a bad premonition. She even forgot to criticize him and turned it into this sentence. What are you doing? Hurry up and put on your clothes. Red in the face, Chuju stomped her feet. She turned her head and shouted angrily. However, Wu Yan ignored her. Chuju, come and accompany me. Wu Yan said something that shocked Chuju. Seeing Wu Yan getting closer and closer to her, Chuju couldn't help but take 2 steps back. She panicked. What are you doing? Could it be? A thought flashed through her mind. Chuju was completely shocked. She knew that with Wu Yan's level of shamelessness, he would definitely do this kind of thing. She didn't wait for Wu Yan to answer. She turned around and planned to run away. Unfortunately, the president's action was still one step too slow. Extending his hand, Wu Yan pulled Kaisha-sama, who was trying to escape, into his arms. Amidst her screams, he sealed her lips with his. Oh. Chuju's lips were blocked. She struggled with all her might, trying to escape from Wu Yan's evil claws. How could the president with a tender face be willing to be with Wu Yan in a place like the bathroom? Moreover, there was another woman in a place like Wu Yan. Therefore, Wu Yan, who was familiar with Chuju's personality, didn't say anything. He directly grabbed Chuju's little butt and pinched Chuju's little butt. Chuju froze. She grabbed him again, this time from the top. The frozen Kaisha-sama went limp again. She could only use her fists to beat Wu Yan's chest with a strength that couldn't even kill a mosquito. This time, it was Kaisha-sama's thin pajamas that got ripped to shreds. Naturally, Kaisha-sama was able to see Wu Yan's naked body. No. Chuju didn't give up on running away. She twisted her body. However, this was just to please Wu Yan. Lifting Kaishisama up, Wu Yen snickered. Ignoring Kaishisama's weak resistance, he placed her in his arms. With a muffled groan, the president gave up on resisting. At this time, resisting was useless. Chuju gritted her teeth with a pair of yellowish-green eyes. She softly moaned. Naughty, 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 Wu Yen responded to Chuju with a fierce attack. A new nocturne was played in the bathroom again. In Astria's room, on the bed, the master of the bed was covered tightly with a blanket. Faint mumbling could be heard coming from the blanket. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything. Nothing. Chapter 192. Academy City, School District 7. In his own home, Wu Yen is sitting in front of a table looking at the 2 invitation letters on the table. He scratched his head helplessly. The 2 invitation letters in front of him obviously aren't Shokuho Misaki's invitation letters, they're Tokuwadai's Midsummer Festival invitation letters. As a special day of Tokuwadai that appeared in the original work, Wu Yen of course knew about it. He even remembered that Mikoto would perform the violin on the day of the Midsummer Festival. To be honest, Wu Yen is looking forward to Mikoto's violin performance. More importantly, the theme of Tokuwadai's Midsummer Festival is maids. Can you imagine how big of a temptation it is for a cute girl who used to be a young lady to wear a maid uniform and stand at the door, calling out, "Welcome, master," in a coquettish voice? Even Wu Yen, who already has 3 girls, is getting restless. He wants to see it for himself. As for why Wu Yen, who was supposed to be looking forward to it, he's looking so distressed right now. It's because of the invitation letters. Tokuwadai's Midsummer Festival wasn't something that anyone could participate in. Only those who had been invited by the young misses of Tokuwadai and sent an invitation letter would have the qualifications to enter the dormitory and participate in the Midsummer Festival. With LV5 Tokuwadai as his wife, Wu Yen doesn't have to worry about not having an invitation letter. Look, isn't there one right in front of him? It's just that the other letter is the real reason why Wu Yen is distressed. Misaka Mikoto? Shokuho Misaki. Looking at the names on the 2 invitation letters in front of him, Wu Yen really can't think of anything more out of place than putting these 2 names together. Although Wu Yen is surprised that Jisama would invite him, he's also secretly happy. After all, how can he not be happy when a beauty is thinking about you? But more than that, he's confused. Shokuho Misaki already knows that he has Mikoto. With Shokuho Misaki's scheming mind, she should be able to deduce that he also has Hinajuku and Ikaros as well as Astria as his girls based on the conversation between Wu Yen and Mikoto. It's not hard for her to guess that he has Hinajuku and Ikaros as well as Astria as his girls. But even so, she still wanted to get involved with him. Could it be that she was up to something again? If it's because of his performance that day that he captured her heart and she threw herself into the fire to join Wu Yan's Crystal Palace, Wu Yan wouldn't think that way even if he ate an idiot. Jisama is someone who's willing to join someone else's Crystal Palace? Not to mention there's also her so-called rival, Misaka Mikoto. That's why Wu Yan's first thought is that this two-faced Jisama is up to something. Plus, when he saw Shokuho Misaki and Mikoto's invitation and the location of the Tokuwadai dormitory, Wu Yan was reminded of the Tokuwadai girls who tried to destroy him last time. Thus, Wu Yan was troubled. While Wu Yan was troubled, Kaishisama, Ikaros, and Astria came to Wu Yan's side. Kaishisama looked at the invitation on the table and picked up one of them. "Are you going or not? It's about to start," Hinajuku said unhappily. Hinajuku was looking forward to this kind of event. It was similar to Bai King Academy's festival. Wu Yan bitterly smiled and slapped his cheeks to get rid of those thoughts. He walked to the door. "If I die, I die." Academy City, School District 7, Wu Yan, Hinajuku, Ikaros, and Astria stood at the entrance of the Tokuwadai dormitory. They looked at the people who handed in their invitations and walked in. They also looked at the people who didn't have invitations standing not far away from them. They looked at each other and smiled. So many people. It's so lively. Astria's eyes sparkled as she looked at the people around her. She looked really happy. The men and women around her gasped in surprise. Astria didn't know that she's already made a lot of people fall for her cuteness. She was still looking around. She was the one who looked forward to the Tokuwadai Midsummer Festival the most. It's not just because it's fun, it's also because of what Wu Yan said to Astria before they came. "You can eat all the food in the Tokuwadai Midsummer Festival for free." Astria's eyes lit up. Bringing along 3 pretty girls who stunned everyone, Wu Yan walked to the entrance of the inspection room and handed over the invitation letter. Then, he walked into Tokuwadai's dormitory amidst the envy and jealousy he's been through countless times. "Welcome, master." The four of them stood in the middle of the hall with 2 rows of maids. They were all stunned when they heard the delicate greeting. Of course they were stunned for different reasons. Wu Yen rubbed his chin while looking at the 2 rows of maids. He suddenly looked forward to seeing Mikoto in maid attire. "Don't tell me Mikoto is dressed like that too?" Chuju raised an eyebrow and said. However, Wu Yen saw that she was looking forward to it more. "Where's the food?" Astria looked left and right before she blurted out those words. Wu Yen and Hinajiku both felt powerless. The 2 rows of Tokuwadai maids gasped when they saw the person's face. One of them even pointed at Wu Yen and shouted, "Isn't that the scum who seduced Misaka-sama and Shokuha-sama?" Time. It stopped. Wu Yan's lips twitched, he endured the gazes he got from the crowd, he almost went crazy. Hinajiku and Astria are stunned, they don't know why this happened. Ikaros is the only one who's still as calm as ever. Wu Yan really wanted to ridicule the girl for saying something like, scum, or, seduction, but he didn't have the time to care about these things. A petite figure suddenly appeared in front of Wu Yan. She swung her 2 pink ponytails with a frosty expression. A small palm came towards Wu Yan. Wu Yan already sensed her since she appeared. However, he didn't do anything. He didn't want to expose his strength in front of so many people. However, just because Wu Yan didn't make a move doesn't mean others can't. A light blue crystal shield formed from data appeared in front of Wu Yan. It blocked the hand that reached towards Wu Yan. Ikaros raised her hand as if she did something insignificant. Before she could react, Wu Yan grabbed her hand and with a twist, he locked her hand behind her back. His other hand pressed against her forehead, restraining her. The scene that had happened once before was happening again. "Damn scum. Let me go." A certain pink pig-tailed creature that Kuriko pronounced as a pervert struggled with all her might in Wu Yan's arms. Her pink eyes were filled with resentment towards Wu Yan. Wu Yan helplessly patted Kuriko's head, causing her to be very dissatisfied. "I say, Kuriko, how did I provoke you? You actually attacked me the moment you arrived." "Don't call me Kuriko so intimately." Kuriko shouted loudly. "Wait until I move a scum like you into the ground, then I'll burn the joss paper and tell you why." Rolling his eyes, Wu Yan said directly. "Even if you don't say it, I can guess why a Yuri girl like you is targeting me. Isn't it because of Mikoto? Since you know, then obediently let me move you into the ground. Only an idiot would do that. I think you want me to tie you up again. You dare." Although she said that, Kuriko still stopped struggling. It seems like she's still afraid that Wu Yan will really tie her up. However, Kuriko still said with hatred, "Damn it, this won't do. I must find a chance to destroy this scum. I can't let him get close to Wani-sama. I say, can you lower your voice?" Chapter 193. Under everyone's gaze, Wu Yan and Kuriko were locked in a stalemate. Neither of them could move the other. When the surrounding people saw how much Kuriko hated Wu Yan, they started whispering among themselves. Kuriko was Mikoto's roommate, everyone knew this. After all, it was hard for the roommate of Tokuwadai's ace to not be famous. When they saw how much Mikoto-sama's roommate wanted to get rid of Wu Yan, they were even more certain of their thoughts. This scum in front of them used despicable means to capture Mikoto-sama's heart. Mikoto-sama's roommate found out about this. Therefore, Mikoto-sama's roommate, in order to save Mikoto-sama from the evil clutches of that scum, she charged forward to fight the Devil King without any regard for her own safety. When this thought appeared, the gazes of the Tokuwadai girls towards Wu Yan became very unfriendly. Even those from the Queen's faction started to gather their computing power, planning to get rid of Wu Yan. If Wu Yan knew what these Tokuwadai girls were thinking, he would definitely tie them all up and bring them home and beep, 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 together. At the crucial moment, Mikoto finally appeared. She didn't know that her appearance prevented a tragedy from happening. When she saw Wu Yan and Kuriko, she was shocked for a moment before running over. "Wani-sama. Hurry and leave. Don't get close to this scum. He will defile you." Kuriko immediately shouted when she saw Mikoto running over. Her words made Wu Yan's face darken. Mikoto, who was running over, almost tripped and fell on the floor. Wu Yan slapped Kuriko's head and ignored her cries of pain and protest. He looked at Mikoto's new appearance and his eyes lit up as he nodded in satisfaction. She was wearing the exact same maid outfit that he saw on the screen before. Wu Yan had to admit that Mikoto at this moment was really cute. At this time, Wu Yen suddenly remembered that the maid outfit and apron he bought when he went out with Mikoto was still in his space ring. Looking at Mikoto, then at Chuju and Ikaros, Wu Yan's eyes flashed with an evil glint. It was decided. Next time he would definitely make the three of them wear maid outfits or aprons and have a go with him. Chuju, Mikoto, and Ikaros didn't know about Wu Yan's evil thoughts, but Chuju and Mikoto both felt a chill down their spines. They felt a sense of danger approaching, making them paranoid. As for Ikaros, forget about maid outfits and aprons, she even tried wearing her angelic light armor to make love to Wu Yan, let alone maid outfits and aprons. Blackie, what the hell are you doing? Mikoto came to the front of the crowd and heard the girls of Tokuwadai whispering. She thought that Kuriko had done something shameful again and immediately criticized her. Wani-sama. Blackie didn't do anything. Kuriko looked at Mikoto with a pure and innocent expression. She was actually kinda cute, but the next sentence completely shattered her image. I just want to prevent this scum from tainting my beloved Wani-sama. Blackie wants to stuff this scum into the ground. You bastard. Mikoto clenched her fists. At this moment, Mikoto felt that everyone's eyes were glaring. After all, Mikoto didn't want others to think that she's a girl with an abnormal sexual orientation, although it's not like she hasn't acted out this scene in front of everyone before. Wani-sama. Blackie's hands were held behind her back by Wu Yen. She could only kick her legs towards Mikoto and shout loudly, Wani-sama. You should leave here first. Let Blackie go first. Oh. Without waiting for Blackie to finish, Mikoto already guessed that she's going to say something shameful. She directly used Dragon Catcher Hand, pinched Blackie's cheeks and pulled them away with all her strength. Blackie. Mikoto forced a smile and said, don't you know that every time you say something, it makes me feel a lot of pressure? Oh. With her cheeks being pulled, Blackie could only spit out a few whimpers, tears in the corner of her eyes. She probably wants Mikoto to let her go. Your relationship is still as good as always. At this time, the sudden appearance of a voice finally saved Blackie. Ruko and Waharu stood not far away, as cute as always. But this time, the two girls didn't wear Sakugawa Middle School's uniform. Instead they wore casual clothes. Zuitin-san. Waharu-san. Mikoto awkwardly let go of her hand, and Wu Yen also let go at the same time. Blackie suddenly slid to the ground like a puddle of mud. Mikoto quickly shook her head. How is our relationship good? It's just playing around. Yes, that's right. Like this, it's more likely to make people suspect that you're a Yuri. Ruko and Waharu also laughed. Of course they know what's going on, they're just teasing Mikoto. Mikoto laughed dryly, speechless. Era, isn't this good? Hearing this familiar laughter, Mikoto's face suddenly froze and everyone else was stunned, because the owner of the voice is a beautiful blonde girl. Shokuho Misaki. Looking at Shokuho Misaki in her maid uniform, elegantly walking towards him, Wu Yan's mouth twitched. Although he received Shokuho Misaki's invitation, Wu Yan didn't expect her to appear here. What's going on? In the original work, he didn't see Shokuho Misaki appear in the Midsummer Festival. The surrounding people were excited. Not only did Misaka-sama appear, even Shokuho-sama appeared in front of them, and at this time they're already cheering. This scene is like a celebrity's appearance, appearing in the midst of cheers and supporters, full of aura. So beautiful. So cool. Ruko and Waharu looked at Shokuho Misaki with stars in their eyes. One is envious of her ability level, the other is envious of her aura. What a show. Chuju also sighed. If everyone is sighing, then Mikoto is completely dissatisfied. You woman, why are you here? Shokuho Misaki giggled and walked to Wu Yan's side, and under everyone's stunned gaze she hugged Wu Yan's arm and said intimately, Of course I'm here to pick up my little yen. Mikoto gritted her teeth, and Chuju, who doesn't know Shokuho Misaki, glanced at Wu Yan with a dangerous glint in her eyes, causing Wu Yan to shiver. I need an explanation. Chuju's eyes were filled with such intent, and Wu Yan could only nod helplessly. He looked at Ikaros, who also wanted to say something but stopped and shook his head at her. Ikaros then returned to her original state. Wu Yan looked up at the sky and sighed. Even if he used his heel to think, he can guess what's going to happen next. Are you trying to provoke me? Mikoto's forehead flashed with electricity. She looked at Shokuho Misaki and said in a low voice. Shokuho Misaki didn't care at all and just smiled. Misaka-sen, how can you say that? I invited little Yen here. Of course I'm here to pick him up. I'm not trying to provoke you at all. Who would believe you if you say that out loud? Wu Yan cursed in his heart. He felt helpless that the fire would spread to him so quickly. Sure enough, Mikoto turned to Wu Yan and said gently, Yen, Did you come because she invited you? How can you believe that? Are you an idiot? Wu Yen clutched his head, indicating that he has a headache. Mikoto's face turned red. She felt ashamed that she actually believed Shokuho Misaki's words. Little Yen, I clearly have one. Shokuho Misaki hugged Wu Yan's arm and acted coquettishly, causing the jaws of the Tokuwadai girls who are familiar with her to drop to the ground. Mikoto turned a deaf ear to Shokuho Misaki's words. She immediately turned to Shokuho Misaki and said, Shokuho Misaki, Yen said he wasn't invited by you. You can leave, leave. Mikoto hesitated. In the end she clenched her teeth, closed her eyes and shouted with a red face. Can you please leave my boyfriend? Chapter 194. Can you please leave my boyfriend? Silence. A deathly silence. The onlookers, Tokuwadai's made attire, Wu Yen and Co., including Shokuho Misaki and Ikaros, who were calm and collected, all froze in place. Mikoto's eyes were still closed, her face was completely red, and she didn't even dare to look at anyone. It's really hard to believe that she was the one who said those words just now. Even Hinajiku, who had sacrificed her first time with Mikoto, couldn't help but twitch her mouth in shock. She looked at Shokuho Misaki, who was still in a daze, and said awkwardly, This woman, just how bad is her relationship with Mikoto to force her to this extent? Wu Yen laughed dryly. How would Hinajiku know that Shokuho Misaki is the person Mikoto dislikes the most? To be able to make Mikoto feel a sense of danger, she must be quite the character. Although Wu Yen felt pretty good when he heard Mikoto yell, Can you please leave my boyfriend? In front of everyone. Mikoto-ne-sen, Mikoto-senpai, you're so brave. Astria, Ruko, and Ueharu looked at Mikoto with admiration. It's like they're on a pilgrimage. Oh, Wani-sama. This can't be real. At this moment of incomparable silence, an incomparably mournful scream suddenly came from the mouth of a certain lump on the ground. It was a scream of despair. The voice was filled with disbelief and madness. The double ponytailed Yuri creature seems to have triggered some sort of resurrection on the spot state. She jumped up from the floor and jumped 3 feet high. When she landed on the ground, her whole body was already pouncing towards Mikoto, who still hasn't opened her eyes. Wani-sama. This can't be real. Oh. Kuriko clung onto Mikoto's body, her little face was rubbing against Mikoto's small chest. She cried as she did so. Wani-sama. My great, handsome and charming Wani-sama. How could you submit to the power of that scum ape? This can't be real. Wani-sama. Don't abandon Kuriko. Whoa. At this moment, there was no doubt that the scene belonged to the two girls who were tightly pressed against each other. Because everyone had already been completely dumbfounded from the two blows. Kuriko, Mikoto thought that she would be praised by the crowd, but what she got was an attack from this black and white creature. Mikoto's mind was in a mess. All sorts of weird gazes fell on her body. It was as if they were re-evaluating her as a person. Mikoto felt all sorts of awkwardness. As she screamed, the electricity flowed through her body, and then, it was all absorbed by the pervert on her body. Black smoke billowed out as she fell to the ground. Kuriko's body twitched as saliva dripped from the corner of her mouth. She was moaning as if she was having an orgasm. Everyone around her felt a chill down their spine. They subconsciously took 2 steps back to distance themselves from her. Shokuho Misaki covered her mouth with her hand. It's not clear if she's trying to act like a queen or if she's shocked by Mikoto's words. She looked at the expressions of the people around her and then at the embarrassed Mikoto and Wu Yen, who's laughing dryly. Her eyes flashed with a hint of resentment, and without thinking, she opened her mouth. Misaka, classmate, you're wrong. Little Yen is my boyfriend. Wu Yen, who was laughing dryly, froze. Everyone who just came back to their senses from Mikoto's declaration and Kuriko's farce was once again stunned by Shokuho Misaki's statement. Their minds went blank. You. Mikoto was so angry that her forehead was throbbing with electricity. Her face turned from red to angry. She didn't expect Shokuho Misaki to be so shameless. Hugging your boyfriend is a natural thing to do, Misaka-san. Shokuho Misaki pulled out a victorious smile. Her hand that was covered with a white spider web glove was circling Wu Yan's chest. You. Mikoto was panting heavily as she glared at Shokuho Misaki. What right do you have to say that Yen is your boyfriend? Misaka-san, as a member of Tokuwadai, don't tell me you didn't hear the rumors about Tokuwadai? Shokuho Misaki smirked and looked at Mikoto with sly eyes. Everyone knows that I went on a date with Yen not long ago. Tell me, if he's not my boyfriend, why would I go on a date with him? The people around nodded. Indeed, with Shokuho Misaki's personality, if she didn't like a guy, she wouldn't go on a date with him. Only Shokuho Misaki herself knew that she was only embarrassed at the time. You went on a date with him and that proves he's your boyfriend? Mikoto was so angry that she laughed. She pointed at Chuju Ikaros and Astria. She didn't care about the consequences. Then me, Chuju Ikaros, and Astria all went on a date with Yen. Does that mean he's our boyfriend? What? This time everyone was shocked. They looked at the 5 of them who were the best of the best. Mikoto, Chuju Ikaros, Astria, and Shokuho Misaki, and they all screamed. Following that, all sorts of gazes such as danger, disdain, jealousy, resentment, and disbelief shot from their eyes at the winner of life in their eyes. Scum. Scum. Beast. Shameless. My idol. When the last sentence was said, the owner of the voice felt the murderous intent directed at him. He trembled and pointed at Wu Yen without hesitation. Bastard. Everyone was satisfied and retracted their murderous intent. Wu Yan's veins were popping, he wanted to kill them all. Shokuho Misaki finally noticed Chuju Ikaros and Astria. She didn't know these 3, but these 3 names have been on her mind for a long time. She took a good look at the 3 girls. Even Shokuho Misaki couldn't help but sigh. These 3 girls' looks and temperament are extraordinary. Even compared to her and that eerie toddler's body, they're on par with them. Women like this are all gathered around this man. Just who is he? Shokuho Misaki glanced at Wu Yen and put on an elegant smile. She bowed to Chuju and the others. My apologies, everyone. It's my fault for not noticing the 3 of you. I apologize, I hope the 3 of you can forgive me. Her natural and graceful posture, as well as her style of etiquette, won the hearts of the people around her. She also won the favor of Chuju and Astria. As for Ikaros, forget about it. It's nothing, don't worry about it. Hinajuku waved her hand at Shokuho Misaki, showing that she didn't mind. After all, the president of the student council of Baihuang Academy is someone who doesn't know manners. Shokuho Misaki smiled politely, but she was shocked. Shokuho Misaki's ability had already been activated when she was greeting him. However, he did not expect that the 3 girls in front of him were not affected at all. It was as if his ability had sunk into a stone pond, never to return. There was no response at all. Who the hell are they? Of course, on the surface, Shokuho Misaki maintained a calm expression. She continued to exchange pleasantries with Chuju. Wu Yen was having a headache watching this. Looking at the eyes of the girls around him, Wu Yen looked up at the sky speechlessly. He felt like it's better for him to play a small role in this situation. However, when Mikoto saw him, it turned into an acknowledgement of Shokuho Misaki's so-called boyfriend. She gritted her teeth and ran to Wu Yan's side to grab his arm. Why aren't you leaving that woman? Mikoto exclaimed in exasperation. At the same time, she pinched Wu Yan's waist and gave it a hard twist. Ouch! Wu Yan, who has never tried this skill that is exclusively for women, howled in pain as tears streamed down his cheeks. It's my fault again. Chapter 195. Wu Yen, who was planning to be a walk-on, was pinched by Mikoto. His howl of pain immediately attracted the attention of the crowd. Mikoto and Mikoto's words made Wu Yen the center of attention, and now he's the center of attention. Looking at the expressions of the people around him, he rubbed the bruised flesh on his waist. Wu Yen pursed his lips. He didn't expect Sis Cannon to do something so girly. With a sigh, Wu Yen freed himself from Shokuho Misaki and Mikoto's arms. He looked at Shokuho Misaki with a smile. Hey Queen-sama, aren't you afraid that I'll take your boyfriend's words seriously? Shokuho Misaki was stunned for a moment before she smiled and hugged Wu Yan's arm again. What are you talking about, little Yen? We're a couple, how could you say that? Don't tell me. At this point, Shokuho Misaki's eyes were filled with tears as she sobbed pitifully. Don't tell me you're not going to admit it? Whoosh. Other than the 2 of them who were standing in the center of the room, the rest of the crowd turned their attention to Wu Yen. If looks could kill, Wu Yen would have died 1,000,000 times over. Shokuho Misaki's act is so convincing that the others couldn't help but believe her. Even Hinajuku and Co are looking at Wu Yen suspiciously, they're imagining Wu Yen having an affair. Only Mikoto, who knew Shokuho Misaki very well, pursed her lips in disdain and retorted. Last time was the first time you 2 met, this is the second time, right? Would you call a guy you just met your boyfriend for the first time? Shokuho Misaki laughed and stared at Mikoto with an inexplicable expression. She looked at Mikoto as if she was looking at an ignorant elementary school student. Miss Axon, have you never heard of love at first sight? You're so ignorant. Looking at Jisama, who was on the verge of tears a second ago and now she's smiling like a flower, Wu Yen silently ridiculed her. Mikoto glanced at her and mocked her. You fell in love with Yen at first sight, that's only possible if he thinks highly of you. F***CK. This is big trouble. Wu Yen knew something was wrong when he heard Sis Cannon's words. Queen Sama's eyes twinkled and she said in a tender voice. Little Yen, tell me, did you fall in love at first sight with me? Mikoto immediately turned around and hugged Wu Yan's other arm and glared at him. Tell me. Are you interested in this woman or not? Both his arms lost again. Wu Yen, Mikoto, help him. Mikoto or Ikaros could save his life. Mikoto. Ikaros couldn't help but take a step forward. She was about to say something when Hinagiku stopped her. Smiling sweetly at Wu Yen, Chuju whispered. Actually, I want to know the answer too. Why am I always the one getting hurt? Looking at the sweet-looking Shokuho Misaki and the serious-looking Mikoto, Wu Yen sighed. He rolled his eyes and leaned closer to Mikoto and whispered something in her ear that almost made her jump. Mikoto, if you want to know the answer, promise me that you'll bring me to your dorm later. Wear what you're wearing and do it with me. Blood started spreading from Mikoto's neck upwards. In a short while, Mikoto's entire face was as hot as boiling water. Even her head felt a little dizzy. You actually, how about it? Promise me? Wu Yen grinned at Mikoto. Mikoto was starting to suspect that Wu Yen had been planning this all along. Is that all you've been thinking about? Mikoto clenched her teeth. Her face was red as she suppressed her urge to go berserk. Then do you promise me or not? Wu Yen didn't deny it. If you don't promise me then, you bastard. Mikoto's blushing face kept changing. Her heart was beating so fast. How was she supposed to answer this question? The surrounding people looked at the two who were whispering to each other suspiciously. Looking at Misaka Mikoto's bashful face, they started to think about it. Shokuho Misaki, who was closest to the two, pricked up her ears trying to listen for something. Unfortunately, Wu Yen and Mikoto's voices were muffled. She couldn't hear anything clearly. This made her anxious. Mikoto also saw Shokuho Misaki's actions. Thinking of Wu Yan's answer, she panicked. She looked at Wu Yen and whispered. I promise, that's it. Wu Yen, who had an evil grin on his face and was probably laughing in his heart. After getting Mikoto's answer, he turned around and looked at Shokuho Misaki. I say, Jisama, let's make things clear today. Wu Yen smiled at Shokuho Misaki. His expression made Shokuho Misaki frown. What? Shokuho Misaki pretended to be calm as she glared at Wu Yen. Wu Yan's expression right now is exactly the same as the first time they met when he stood up for Misaka Mikoto. You already know Chuju Ikaros and Astria, right? Wu Yen waved his hand at Hinagiku, Ikaros, and Astria. The three girls came over with confused looks on their faces. Jisama, Misaka Mikoto is my woman. Mikoto's face turned red again. Shokuho Misaki was still looking at Wu Yen. She knew Wu Yen had more to say, but Wu Yan's next sentence stunned her. Gui Chuju is also my woman. Why did you say that? Chuju was stunned. Her face was burning. She didn't expect Wu Yen to suddenly say something like that. The crowd went into an uproar. Jisama was also stunned. She couldn't stay calm anymore. Unfortunately, Wu Yen seemed to want to challenge her bottom line. And Ikaros is also my woman. Ikaros's face turned red and she lowered her head. As for the audience, they were already in hysterics. What is the meaning of this? Is he going to open the Crystal Palace openly? This guy should be dragged out and punished by the heavens. Wu Yen ignored all the discussions and looked at Shokuho Misaki, who was stunned by his words. As you've heard, I have 3 women who love me very much and I love them very much too. Therefore, Your Majesty, if you still insist on the idea of, I'm your boyfriend, then you're welcome to join us. Boom. That one sentence made the crowd go crazy. He actually said that he would welcome Jisama from Tokuwadai, the number 5 Shokuho Misaki, to join his Crystal Palace? Also, Tokuwadai's Electric Princess, the number 3 trump card, Misaka Mikoto, is also a member of his Crystal Palace? The world has gone crazy. At this time, Wu Yen didn't care about the gazes of the people around him anymore. He looked like he didn't care at all. It's as if the words he just said didn't come out of his mouth. From a strategy point of view, Wu Yan's action is undoubtedly limiting Jisama's favorability to below 50. She can't go any further. In fact, she might even suspect Wu Yan's intentions. Lowering her favorability towards Wu Yan wouldn't be surprising. However, Wu Yan didn't care. It's not that he doesn't like Jisama, but she's too domineering. To gain her approval, he must at least be stronger than her. Otherwise she will ride on his head. It's fine if Jisama enters his arms, she can ride on his head. She's his woman anyway, what can she do? Also, he can't hide his relationship with Chuju and the others from the quick-witted Jisama. It might be better if he just said it out loud. Worst comes to worst, I'll make her my summon. When that happens, she won't be able to run away. Pulling up Mikoto and Hinajiku, who were also stunned by his declaration, Wu Yan headed towards the dormitory with Ikaros and Astria in tow, leaving behind a group of people who were stunned by what they just heard. Shokuho Misaki stared at Wu Yan's back as he left. She gritted her teeth and stomped her feet. She cursed under her breath. Damn man. Unfaithful man. What's so great about him? How dare he embarrass me in front of everyone? No man has ever rejected me like that. Wu Yan, just you wait. Chapter 196. Ah! With a light cry, Mikoto was lifted up by Wu Yan and thrown onto her own bed. When she landed on the soft bed, Mikoto immediately flipped over. Her face was already flushed red. Closing the door to Mikoto's dorm room, Wu Yan looked at Mikoto in her maid attire, his heart filled with excitement as he slowly walked towards her. Chuju and Ikaros accompanied Astria to the cafeteria. One of Astria's reasons for coming here was to feast. Wu Yan used that as an excuse to send the three of them away. Then he dragged Mikoto to her room. Even though he was interested in Sis Cannon's room, now wasn't the time to take a closer look. First things first. Looking at Wu Yan, who was getting closer and closer to her, Mikoto started panicking. She couldn't help but move deeper into the bed. She looks like a girl who is about to be raped. Wu Yan's blood is boiling. Mikoto gulped and forced a smile. Yan, it's not a good idea for us to leave Hinajiku and the rest behind. What if they can't find us later on? Let's go back. Don't worry, with Astria's appetite they won't leave the cafeteria so soon. We have plenty of time. With one knee on the bed, Wu Yan said as he approached Mikoto. It's like he's preparing to make love to her before he goes in for the deed. Mikoto moved back again. Her face turned red as she panicked and tried to find an excuse. Then what about Zuotian and Waharu? They will be helpless without anyone to lead the way. There are so many Tokuwadai ladies here, there are plenty of people to lead the way. Don't worry. Wu Yan closed in on Mikoto and forced her to the head of the bed. She had nowhere to run. Mikoto whimpered unwillingly. Even though she knew she couldn't escape her fate this time, she still retreated. After all, Sis Cannon's face was too tender. Wu Yan rolled his eyes and said, Don't waste your time, I've been waiting for this day for a long time. You won't be able to escape. Just accept your fate. That was true. In the original work, Sis Cannon wore her Tokuwadai uniform the most. Even though the uniform was cute, it didn't feel good to wear the same uniform all the time. That's why ever since he saw Mikoto's maid outfit in the Tokuwadai Midsummer Festival episode, Wu Yan had fantasized more than once about doing it with Sis Cannon in a maid outfit. Now the opportunity was right in front of Wu Yan. How could Wu Yan let such a fat piece of meat slip away? Looking at his face getting closer and closer, Mikoto's face blushed uncontrollably. After a while she finally couldn't take it anymore and shouted, I knew it. It still won't work. She pushed Wu Yan away from her and jumped off the bed. Then she ran towards the door. But how could Mikoto beat Wu Yan in terms of physical fitness? Before she could run far, she felt her hand being grabbed. She lost her balance and fell on Wu Yan, who was behind her. Ah! Just as she fell down, Mikoto felt her earlobe being sucked by something. A soft tongue was licking her earlobe, causing her to cry out in surprise. A pair of large hands wrapped around her waist from behind, trapping her firmly in his arms. Mikoto blushed and closed her eyes as she accepted her fate. His tongue licked Mikoto's earlobe, then licked her cheeks, causing Mikoto to shrink back. Wu Yan rubbed Mikoto's head and then aimed his mouth at her lips. Her lips were blocked. Mikoto felt her tongue was also captured by him. Although this wasn't the first time she kissed Wu Yan, her performance was still very awkward. Her tongue was passively led by Wu Yan. Since their lips had already moved, Wu Yan's hand naturally couldn't stop. His hands caressed Mikoto's clothes. Since he was aiming for Mikoto's outfit, Wu Yan obviously wouldn't take off her clothes. He only divided his hands into two and attacked the important parts. Feeling her important parts being controlled by the familiar temperature, Mikoto was so embarrassed that she moaned. Her lips couldn't help but leave Wu Yan's grasp. That won't do. This kind of sound not only didn't stop Wu Yan's actions, instead it ignited Wu Yan's fire. His movements didn't stop, instead he attacked faster. In an instant, the two soft semicircles on her upper and lower body fell into Wu Yan's devil's claws. Ah! Her hands involuntarily grabbed onto Wu Yan's hands. Perhaps she wanted to pull them away, but the strength in her hands was negligible. It didn't stop Wu Yan's movements. Through the clothes he kneaded Mikoto's body like dough. Mikoto suddenly moaned and her expression became more and more immersed. The light in her eyes was already starting to fade. Even though he really likes Mikoto's maid outfit, but through the clothes, it's not very comfortable to touch. Thus, Wu Yan decisively broke up and slid into Mikoto's clothes through the gap between the clothes and grabbed that soft white rabbit that's constantly jumping. Wait. Feeling her body being caressed without any resistance, Mikoto subconsciously cried out. Her breathing became hurried. Now, even if Wu Yan didn't stop her, she probably wouldn't be able to escape in a short time. With one hand he pinched Mikoto's apple that had grown a lot bigger thanks to him. With the other he slipped his hand under Mikoto's maid dress and stroked it. You. Both hands clutching the skirt, Mikoto closed her eyes. Her cheeks were flushed red, so tender that it's almost dripping water. Her body trembled slightly as if she's trying to hold back the pleasure in her body. His hand that's already slid into the skirt quickly felt another layer of resistance. Touching there, Wu Yan helplessly sighed. Why is it safety pants again? Hearing that, Mikoto immediately opened her eyes and glared at him. Her face was still red. Doing this kind of action is too cute, plus that maid outfit, it's so cute. Well, safety pants it is. In any case, I still have to take them off. In the midst of Mikoto's screams, Wu Yan nimbly took off Mikoto's safety pants. Then, with a stretch of his hand, he took off the little cutie in the safety pants as well. Separating his hands, he pulled down Mikoto's maid attire. Instantly, a pair of delicate little bunnies jumped out, causing Mikoto to gasp in surprise. Mikoto, lie on the wall? Wu Yan whispered in Mikoto's ear. But it's not hard to hear that Wu Yan's breathing has become heavier. No. Protecting her little white rabbits with both hands, Mikoto is still making her final resistance. But her resistance can only last for a short while. Soon Mikoto is lying on the wall. Wu Yan excitedly grabbed Mikoto's waist and lifted her body up. Mikoto's little but is facing Wu Yan's direction. Faintly, one can see the scenery under Mikoto's naked skirt. Posing in such a shameful position, Mikoto's heart is so embarrassed that she wants to die. The degree of humiliation is even worse than that time in the movie theater. But when Wu Yan enters the zone, he's invincible. When Mikoto enters the zone, she'll also turn into a soft girl. One hard and one soft. Naturally the hard one wins and the soft one has no power to resist. Five-Finger Mountain climbed up to the butt position, removing the last cover. The enemy's gate is right in front of them. Our spearmen are already waiting at the gate. The spearmen were like a hot knife through butter as they forced their way into the enemy's gates. When the spearmen forced their way into the city, the enemy let out a cry of defeat. Their final struggle was crushed by the spearmen's strength. Lying on Mikoto's back, Wu Yan's hands are holding two little white rabbits. He's pinching and squeezing them. Mikoto's head is raised and moaning. Following Wu Yan's movements, moaning sounds keep coming out. Who would have thought that Tokuwadai's ace, Academy City's number 3 railgun's Misaka Mikoto, the Misaka-sama in Tokuwadai's mounts, is currently being conquered by a man in her own dorm, moaning sounds, begging for mercy, echoes in this room. There's still a lot of time. Chapter 197. Lying on Mikoto's bed, Wu Yan lightly breathed out. His face is flushed with pleasure, the only thing missing is the word, satisfied, written on his face. His entire body is numb. Mikoto is lying on top of Wu Yan's body. Her face is flushed, her eyes are blurred, her face is pressed against Wu Yan's chest. Her mouth is opening and closing as if she's kissing Wu Yan's skin. It can be seen that Mikoto still hasn't recovered from the previous lovemaking. At this time, the maid outfit on Mikoto's body has already been pushed up to her waist. If you don't look at it, Mikoto is in a naked state. Their bodies are intertwined in a very ambiguous position. But it's not strange. After all, Wu Yan's doppelganger is still inside Mikoto's body. Caressing Mikoto's soft back, he felt that today's trip was worth it just for this hand-to-hand fight scene. Exhaling, Mikoto finally regained her senses. Feeling the restlessness of Wu Yan's body and her current position, her flushed face became redder. Raising her head to glare at Wu Yan, Mikoto twisted her body. Resisting the electric current from Wu Yan's doppelganger, she shyly moaned. Why aren't you getting out? Mikoto's twisting almost made Wu Yan lose control again. Hugging Mikoto's body tightly, Wu Yan thrusted a few times. Mikoto's moans were all blocked, her moans turned into soft gasps. Mikoto, you're getting more and more mesmerizing. Hugging Mikoto's body, Wu Yan said while thrusting. At the same time, he felt the pleasure of Mikoto's body. Don't. Come. Her body moved with Wu Yan's thrusts. Mikoto, who no longer has the strength to cooperate, can only look at Wu Yan in a daze and beg for mercy. Of course, these begging sounds were already heard before. Wu Yan didn't listen to her. A woman on the bed should listen to the opposite. Wu Yan faithfully carried out this rule. Without holding back, he tossed the body on top of him and enjoyed to his heart's content. But Mikoto, I still want more, don't? Mikoto was already weak. She moaned while saying, later? You're still. Performance? Wu Yan stopped what he was doing and slapped his head. He almost forgot that Mikoto still has a violin performance to perform. Wu Yan stopped what he was doing and Mikoto finally had a chance to catch her breath. Her breaths were intermittent. Midsummer Festival. I want to go on stage, so. He helplessly nodded. Since Mikoto still wants to perform, there's no point in continuing this scene. Although it's a bit of a pity, Wu Yan already enjoyed himself to the fullest. At most, he'll find another chance to play again. After all, he still has a set of maids in his interspatial ring. Wu Yan lifted Mikoto up and straddled her. Once again he tossed Mikoto's body. As the moans continued, Wu Yan said, then Mikoto, you have to do your best. If you mess up, there'll be punishment. What else can Mikoto say? She could only moan and nod her head with difficulty and beg for mercy. Otherwise, she really won't have the strength to go on stage. However, with Wu Yan's interruption, Mikoto's nervousness about going on stage flew out of her head. It's not a bad thing. After tossing a few more times, Wu Yan really didn't want it to end like this. So he used all his strength and pounded Mikoto's soul out of her body, making her unable to control herself. Even if it ends, it'll have to wait until after this. When Wu Yan and Mikoto arrived at the cafeteria, Chuju immediately noticed them. She grumbled at them. Where did you guys go? If you didn't come back, we would have gone looking for you. Wu Yan scratched his head and smiled. Well, don't mind us. We just went to play a game. We're back now. When she heard Wu Yan say game, Mikoto, who was still thinking about what happened in the dorm, blushed again. But when she saw the mountainous pile of plates in front of Astria, she felt awkward again. You're a glutton as always, Astria? Wu Yan laughed dryly and sighed helplessly. Thank goodness I have enough gold coins. Otherwise, I don't know how I'm going to feed this angel. Chuju curled her lips in disdain and pointed in a direction. Astria's place is nothing. Look over there, that's the real deal. Everyone looked at where Hinajiku was pointing. When they saw the scene, they were shocked. If Astria's pile was as big as a mountain, then that pile was as big as 10 mountains. Mikoto looked at the table over there and then at Astria's table. Her mouth twitched. That's really nothing. As for Wu Yan, who is standing at the side, he is completely speechless with an awkward expression. If he wasn't mistaken, the person buried under the plates is a little girl with long silver hair wearing a nun's habit. Wu Yan found out the truth of the matter when he saw the hedgehog head sweating profusely at the side. I didn't expect you to be so free, Misaka Mikoto. At this time, an unusually low female voice entered everyone's ears. Everyone who was stuck in the world of plates was stunned. When they looked towards the source of the voice, they were stunned again. Wu Yan frowned. You are? Mikoto hesitated for a moment. She looked at the strange girl who looked like someone owed her money. Misaka Mikoto, Tokuwadai's railgun, Academy City's number 3. You don't know me, but I know you very well. Standing in front of the crowd, the girl wearing a blue one-piece school uniform said. The girl had a head of slightly curly blue hair that reached her shoulders. Her face was tense and her eyes were like the eyes of a fish. She looked like she didn't care about anything. Mikoto frowned when she heard the girl's words. She had a feeling this girl didn't come looking for her for a simple reason. Who exactly are you? We can talk about this later. Right now, I have something more important to tell you. The girl glanced at Wu Yan, Hinajiku, and the others. Her intention is clear, she's going to leave this place. What is it? Can't you just say it? Chuju looked at the girl. She didn't feel any danger, but she was still a stranger. It was better to be cautious. The girl glanced at Chuju and turned to Mikoto. This is very important. I hope you can come with me. Mikoto hesitated for a moment. Just as she was about to go up, Wu Yen suddenly spoke up. No need. Just say it here. There's nothing to hide. Nobunaga. Nobunaga's expression finally changed. She looked at Wu Yen in surprise. You know me? I have a rough idea. Wu Yen took 2 steps forward and shook Mikoto's hand. Mikoto took a step back. She knew Wu Yen was someone she could entrust her life to. Wu Yen smiled at Mikoto and then he looked at Fushu Toshinabu with a serious expression. Fushu Toshinabu, since you're here looking for Mikoto, I'm guessing it has something to do with the sisters? This time, Bushu Jushin's expression could no longer be described with the word change. Instead, it was shock. You know about the sisters? I'm not the only one. Everyone knows about it. So just say it. Wu Yen said vaguely. Nobunaga looked at Mikoto, Chuju, Ikaros and Astria, who stopped eating. It seems that you all really know. Bushu Ishin furrowed his brows tightly before relaxing them. Since you all know about it and Misaka Mikoto seems to know about it as well, I'm sure you all know about the sisters being kidnapped and the plan being frozen, right? Then I'll be frank. The Absolute Aptitude Evolution Plan has been activated again. Chapter 198. That's impossible. Wu Yan's first reaction was to smile. Even though he's smiling, his heart sank because he knows who this Fukuoka is. Fukuoka is responsible for half of the sisters' current state of mind. Fukuoka was the one who gave the sisters their current mindset. That's why Wu Yan wouldn't believe it if someone else said it. But since it's Fukuoka, he has to believe it. Mikoto doesn't know who Fukuoka is, but she heard the words, Absolute Aptitude User Evolution Plan clearly. She panicked when she heard that this nightmarish plan was restarted. Are you telling the truth? Tell me. Mikoto yelled. If it wasn't for Wu Yan and the others, she wouldn't be able to hold herself back and grab Fukuoka's collar. Grabbing Mikoto's hand, Wu Yan pulled her to his side and consoled her. Mikoto, don't panic. Let's hear what she has to say first. Yen. Mikoto looked at Wu Yan worriedly. She nodded and backed away. Her eyes were glued to Tashin's body, she didn't look away at all. Fukuoka looked at everything coldly until Mikoto calmed down. Then she looked at Wu Yan. Looks like Misaka Mikoto trusts you a lot. Wu Yan smiled but didn't say anything. He asked in a low voice. Can you tell me what's going on? Why is the Absolute Aptitude User Evolution Plan restarted? Clearly there are very few sisters left and they can't support the plan at all, right? Toshinabu gave Wu Yan a deep look. She's very confused. How did this young man know so much about such a highly confidential matter? The plan itself is the same, the sisters are also the same. Also, about the sisters being kidnapped? Actually, I don't know why. Fukuoka thought for a while and said. Her voice was flat but it wasn't hard to hear the helplessness in it. I don't know why? Hearing this, Wu Yan couldn't help but frown. He didn't know why this plan that couldn't produce a result was actually started again. What was going on? Could it be Alistair's idea again? If that was the case, then what exactly was he planning? Seeing Wu Yan's distressed face, Mikoto couldn't help but feel a bit of heartache. It was all because of her fault that she came up with this plan, and Wu Yan not only brought her hope of salvation, but also put in a lot of effort for her sisters. Mikoto knew that all of this was for her sake. Mikoto's lips curled into a smile as she held onto Wu Yan's hand. A pair of tea-colored eyes met with Wu Yan's, there was an unprecedented gentleness in them. Wu Yan was almost sucked in by her gentle brown eyes. After all, Mikoto had never looked at him with such eyes before. Of course, this gentleness didn't last long. Mikoto turned her head away embarrassedly, her cheeks were a bit red. Wu Yan found it funny. Mikoto looked at Fukuoka and hesitated for a while before asking softly. Why are you telling me this? Fukuoka went silent, she didn't answer Mikoto's question and instead looked at Wu Yan. Originally, I had a plan. I wanted to give the sisters mature thoughts and use their own resistance to the experiment to stop it. However, the hunter, who suddenly appeared, took the sisters away. I don't know what method he used, but the sisters were cut off from the Misaka network's data transmission. I lost track of the sisters' whereabouts, so this plan could only be buried deep. Hunter. Hunter, is the codename given by the higher-ups of Academy City to the culprit who took the sisters away. Since they had no way of knowing the culprit's identity and whereabouts, they gave him the codename Hunter. Wu Yan could only smile bitterly. Fukuoka saw Wu Yan's bitter smile, and for the first time, she smiled peacefully and changed her tone. Originally, I was worried about what the Hunter would do to the sisters and what his goal was, but now. Fukuoka stared at Wu Yan and said, I'm not worried anymore. I think the Hunter wouldn't hurt them. He was exposed. Wu Yan helplessly shrugged. He didn't have any objections to Fukuoka. Even though she participated in the Absolute Aptitude User Evolution Project experiment, she regretted it later, didn't she? She even wanted to save the sisters because of the guilt in her heart. So Wu Yan didn't have the intention to hide it from her and said with a smile, yeah, the Hunter would never hurt them. Fukuoka smiled as if a heavy burden had been lifted off her shoulders. She then looked at Wu Yan with a heavy gaze. If the Hunter wants to take the sisters away, he must be careful of one person. Wu Yan squinted his eyes when he heard Fukuoka's words. Accelerator? Yes, Fukuoka nodded. Accelerator, although I haven't met him before, I heard that he is very concerned about the problem of strength. The Hunter took the sisters away. It can be said that the Hunter is trying to limit his evolution. Accelerator will never let this go. Fukuoka paused for a while before she continued. Besides, there is a high chance that he will participate in the operation to capture the Hunter. Wu Yan closed his eyes and smiled. Well, it's only a matter of time before we meet. Fukuoka was stunned. Aren't you afraid? Afraid? Wu Yan glanced at the people around him. There's Mikoto, Chuju, Ikaros, Astria. With them around, I will never be afraid, not even if that Birdman comes. Wu Yan's tone was filled with confidence and decisiveness. Fukuoka went silent for a while before she said helplessly, Then I can only wish you good luck. Bushu's letter left. Everyone looked at her back and stood there in a daze. They seemed to be digesting the news Bushu's letter brought. Only they knew what they were thinking. Yen, tell us, what should we do? Chuju's voice broke the silence. Ikaros and Astria looked at Wu Yan, even Mikoto did the same. Mikoto squeezed Wu Yan's hand and said seriously, This time don't think about doing it alone. Wu Yan nodded with a bitter smile. Even if I want to do it alone, I won't be able to last until the end. So don't worry, there will be a time when you will come in handy. Wu Yan pondered for a bit after that. The most important thing right now is to know the specifics of the restart of the Absolute Aptitude User Evolution Project. For example, information and the planned experimental grounds. Ikaros, you're better at this, so I'll have to trouble you to hack into their database and get the specifics. Yes, Master. Ikaros didn't even hesitate and agreed. For her, Wu Yan is already her absolute master. Wu Yan chuckled when he saw the storm brewing on everyone's faces. Of course, we'll have to wait until we get back. For now, let's enjoy the Midsummer Festival. Agreed. Astria was the first to raise her hand. She returned to the dining table at the speed of light and continued to munch on her food, making everyone sweat. Seeing that Mikoto was still a little concerned, Wu Yan said softly, All right, don't think too much. Even if the Absolute Aptitude Evolution Plan is restarted, the worst-case scenario is the sisters dying. At that time, we'll just revive them. With the genetic life supplement, there won't be a problem. Mikoto glanced at Wu Yan and nodded. Her expression relaxed. She's still a bit worried, but at least it's not like he's going to die, right? Compared to this, you should think about how to handle your performance on stage. Wu Yan shook his head with a smile and said meaningfully, If you don't perform well, you know what will happen to your dorm supervisor. Cold sweat covered Mikoto's face. Chapter 199. The Midsummer Festival slowly came to an end with Mikoto's elegant violin playing. When they left the Tokuwadai dorm, Shokuho Misaki appeared. She didn't say anything, she just made a shooting pose at Wu Yan like she was aiming at her next target. Wu Yan broke out in cold sweat. The first thing Ikaros did when she got home was to hack into the Research Institute's database and steal information on the Absolute Aptitude Evolution Project. The Absolute Aptitude Evolution Project has been restarted. Using the reason that, even if the number isn't enough for the first one to reach LV6, it can still shorten the time needed for the first one to reach LV6. The remaining sisters are included in the project. What a lame excuse. But it's undeniable that the Absolute Aptitude Evolution Project has been restarted. This is an indisputable fact. Soon, the sisters will be hunted down again. Currently, the experiment was being reorganized. Once the reorganization was complete, the Absolute Ability User Evolution Project would begin. Such an outcome made everyone heave a sigh of relief. At least there was still some time for everyone to prepare. Ikaros didn't just discover information about the Absolute Aptitude Evolution Plan, she also discovered information about 2 other plans. Although they're called projects, they're more like objectives. Wu Yen knows one of these objectives as well. It's for the higher-ups to reacquire Mikoto's DNA in order to complete the Absolute Aptitude Evolution Project. If he could obtain Mikoto's DNA before all of his sisters died, then the Absolute Aptitude Evolution Project would definitely continue. Even if they can't get Mikoto's DNA before the sisters die, they'll continue with the Absolute Aptitude Evolution Project. So now, other than saving the sisters, Wu Yen and the rest have an additional mission, and that's to protect Mikoto. With Alistair's methods, even if Mikoto doesn't want to provide her DNA, he'll still do it in a roundabout way. Those guys who came to Wu Yen for help were just a small trick. In the original work, Mikoto was useless to Alistair other than providing him with DNA and a bit of combat power. But here she's basically the center of the storm. Of course, with Mikoto's current strength, Accelerator wouldn't be able to do anything to her even if he wanted to. It's possible to defeat her, but to kill her like in the original, that's impossible. What Wu Yen had to guard against was only Alistair's secret methods, as well as Alistair's strongest fighter AI was. As for the other objective, Wu Yen was more or less surprised. It was the operation to capture the hunter. However, this was to be expected. After all, he had almost ruined Alistair's plan. It would be strange if Alistair allowed him to do as he pleased in his territory. If it weren't for the fact that a large number of his sisters were still in his hands, he might have killed them instead of capturing them. With the restarting of the Aptitude User Evolution Project, the higher-ups will definitely try to get their hands on Mikoto's DNA as soon as possible. Wu Yen thought that the people who came looking for him back then would have news soon. All the troublesome matters had quietly descended at this moment, including the trouble that appeared in front of Wu Yen. Long time no see, little Yen. Wu Yen looked at Shokuho Misaki standing outside his door. She was looking at him with sparkling eyes. She seemed to be very happy to greet him. He had the urge to close the door. I say Jisama. Wu Yen looked at Shokuho Misaki strangely and forced a smile. I think I made myself very clear the other day. You came looking for me at this time. Do you really want to join my Crystal Palace? Era, don't tell me you don't welcome me? Shokuho Misaki cupped her face with her hands and looked at Wu Yen shyly. Her words made his body tremble. Something's wrong. That was Wu Yen's first thought after hearing Shokuho Misaki's words. Jisama. Wu Yen looked at Shokuho Misaki cautiously and said with a headache. I really don't know what you see in me. You can't say that. Shokuho Misaki smiled shyly. Little Yen is a very good man. Wu Yen shuddered when he heard that. He got goosebumps all over his body. To be honest, even he himself couldn't figure out where this excellent came from. Hey little Yen, let's not talk about this. Shokuho Misaki changed her tone and suddenly walked up to Wu Yen and hugged his arm. She laughed and said, Let's go on a date. Feeling Shokuho Misaki's soft body on his arm, Wu Yen's mouth twitched. Why is this happening? He can guess what's going on. Shameless woman. Let go of Yen. Mikoto looked at Shokuho Misaki, who was smiling sweetly on the other side. Her brown eyes were filled with anger. When did you get here? Wu Yen looked up at the sky and sighed. Logically speaking, having 2 women in each arm should be a very good thing. However, Wu Yen didn't feel that way. He only felt like he was being cheated. How many times are you 2 going to do this, Jisama? Wu Yen sighed and complained. Can you stop playing around? I'm serious about going on a date with you. I'm not playing around. Shokuho Misaki turned her head away in dissatisfaction. As for how much of her expression was genuine, that remains to be seen. You woman. Mikoto was about to explode. You already know about my relationship with Yen, yet you keep coming here to seduce him. What the hell are you planning? Misaka-san. Shokuho Misaki looked at Wu Yen with resentment. Wu Yen felt goosebumps all over his body. She then said to Mikoto. Misaka-san, you're willing to share your man with other women? Why are you so against me? They're different from you. Mikoto said without hesitation. Chuju and the others aren't as bad as you. Shokuho Misaki blinked and said something that made Wu Yen and Mikoto almost vomit blood. I'm so innocent, how can you say I'm bad? You're so innocent. Wu Yen and Mikoto's eyebrows twitched. Shokuho Misaki acted like she didn't see it and looked at Wu Yen. Little Yen, let's just ignore this middle school student and go on a date. Beep. Electric current started jumping around. It's obvious that Jisama's words hurt Mikoto greatly. In a blink of an eye, the two girls were in a new round of arguing. Wu Yan's ears were ravaged by the two girls. His head almost exploded. Why am I the unluckiest one every time? Is it because I didn't vote when I was reading? Is this karma? Looking at Jisama's smiling face, Wu Yan's heart was filled with resentment. It's all because of this girl. Shokuho Misaki, who was in the middle of arguing with Mikoto, suddenly froze. Her face was filled with disbelief. She slowly turned her head around like a machine and looked at Wu Yan's calm face. Her eyes were filled with disbelief as she said with difficulty, You, what did I do? Wu Yan looked at Shokuho Misaki innocently. Shokuho Misaki almost went berserk. As for Mikoto, she was puzzled. What is this girl up to now? Seeing Mikoto's puzzled expression, Shokuho Misaki gritted her teeth and glared at Wu Yan. She said word by word, I don't do. Is that so? Then that's good. Wu Yan showed a brilliant smile which made Shokuho Misaki want to punch him. Wu Yan ignored Shokuho Misaki's expression and stood there calmly. One of his hands was kneading Shokuho Misaki's buttocks from an angle that no one could see. He praised her in his heart. As expected of the pampered Tokuwadai milady, Queen Shokuho Misaki, this feeling. Chapter 201. Since you're not willing to give up your blood sample, then I'll have to take it myself. Kikin Taidaku's tone was very calm when he said this. It was as if his next opponent wasn't Railgun, who was only one rank lower than him, but LVL0 powerless. Kikin Taidaku didn't put Mikoto in his eyes at all. Even though Mikoto's ranking was only one place lower than his, but with his dark matter he dared to challenge Accelerator, who was in first place, let alone third place. Indeed, if Mikoto was still the Mikoto from Academy City, then even if she was only level 68, which was only one rank lower than the current Kikin Taidaku, with the dark matter's infinite possibilities, Mikoto would still be no match for him. But now it's different. The current Mikoto was no longer level 68, but level 70 tier 8. Even if Accelerator was here, he might not be able to do anything to the current Mikoto, let alone the retarded Accelerator who was killed in the end. Wu Yen looked at Kikin Taidaku with pity in his eyes. He knew that with Mikoto's personality, Kikin Taidaku had thoroughly angered her. Even if Mikoto didn't kill him, this Kikin Taidaku wouldn't have it easy. Facing the impending battle, Mikoto's expression was calm, as if the angry person wasn't her. She looked at Kikin Taidaku with the same calm expression. Shokuho Misaki had been quietly watching the whole thing unfold without saying a word. With her ability in mind, she had already guessed the whole story. Even if it wasn't much, it wasn't too far off. Even if it wasn't much, it wasn't too far off. Shokuho Misaki turned around and looked at the smiling Wu Yen. She asked curiously, Aren't you worried about your little girlfriend? You know, the opponent is the second strongest person in Academy City, other than the first. Your little girlfriend is no match for him. Wu Yen glanced at Shokuho Misaki and shrugged. I think, instead of worrying about Mikoto, it's better to worry about that Birdman. Shokuho Misaki looked at the two of them with interest, and then said to Wu Yen, You have so much confidence in your little girlfriend? Just watch quietly and you'll know. Wu Yen smiled and looked at Mikoto. There's a hint of absent-mindedness in his eyes. She's no longer the Misaka Mikoto of the past. The soft whisper made Shokuho Misaki's body tremble slightly. She suddenly remembered the first time she met Wu Yen, and what Wu Yen said to her. Maybe you think I'm talking big, but what I want to say is, Mikoto is destined to not stay in a small place like Tokuwadai. She has a bigger world waiting for her. That's where she will shine. A bigger world? Shokuho Misaki mumbled, looking at Mikoto. The stars in her eyes are twinkling. Who knows what she's thinking? On the stage, Kikin Taidaku looked down at Mikoto with contempt. He slowly opened his mouth and said, Number 3, do you know what my ability is? Without waiting for Mikoto to answer, Kikin Taidaku continued, My ability is called dark matter. Its purpose is to create new substances. It doesn't refer to substances that have yet to be discovered, it refers to substances that don't exist in this world to begin with, and I can set all the physical and chemical properties of these substances. Do you know what this means? The more he spoke, the wider the smile on Kikin Taitaku's face, the more disdainful he looked at Mikoto. This means that I, who can create new substances and give them the physical and chemical properties of dark matter, have a lot of ways to nullify your electric shocks. Your ability to manipulate electricity is useless against my dark matter. Kikin Taitaku said proudly to Mikoto. How are you going to fight me like this? Mikoto didn't say anything. She remained silent. It's like the calm before the storm, it's very oppressive. Kikin Taitaku didn't know what Mikoto was thinking after hearing his words, but it's undeniable that Mikoto's calm demeanor made him feel pressured. On the other side, Wu Yen and Shokuho Misaki heard Kikin Taitaku's words. They both gasped in surprise at the power of dark matter. Kikin Taitaku is indeed the strongest ability user after Accelerator. He can create substances at will, even if they don't exist in this world, but to be able to touch upon the field of creation, even if it's just a little, it's already extraordinary. Kikin Taitaku, who had the dark elemental substance, was like a golden armament that only a golden armament of the 9th stage was qualified to wear. Even if a Tier 8 fighter with a gold armament can't win against a Tier 9 fighter, but in the realm of Tier 8, he's at the pinnacle. Just like Ikaros, she's invincible within Tier 8. And Kikin Taitaku with dark matter is the same. In the realm of Tier 7, he's at the pinnacle of the pinnacle. It's no wonder that even an idiot like Accelerator would be fooled by him. Even Mujino Shizuri, who's only 2 tiers lower than Kikin Taitaku, was almost beaten to a pulp by him in the original work. Kikin Taitaku does have the qualifications to be arrogant. Of course, it's only in the realm of Tier 7. Beep beep beep. Blue and white electricity. Ferociously flowing on Mikoto's body, Tokuwadai's school uniform danced from the flow of electricity, the electricity illuminating Mikoto's body. It also illuminated Mikoto's face. The electricity circled around Mikoto's body, then under Mikoto's control, the electric gun shot out towards Kikin Taitaku, who's flying in the sky. Kikin Taitaku turned a blind eye to Mikoto's taser gun. His wings fluttered and rolled up like a spider's legs, blocking Kikin Taitaku's front from the attack. The electric shock spear struck the wings of the dark matter. The electric current circled around the wings before it was extinguished into nothingness. The wings automatically returned to their original position and Kikin Taitaku's face reappeared in front of everyone. He cracked a smile. Your ability is useless. It's not too late to regret now, I just need a little blood sample. Looking at the unharmed Kikin Taitaku in the sky, Mikoto didn't answer him. Instead, she used her actions to prove herself. She closed her eyes, then opened them again. The electricity around her body surged. Her computing power was fully activated. The ear-piercing sound of electricity rang in Kikin Taitaku's ears like glass, causing him to feel pain in his ears. Mikoto's body was surrounded by a large amount of electricity. Her bangs fluttered even though there was no wind, making her look like the god of thunder. The original bluish-white electric current had become much brighter at this moment. Moreover, it was faintly silvery white. Seeing this, Kikin Taitaku's pupils shrunk. His eyes hurt from the bright electricity and he couldn't help but close them. Shokuho Misaki, who was beside him, was also shocked. They could feel that at this moment, Mikoto had become even stronger. Only Wu Yan's lips curled into a smile. His eyes flashed with excitement as he looked at Mikoto. Mikoto is finally going all out. Mikoto lowered her head and looked at Kikin Taitaku with her electrified face and said softly, if your ability is what gives you the right to do whatever you want, then... Mikoto took out a small token from her pocket and placed it in her hand. Countless electric currents surged towards Mikoto's token, forming a small white dot. At the same time, she raised her hand towards Kikin Taitaku. Let me destroy it. You're tuning in to the Han Lee's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.